What is popping, chat? What is popping? What is popping? What is poppy? Why are you saying Bloons TD6? Ciao, buffer the ads now, okay? So if you're not subbed... Bro, if you're not subbed and you're here in the first 30 minutes of the stream, you're always gonna get fisted. Okay, I'm good. I am good. This is the last time you'll hear this intro, chat. Enjoy it. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Why is there no finals? That's a very good question. Is T1 cooked? That's also a very good question. Oh my god, it's T1 Hammer Life. It's crazy.
Welcome back to Busan for the latest episode of the hottest K-drama in esports. It is Hanwha Life Esports. It's T1 yet again for the spot at MSI. Welcome back to the Busan Sajik Indoor Stadium. I'm Digon alongside Wadid and Ox, and the road to MSI ends here.
All right.
It's been so exciting so far, and I feel like this is the biggest one yet because winner goes to MSI, claims that final spot, and loser unfortunately misses out on the opportunity. Both these teams have had some fantastic performances so far, all or nothing on this final day.
Yeah, obviously going to MSI means a lot. I think you keep the momentum, and I think it continues for the round 3 of LCK. So I feel like you have to go MSI.
Guys, what if we play another series after the winner? And we play the series here, the winner goes here, and we play one more series.
Until they ran into the roadblock, that was T1. Hanwha Life
What if we did
Esports
that?
had some history broken as well. Their 5-game, or their best of consecutive Game 5 win streak now ends, and both teams looking to try and get that final ticket to Vancouver to participate in MSI. Going to be a huge one. Now, the unique thing about these two teams is that they played each other a lot, and they know each other a lot over the last year and a half. As we take a look at the records from 2024 and 2025, very Hanwha Life Esports favored, and that was before they got one of the most dynamic players in the world, Zeus. Hanwha Life Esports did.
Yeah, I mean, clearly HLE consistently had the edge recently in this matchup. Despite that, though, you know, this covers 2024 where T1 became world champions again. So it shows that despite the fact HLE had the edge, when it came down to that clutch tournament, it was T1 who got the title, and it shows that even if HLE win,
Chad, don't forget ads gonna be buffering before the game starts, buffering it all in the early morning.
In those moments that matter.
Yeah, even if it's
bright and early, bro.
HLE's favor, I feel like
also, last thing, the reason I didn't do LTA last night is because I'm definitely doing LTA finals tonight. We have off-stream scrims today, and it's 6 AM start. So if the LTA series last night went to 5 games, it would be fucking horror central. But tonight I'll do LTA finals. Deal?
Win condition from HLE.
Yeah, well, speaking of T1,
I'm glad the series was a trio, and it was. I guess I didn't miss much. It's basically what I'm saying.
LNG and JDG matchup where they were able to have huge upsets. Then KT yesterday, it started good for KT, but T1 found a way to get it done.
I'm guessing I didn't
Will they
miss
be
much.
able to do it later on today is the big question. But you talk about the
I'm sad for
magic that this
Ludwig,
team
man. I wish Ludwig's
has,
team made a
and it
finals. That would be
always
so
seems
awesome.
to come through for them here with it.
Yeah, I especially really
That'd
like
be
the
fucking
idea
epic.
that they have for the top lane. Yesterday they picked Sion and Ornn for the first game. That means Sion and Ornn are gone for the rest of the game. That's how Fearless work, and I think that strategy that they had for the draft was the main part of the T1 that could have a clean win against KT yesterday.
And I think showing a lot of confidence in Doran, you know, the newest piece to this roster, to this team, giving him a lot of priority, giving him a lot of trust, and he really rewarded them. Got the POM yesterday.
Was it in an arena?
We start when we go into the keys of the match here.
The LTA game, was it in an arena?
In the top lane, the unanimous POM yesterday. You know, you look up and down that roster of world champions for T1, but it was
No, it's not. Oh, it's in the summer, right?
Getting it done.
Oh shit! I thought it was.
But we know how damn impactful Zeus can be.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. It hurts.
It's in the studio, the same as LEC. Oh yeah, of course,
lost because Keen actually blocked Zeus from Game 5. He played Aatrox, and I think his Aatrox actually just outclassed Zeus and Gnar in the last game. So that's why I feel like Zeus didn't do much in the last game. So can T1 match?
Crazy that Hammock got reverse swept.
Doran?
I think even if you look at the series as a whole, you often saw Keen picking tanks into Zeus, having advantages in the lane, and kind of stalling him out in the laning phase when typically we've seen Zeus have big edges. Meanwhile, Doran, he was just putting on a show, stealing away the Arakan, having some fantastic moments, having a bunch of solo kills. I mean, this was such a clutch play, just sliding in, picking it up. Moments like this, solo kills on a perfect on this Renekton. This felt like a masterclass from Doran, and really we didn't see the same levels of play we've had typically from Zeus. I think this is a big confidence boost for T1 for Doran, and I think Zeus, we need a bit of a return to form going into today.
Yeah, and also in the last interview, he mentioned that I like to play Renekton into Yorick. And I think...
Holy shit, look at Zeus' stats.
I don't think you want to play Renekton into Yorick, but he said it's a good matchup for him as
LCK
well.
first
So
in solo kills, 22. LCK first in gold diff,
Doran
LCK
is
first in
actually
CSD.
good, in
Every
fact.
role.
Yeah, you can see LCK first, all up and down Zeus's laning stats, but when there are plays made by
But
T1,
objective
Doran's
steals,
there and is able to be
Doran's
there
on the
kill
board.
participation.
Yeah, the one caveat I'll say, you know, I think Perfect was struggling yesterday. I think Keen is such a good top laner, and I think that's going to be the difference coming into today, is that obviously Zeus going up against Keen is a harder opponent than Doran going up against Perfect, so the match today will be different in that regard.
Yeah, speaking of players who haven't
One
had the same
Krug
level
death,
of
one
impact that
objective
we've
steal,
seen
LCK first for
earlier
Doran
round
in
two.
top.
We look to the mid lane here in Road to MSI. Faker and Zeka, we know how great they can be, but right now kind of playing a little bit more of a backseat in terms of their first couple of matches here in the Road to MSI.
Ooh,
And we
mid
wanted
matchups
to
will be
focus
pretty
on that
important
because
early.
There's some unique picks coming out and unique utility coming out of the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, we had this moment which was pretty good from Zeka, but overall, I think he really struggled into Chovy in the laning phase in particular and was shut down quite heavily. I think there was a lot of times where really he just wasn't able to get through lane, especially when he was pressured by Canyon. When he gets into the team fight, still able to make an impact though.
But remember, they are the player that even though you
This one we almost sick.
underperformed yesterday, they can be just good right now because they are the world-class players. So I feel like, I mean, I have no doubt that they're going to play good this time, but it's going to be really important when it comes to the Phillies draft as well, because there are so many pocket
Will this
picks
be a
that
banger?
it comes out
No matter what
in the
happens, it's a
road to
banger.
MSI,
Even if it's a
especially,
trio.
including Zoe
It's
and
T1
TF,
Humble
and I
Life, bro.
think
It's
those
fucking
kind of
crazy.
picks can change the game.
I think the
Completely.
two things I think that Zeka and Fake have in common is that they're just super clutch when it comes to these big series.
Yeah, and speaking of clutch, it includes champ pools, which is seeing a ton of Twisted Fate, which is our third point of this series. Twisted Fate coming up out of nowhere here, Ox.
Yeah, I think a lot of things have really led to the rise of Twisted Fate. I think Spellbook obviously got buffed quite a bit, but also we saw a buff to Twisted Fate himself. It was just a small one, but it was a buff to the base damage on his Q. Wave clear often helping him get the ability to move, so a bit of extra damage, a bit of ability to wave clear. But we've seen a lot of these global picks, things like Tilea.
Ads are all
like
buffering
Pantheon
now,
really
just so you
popular in
know.
the
I don't
meta,
want to have any
especially
ads
when things
running
like
during any
Yorick
games.
are being played as well, being able to move and punish that, having a lot of value. And we saw how players like Chovy utilize this, be able to really control the game, the power of that stun card, just not allowing
TF will be a
enemy
pretty
team
big
really
pick.
to move up and threaten at any point.
Yeah, I mean, I also
I
tracked
think
their
TF just
level
needs a
1
good
to
comp around him,
6
but Faker will
laning
have
phase,
a
and I
good
think
impact
mid
TF if he can
lane,
find the right angle.
laning phase got
100%.
changed a lot,
He needs to be
especially in the
really,
early game
really,
phase.
really
You
careful
only look to push. That's why
of
Talia,
picking TF
Azir,
and then
those
Zeka
kinda
putting
lane
Sylas
push
into it.
champions
That
are high
is not going to be pretty.
and I think
The
TF
two
is one of
champs
the
to
champions that
avoid
you
is Sylas and
really
Ryze.
have the lane priority in the mid lane,
If you're
and I
playing
think
TF.
that helps
These
a
two
lot
champs
for
are
the team
really
as
scary.
well, because TF has the ability to just walk around the map.
I think also the point where he spikes like 2-3 items, he's really strong at that point, and that's often where the game feels like it's getting decided. He can often hit 3 items with the extra gold from the passive. One of the champions are at 2. We saw Zeka not really having too much success in the pick, but for Faker, it's been something he's very much had a lot of success in his career on.
Yeah, it definitely helps when he's the one coordinating so many of the plays, and now he's the one that has the go button. We've removed so many point-and-click stuns out of the game. Twisted Fate's still one of those champions that have it, as we see a little bit more of the impact that happened earlier in this series against Hanwha Life Esports. Chovy pulled it on out, and you could just see the threat of a stun really prevented Hanwha Life Esports from ever winning a skirmish.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the rapid fire cannon, it's really easy to set up the fight because you just play around the gold called cooldown, and I think that's just easiest way to
Where did I
just
put
set
my
up the
water?
fight.
Oh, it's here.
So it's gonna be really easy whenever you have TF, item 2 spike, and also you remember that mana items got nerfed, so you don't need to go mana item on like Victor. I think many people are just stacking some masks on the mid lane, and I think TF is one of the champions. You can actually just build Leech Bane into rapid fire cannon, which got buffed as well recently. So I feel like those 2 items fits on him, and also as you mentioned, I think the 2
Show
items
your
spike is
desk.
just
It's
so
disgusting.
important
I'm
in
not
this
showing
game.
it.
All right, and finally, our 4th and final point in this series has been the rise of Spellbook as well.
Bro, the
Supports
rise
been
of
using
Spellbook
it
is
a
so
ton.
strange.
We've
I
seen
swear,
the
every
impact.
objective, there's 3 smites on
How?
these objectives.
Why? Ox.
Yeah, so there was a buff to it where basically the cooldown initially was reduced, but also the cooldown when... So basically every time you use Spellbook, the cooldown is reduced. And this change was pretty significant because you got to use it more often, so the cooldown becomes lower more frequently, and just the amount of times you're using it is so much more than it used to be. And we've seen the rise of it oftentimes on picks like Twisted Fate, but also on supports, even on junglers, on things like Sejuani, especially when Trundle's in the game. And, you know, we did want to talk about a lot of the reasons why Spellbook is really showing up and why it's so strong.
So yeah, especially on support, I think it's really OP right now because of the summoner spell advantage.
Do you miss
can
Ardent Sensor
actually
meta?
have,
No.
like, 2 summoner
No, I
spell for the
don't.
laning phase. So you pick Ignite or Exhaust to have a strong laning phase. You can actually use it, and then after that you have the heal normally that you take in this meta. I think that kind of enables that you have the stronger laning phase, and I think you can also have the TP when teams are trying to lane swap a lot. You can see in this clip as well, they already lane swap to the top side, so Doran is alone on the bot side, but Carrier just covered on the bot side with the TP, and he have heal as well to heal up Doran, and I think this kind of TP play changes a lot when it comes to the macro.
Yeah, the amount of value you get in a situation like this, shutting down a 4-man...
Plan for today is
bot
LCK
side
series
gives
into end
time
stream,
then,
into
yeah,
off
for
stream
Owners to get in
scrims, into
position to
start stream,
defend.
into LTA
And then
finals.
KT are like, well, we still want to
So
commit
stream,
to this
break,
because
stream.
we've committed so many
I had to do
resources. and
final
it ends up
scrims with Lost
backfiring
Ratones
thanks to
today
Carrier's presence
before our EU
Yeah,
Masters
I mean,
game on
it's
Monday,
just
which is
the evidence,
obviously
you know,
tomorrow at
Bravo
5
on top
PM
side, so that's why
CET.
four-man diving on both sides.
We're
but
scrimming a pretty good
SDP.
team off stream.
So what can
Not
you do?
an LEC
can
team,
cover
but a
both
pretty good
sides as well.
team.
So
Get some
that's why
practice, see what
the
we can
TP
get
macro
out of this
is so
patch.
important in the pro scene. And third one is that you can have the resolve the secondary rune as well, because so you might think that when you pick
And then I
the
need to
spellbook
change my
as a
sleep
tank
schedule for
support,
MSI.
maybe
Oh
your
my
tank
god.
is gone.
Yeah.
But whenever you think about the secondary rune, you have the bone plating and unflinching. So, and I think that's all you need as support, right?
Yeah, I mean, even without Aftershock, like Aftershock gives you a lot of tankiness, but Unflinching recently got buffed to be quite strong in the early game.
Yeah.
Bone plating gives a lot of tankiness. That's enough, you know, to get you through the laning phase. And later on, you still get a lot of power from just the extra summoners you can have. Things like Cleanse for a champion like Rakan can be really powerful later on.
Ghost Rakan?
Ghost Rakan, super strong as well.
When did you become a shopkeeper? All right, one more point.
All right, so that's the good thing about the spellbook, but you have to think about the double smite as well.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when the objective
flying
is so
in for
important.
MSI?
I already
Maybe.
mentioned that Canyon still in
But
a
probably
lot,
later on
the
in the
objective
tournament, maybe.
just crashed HLE, and Doran stealing Atakan just crashed the KT.
If anyone's in Canada, maybe I'll be there.
Carrier
Say
stole
hello.
the Nashor with his smite, and I think having a 2 smites kind of reduces the process of the setup of the objective, and I think this is
Carrier
really
stole the
important
Baron,
when
Doran
you-
stole Atkan.
You can have so much confidence to start an objective or go for a steal. T1 are a team who are so effective at doing this, and you'll see the countdown comes in, they'll use the smites together. It's so easy to secure when you have, you know, 2 smites to be able to secure from 2,500 HP. They've done this so many times before when Spellbook was meta. On top of that, you know, there's situations where you might be so focused, like, okay, we have to deny the jungler access to the pit. You also have to deny the support access to the pit. You could kill the jungler and
Who
think,
will
oh,
win?
we're now okay to stop Baron. What if the support's still alive?
Well, the
Smite
thing is,
just
the
makes
theory
those
says
setups so much
Hamalife
more
wins
difficult
3-0 or
if there's
3-1,
support with Spellbook
but
and Smite
T1 is
available.
very good
A
at
series
breaking
that has so
theory
many stakes and
in
so
when
many
it
different
matters.
storylines.
So
We did our
I'm
best
just
to narrow
gonna
it
sit
down
back
to
and
4, but
enjoy.
It's better to hear from the coaches as well, who are standing by with their
But the
insights
theory
on this
always,
final match.
the theory is against T1, but the theory's been against T1 for a few years now.
경기를 앞두고 있는 양팀 감독님들 모시고 인터뷰 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
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 네, 최인규 감독님부터 인사
Sometimes you think, Hamalife should win, and then you see T1 having 4 junglers, and you're like, wait,
네, 김정규
maybe
감독님.
they don't win.
티언 감독 꼬마 김정균입니다.
네. 최인규 감독님 지난 3라운드에서 젠지를 상대로 풀세트 끝에 아쉽게 패배를 하시면서 정말
I don't know why when it
아쉬움을
matters,
하셨을 것
T1 just
같은데요.
suddenly spawned more
그
junglers in the
기간
game.
동안 어제 어떤 준비를 하면서 오늘 경기를 준비하셨는지 궁금합니다.
일단 어제 뭐 저희가 스크림 할 상황은 안 돼가지고
Actually, carry us now a jungler apparently, so 5.
뭐 최대한 저희 컨디션 관리하고 남은 뱀픽 준비하면서 그렇게 보냈던 것 같습니다.
네, 김정균 감독님 어제 정말 기세 좋던 KT를 상대로 3대1로 승리하면서 지금 기세가 많이 올라온 것 같은데요. 어떤 점을 중점적으로 오늘 경기 준비하셨을까요?
네, 그 이전에 이제 연습한 거 토대로 이제 어제 시간이 별로 없었기 때문에 이제 연습한 거 토대로 그냥 오늘 경기 준비했습니다.
네, 좋습니다. 감독님들이 보시기에 가장 경계되는 선수도 누구일지 궁금합니다. 먼저 최인규 감독님은 T1에서 어떤 선수가 가장 경계되시나요?
이전에 붙을 때도 항상 오너 선수가 경계됐었는데 오늘도 마찬가지로 오너 선수가 제일 경계되는 것 같습니다.
네, 김정균 감독님은 어떠실까요?
네, 오늘 같은 경우에는 이제 하나생명 팀이 모든 라인이 좀 잘한다고 생각하고 있기 때문에
Chad, the audio's low because the interview audio's low for some
해야
reason.
될 거 경계하고 있습니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 오늘 경기에서 승리를 하시면 이제 캐나다 밴쿠버로 향할 수 있게 됩니다. 최종전에 임하는 각오 한 말씀씩 들어보겠습니다. 최인규 감독님.
네, MSI를 갈 수 있는 기회가 오늘이 마지막인 만큼 최대한 후회 없는 경기 펼치고 그렇게
It's actually mental that
최선을 다해서
if
오늘
T1
경기
do win
마무리하겠습니다.
this series,
네, 김정균 감독님.
네,
Viper,
오늘
Zeus,
승리해서
Zeka, Peanut
꼭
Delight
MSI
are
진출해서 팬분들
not
웃게 해드리고
at
싶습니다.
MSI. That is
네.
fucking crazy.
하나생명의 MSI 첫 번째 진출 그리고 T1의 8번째 도전이 걸린 최종전입니다. 끝까지 최선을 다해 주시기
And similarly, if
바라면서
HLE win,
감독님 두 분과의
T1's
인터뷰
not at
여기서
MSI.
마치겠습니다. 감사합니다.
When was the last time T1 wasn't at MSI?
Both teams obviously want to do it for their own ambitions and
2021?
goals, but I gotta tell you, being here
2020?
at
2021?
Busan and being from North America and coming back here when I was here in Worlds 2023, the impact on the fandom cannot be understated. There were so many T1 fans here, and I was thinking before I got here, all right, we're in Korea, Hanwha Life Esports fans would show up. No, It is a T1 house here, and it means so much for both of these organizations, for their fans.
It's a T1 house in Sheyeon.
Fan base to win here and go
She's
to
aura
Vancouver
farming, and the
and
T1
be
fans are in
that
numbers.
global icon that every organization wants to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's such a huge opportunity. I think especially we've seen so many of these players often get these chances to represent on these big stages, especially with how strong LCK has been at internationals. But I think MSI is a special one because Worlds, LCK has been dominant recently, but I think MSI, I know we are the reigning champions, but there's been a lot of times it's escaped us in the past, and I know we want to start to put a bit of a streak together.
We all know how important it is to get the experience with the best teams in the world. And I think it's always good to share your ideas and the macros with the other region teams. So I feel like just going into the MSI is like another level to develop your skills in terms of like team skills.
Let's take a look at the MSI history between all 10 of these players, because not all of them have gone. Surprise! Zeka and Viper, world champs, never been to MSI before, which is kind of crazy.
I think the Viper one just feels so weird to me. Like Zeka, you know, I can understand it, but Viper feels like such a standout. I think the thing that really, to me, is that, you know, this Owner, Faker, Guma, Carrier lineup, obviously, when they were with Zeus as well, they had great success, managed to win Worlds twice, but never got that MSI title. So those players always looking to get that one under the belt, and, you know, Zeus,
Faker 29 semis noob
players,
and Wunder's here.
One of them
Wunder, why are you awake for this series, bro? Wait, Wunder, have you just woken up or did you not fall asleep yet? Be honest. Be honest. Be honest.
Huge opportunity.
Did you just wake up? You and I are not the same. I didn't sleep. I knew it. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew
We
it.
also saw Doran brush off his shoulder. It is going to be
It's
real
8 a.m.
one of these teams that
where he lives, I think, and he hasn't slept yet.
And I can't deny the magic of T1 here in the Sajik Indoor Stadium. I know the eyes say it's Hanwha Life Esports. I know that they've been the better team all season long. Give me T1, 3-2.
But you know what, Tigon? If the magic trick gets rebuilt, and I think the magician needs to prepare something else. But I think you don't have enough time.
Oh my god, 3-0?
You don't have enough time to prepare.
3-0? Who is this guy? What is this?
I think it's gonna be 3-0. I think, don't forget what they had for day one, by the way. They were leading 2-0 against Genji, the world best team. So I feel like HLE is just strongly favored in this matchup.
Okay. I mean, I think HLE are favored. I don't think HLE are a 3-0 team, you know? I feel like
that's fair.
I feel like HLE always gets a little messy, you know? Like
that's
even they went 2-0 up against Genji, and then obviously they did falter, but even like we saw them in the LCK Cup, it always went to 5, and I don't know if it'll go to 5 this time, but I don't think it'll be
True, HLE is not really a 3-0 team unless it's Damwon in LCK Cup. That's the only team they 3-0'd.
Y'all, the stakes have been set. This has been boiling since the offseason through LCK Cup, rounds 1 and 2, and now we have it. Only one team will be going on over to MSI. Will it be DOFGK or the reigning champs of the LCK? Let's find out right now. It is the road to MSI Final Series.
Boot it up. Boot it the fuck up.
T1이 아직까지 의식을 못하는 것 같은데요. 버스트가 좀 빠른데 먹을 것 같아요. 이건 먹고 버스트.
예, 노스막이긴 한데 판테 떨어진다.
스틸 정도만.
이거 들어가요?
Doran.
지렸네.
KT가 기세가 좋긴 했지만 충분히 이길 수 있는 팀이라고 생각했고.
This prehistoric monster comes looking for the reengage, but he doesn't find the ulti, and it's a double for Guma. Doran now is a freight train in T1.
이제 하나전을 잘 준비해볼 생각입니다.
사실 누가 올라와도 저희가 분명히 이길 수 있다고 생각을 하고 있기 때문에 사실 자신감은 많이 있습니다.
각계 전투가 되는 그림에서는 어쨌든 하나쌤이 좀
Holy Viper.
진짜 잘하네. 전차 무섭습니다.
정규 시즌과 아예 다른 게임이라고 생각을 하고 큰 경기의 T1은 다릅니다. 충분히 다른 결과 만들어낼 수 있다고 생각합니다.
이어서 MSI를 가는 것도 굉장히 기대가 되지만 당장 이제 합판을 이기고 싶다는 그런 마음이 좀 큰 것 같아요.
저희가 매년 MSI 출전했었는데 이번에도 하나생명 이기고 MSI 꼭 출전하도록 하겠습니다.
길게 말할 건 없는데 반드시 이기겠습니다. 한 장 남은 MSI 티켓 하나생명이
T1이
가져가겠습니다.
All right, they're aura farming already. They're aura farming. They are aura farming. Play the song now. Bro, why does it feel so tense? Holy shit.
하나생명 T1 화이팅! 와! 하나생명 화이팅! 하나생명 화이팅! T1 화이팅!
구마우씨
제니야 K 화이팅!
Welcome, ladies
Oh
and
my
gentlemen,
god, Atlas is in
to
my
the
ears.
last match in this road to MSI. Will it be a golden one, or will it once again be T1? We'll just have to see. I'm Atlas. I'm joined, or flanked, should I say, by Chronicler and Wolf. And gentlemen, there is one last chance for that spot at MSI.
It's a big one. This is the kind of match where I think we do have a
Oh
pretty
my
strong
god.
favorite, but it's T1 in a massive arena where the fans favor them, and this roster, Sans Doran, has been playing together so long. Sometimes
It's a
not
go
about
to
the
TriCast.
stats. Sometimes it's not about the
Chat,
momentum. Sometimes
I know
it's
there's
just
a lot of
about
like
that
takes
T1
about
magic
Wolf
that we
this,
just
Wolf
been
that when he
talking
first
about all the
started,
deaths.
about like the game knowledge. I feel like he's gotten so much better. I feel like his knowledge has gotten so much better. He's an insanely good caster. I actually really enjoy Wolf. I know there's a lot of like people saying they didn't like him before or whatever because like his knowledge of the game wasn't the highest. I feel like he's probably put in a lot of work and he knows the game really well now.
And in best of fives, that series
And it's nice
against
to listen to.
GNG was a hard-fought battle, and throughout the entirety of the split, it has felt like those two teams were ahead of the curve, right? And I think that best of five.
Show Jonah Strong, just show Jonah Strong.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna see
The only two
mostly
predictions to
Hanwha
look at
Preds,
are Jason and Jonah
least on
Strong.
the global side. There we go.
It's one of those things where you have to choose between honesty and making the fans happy, and unfortunately, honesty should probably reign supreme. Gogo and Dagon, of course, ignoring that completely, but that is totally fine. HLE are looking absolutely monstrous. We have to go back to the regular season, the fact that it looked like we had a very clear top two. This HLE, I think, was built to destroy international
Jason
competition.
and Jonah
They've
Strong
already
both say
been
HLE.
very outspoken.
The script
They
is
don't
so
care
Hammer
about
my
regular
favorite.
season matches. This team wants to show the world that they were built to win.
And I love that there's so much like actual valuable cope. That's a very low win percentage, as we always talk about. It's not 70 or 80%. We sleep. But on one hand, you know, we have Zeka, Mr. The lights weren't bright enough on Friday, okay? That was not an elimination match. It's fine. He has a second chance. And then on the flip side, you have Faker. I wake up at World's Finals. And then he did.
He absolutely did. And this is the Sajik Indoor Stadium.
There's no way T1 can do it again, right?
Magic has
No
been
way.
created here. That did start yesterday. I just don't know whether magic spells are going to be enough.
But all of it's
to take
aligning.
down
The venue that they're in
orange
was the
net.
venue from
It's
JDGT
a
1
big,
Worlds
big
23
call,
where
but
Faker
it is
found
now
the road.
time
That's
to
the same
welcome
stadium
the
they're in.
players to this stadium. Is it
Bro, the
going
Magic,
to be enough?
it's possible.
Because T1 looked pretty good against KT yesterday, but now it is a very different opponent.
But there's no way it happens again.
This is the story that I think most will focus on today is the top lane. Our first players here to walk out, Doran and Zeus. A man who
The
was
theory is
replaced
way too Hammer
versus
favorite.
The man who replaced him. And this is the story we followed all year long. But with Doran
Zeus looked like he just woke up. Yeah, he's locked
peak
in.
form yesterday, the matchup feeling a lot closer than it otherwise would have pre-road to MSI, as Zeus was by far our most dominant top laner here in 2025. But Doran peaking at the right time here in best of fives could make this one a little bit more interesting.
And Zeus also had a relatively muted series, but Zeus was playing against Keen. Doran was playing against Perfect.
Zeus
and I do
versus
think
a Krug.
Perfect, his redemption arc
But
cut
Doran
short
is
ever since
Zeus'
that
father,
game 2
and it is
yesterday.
Father's Day.
But it does mean, particularly
It is
in
Father's
light
Day.
of some of the previous series, to which we are discussing to this day whether or not Doran was robbed. Can't wait to see
Domestically,
how it
Doran
turns out
owns
today.
Zeus historically.
Chronicler, by you, if you remember. Let's get towards the jungle, though, as Owner and Peanut, arguably two of the most important players for both of these teams. Owner especially having an absolute day out yesterday as well, but we're kind of used to saying it about this man.
Yeah, I mean, he's right now the jungler everyone has been talking about just because his role in the team has been so incredibly important. When the rest of T1 is stumbling, he does not falter.
Owner's just aura farming.
Peanut's early pathing, his ability to apply pressure at the exact right moments, at the exact right lanes has been so strong throughout his career, but it feels like he just gets better every year. Such a cerebral player, but Owner on the meta picks right now.
Here comes the noise.
King of the jungle.
And particularly in a role that is so often changing, so many different metas, so many different playstyles. Owner has just been, for like almost 2 years at this point, one of the mainstays when it comes to our top tier junglers.
And speaking of mainstays, we have the one of this video game. It is Faker, and he's taking on his rival that started in 2022. There are players that have not been able to do it in the clutch moments. That ain't Zeka. Zeka has been able to do it in the clutch moments, and we'll see whether he can do it again today.
I think Faker and
Must be
Zeka
nice to see Faker come up the stairs and then stand next to you.
Performances
Oh,
in their
yeah.
opening matches here coming into the road to MSI. Our final match is today. Obviously, form can change day to day, but I think we're going to see both of these players step it up and be closer to their ceilings than what we've seen from them so far.
I would agree. Of course, fighting for this ticket here to Vancouver. See who is going to be able to pick it up between these two incredible players. Viper.
More aura
and
farmers.
Gumayusi.
Why is every LCK player an aura farmer? It's
A
crazy.
difficult question, I think, because Gumayushi's form has changed from what we saw in the regular season to what we saw yesterday.
Really stepped it up, and it's also telling that much like Viper has done ever since he joined the LCK, Guma
2
has
steps
been
at a time
willing
from
to
Guma, 1
dip
step at a
his
time
toes
from
into different
Viper.
Styles. That Ziggs yesterday, was it enough to 100%?
Future LCK players in the crowd.
No, but it still was, I think, such a big improvement, both in how he played it and how the team played around it.
The willingness to draft it, I think, is a big change we've seen. Because remember when LCK Summer lower bracket finals happened and Hanwha defeated T1 there, Guma's champion pool was an issue then. It was an issue coming into LCK Cup. And we had the Smash debacle, right? We had the swaps, but Guma has really improved. I think the willingness to pick a wider champion pool and find his niche in this meta makes you feel pretty good about T1's chances in the best of 5. Before Road to MSI, we were a little worried. Now, you feel much better.
And to augment these bot laners, it is their supports, Keria and Delight. Keria especially yesterday in those pro views being so extraordinarily vocal, looking like he was the architect of so many of these team fights that in the last 3 games went all T1's way.
And the best carry support versus what I'd consider the best engage support in the LCK. I do think Delight hasn't quite shown those incredible montage moments that we're so used to seeing from him. And Keria, I think he started slow yesterday. The Elise game was a little off, but after that, I do think he came back with a vengeance.
Keria's shot calling was the big story of yesterday. We saw
Holy
so many of the comms, so many of the shared footage that was out there. He's being a very vocal. You know,
what
he
a blessing.
obviously share that role, but I think his leadership has actually really improved a lot and is a big part of why T1 were able to dismantle KT Rolster yesterday.
Here are your teams, ladies and gentlemen. It is the road to MSI. One of these teams is going to be stopped here today. We just have to find out whether the miracles in Busan for T1 will continue, or whether it is a call from reality as Hanwha
Faker and
Esports
Peanuts
look
fist
to
bump.
continue their golden road.
Oh my god, it's Zeus versus T1, man.
As well, of course, long-time rivals,
Oh, it's gonna be great.
as the coaching
It's gonna be
staff
great.
takes the stage, and I can't wait to see. To be fair, I feel like the first 2 games of Fearless Draft, it's pretty on rails. We know what to expect, but it's starting game 3 that it gets really fun.
I love the stories about Mata as well, because yesterday he was facing off against Score, and of course there was a little pat in the back moment, their ex-teammates. Well, now it's Dandy and Mata, so there's ex-teammates from Mata everywhere. This guy has played for every team in every era of this game. It is absolutely ridiculous, and we are getting very, very close to the Game 1 draft. This is going to set the stage, of course. Side selection is there. Homolife Esports did have the upper side of this bracket in theory, but they did come from the round 3 match.
I think even though early in Fearless, Blue side has had such an insane advantage. It's given you, with all the OP picks, so many extra edges. Teams have really gotten better about drafting on red side, and it really has been, especially in Road to MSI specifically, the better team wins. And, you know, KT Rolster proved that. Sometimes it's not even necessarily
Some people cheer for T1, some cheer for Hammerlife, some cheer for 3 games.
Like
that
T1
guy's cheering for Krugs.
Ziggs draft yesterday into the Zaya with the Camille setup that we've seen 1,000 times, that sometimes draft can just be enough to get you across the line. So this first one, I don't know if we're going to see a massive draft gap either way.
All right, boot it up.
But some of those big
instantly
like
into draft.
Azir, the
No
Victor,
fucking around.
we'll see if they get dropped out early.
No fucking
We'll
around.
just have to find out, as now it is time. I think eyes are going to be on things like Yone, things like the Talia, especially Vi will be permanent.
No fucking around.
That is not something really to worry about.
All right, what is there?
Some 80 carries that slip through.
There's
Who is
mid
going
pool
to
and
get
top
the
pool
Callister in
and
game
jungle
number
pool.
one?
It's
There are a lot
always
of
the
these
first 3.
questions
It's
that
always the
are
first
going
3.
to
It's always the
crop
first 3
up,
bends.
as there are only
Pantheon.
so many things you can take
Tion
away.
probably ban
I
Vi.
don't think anyone should be allowed to play Kalista in this series. Every time we have seen it, it just felt like
Yone
it was
ban as well.
really
Good.
big problem. As you're highlighting, though, there are so many OP picks, so many champs that make us go.
I think
why
Zeka,
does
Yone,
X
Talia,
player get
Azir,
Y
Faker, Yone,
champion?
Talia,
One of
Azir.
the things that I do
Both
think
tops,
is
Rumble,
important is we
Jace,
see that
Gwen.
Yone ban. We saw in the series against Gen G that with Chovy specifically, he was able to find lane encounters to some champions that were considered kind of impossible to deal
Poppy
with.
ban.
Neither of these players really played towards lane all that much, right?
Poppy
Both
ban
Zeka
makes
and
me think
Faker, I
T1's
are
ready
more
to
known for
trade
what they do
Vi.
out of lane. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just go for champions
For
that
something.
have maximum impact.
So there's
Talia,
Talia,
the
Vi.
Galio are ones that I'd be looking towards.
T1 looking to
Talia ban feels good
They
here.
haven't banned Vi yet. They're
But then
looking to trade
Hammerlife
Vi
would
for
first pick
Kalista
Vi.
Renata. That would be such a bold choice. Renata's strong into dive compositions, but when you don't see Vi in that first spot on red side, you're starting to wonder, like, what kind of game is T1 playing here? Because that's the obvious one. That's the permanent one. We have never not seen that one. So
I mean,
some
Talia's good into
decision-making here in
Kalista.
this final moment about it, and they are
They
going to
banned
leave both.
Talia.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
the
Vi
Tal-
Kalista
the
trade.
Kalista, of course, and
There's also
that
Gwen.
Vi. So I mean,
It's Gwen,
Kind of
Vi,
what are you?
Kalista.
I had a feeling that they
There's
were going to
also
gamble
Victor,
with the Peanut Vi situation.
which
It's
Faker
gonna be-
might
it's gonna
pick.
be Vi,
They
for
have
sure.
to lock it
Is it
in.
going to be
Because
Vi
the
or is it going to be
Kalista,
Gwen?
Renata, as good as it is, Nico is still open. Has actually made it through the draft. If you
Owner
answer with
Vi is
Varus
very
Nico,
powerful.
That's playable. I don't think you can give Owner Vi, and we trust
Gwen,
Peanut on Vi
Kalista.
blindly as well. So, but T1 knew this was going to happen as well. And the only thing that makes me kind of wonder is, I feel like the Poppy in particular we've seen be used with great efficiency. Another answer is Skarner.
Gwen,
but Skarner
Kalista,
has been
Zyra,
really
Rakan,
hot and
Victor.
cold, and Owner's performance last time was not necessarily the best.
There's also
I
Nico.
think you pretty much have to go for the Kalista setup here, though.
If you want
there's
to
not
Kalista and they
really
go
any
something
other
plus
way
Nico,
to
you're
approach
kind
this,
of
although T1
in a bit of a
disagree.
tricky
Gwen,
game.
Kalista.
Look at the Gwen.
Yeah, you could theoretically pick the Kalista, see whether they're going to pick away the Nico, and then opt in for something else other than
go
the
Gwen,
Renata.
Nico,
After
Kalista
that,
on 3.
Block the Nico here and deny their Kalista counter, and then get the Kalista Nico as a response.
The
I think
problem
with
is
those two
Nico
bans, though,
blind walks into
you're
Karma.
gonna be gunning for the
And
Kalista.
Kalista
Like, both
can't play with
Poppy and
Karma.
Talia are so good into it. It'll be really a big gamble if they don't. But you're right, they
Okay.
are going to go for the
I think
Nico
this
and
is like
Does
that.
Hammerlife
I think
play
this
a
is kind
Karma
of
lane?
checkmate moment because you deny they don't want to play Kalista anymore now into this Nico. And then
Nope,
you
they don't
still
give a
get to
fuck. They're
have
going to
it.
go Ari Jax.
This is the problem for me, though, is you can't deny Ari Vi from Peanut and Zeka. And we haven't seen this combination like all year because it's illegal. You're just not allowed to see it because Vi has been banned in every single game. This has, like, point and click.
Could go
you're dead
Jace.
is basically how it works. And
What is that
Zeka
photo?
is no stranger to the Ari play as well. Let's see whether Homolife Esports
Why'd they make his head so
are
small?
actually happy to pick away the Kalista. That picture is hilarious. And instead, it's going to be a Jax consideration for Zeus. Fire with fire here on this top side into the Gwen.
Yeah, really powerful though into the Gwen if you play through that top
Well,
side.
T1 will
and
get
the
Kalista.
side laning power there, but this is the more obvious
Saves
response to
Jace,
the Gwen
classic.
with the Rumble ban. Obviously, this is
Oh,
really
Hammerlife,
the-
no matter
the
what
go-to
draft
for
they
so many
pick, like,
players
those
that know how
champs
to
look
space
scary
well,
as
know how to
fuck.
Play this matchup incredibly well, and Zeus is the Jace in the
You
top
could
lane who will
you could
dominate
match
that lane,
mid
and you
here,
can
but I
absolutely
don't
play
like
through it here in this
Sylas,
draft.
and I
This is
don't.
where you gotta lock Kalista though,
Oh,
right?
yeah, okay,
Sure.
Victor,
So
sure.
with the
I
Vi on
don't
the
know if I
opposite end,
like
I
it.
can see why you wouldn't. One of the big weaknesses that Kalista does have is getting locked down, and that isn't an option here.
Okay.
Might still go for
I
just
prefer
because the
this
raw
than
power of
Victor.
the pick. And with the Nico as well, we saw KT use this combo
There is
with
no more
such
counter
great
picks in the game.
power. When it comes to the Jace, I
No
like
one's
it with
holding
the
any
Vi
picks,
as well
everything's
as
out.
the Ari because it both allows you to do a little bit of preliminary work, soften up some of
Would
the
Viper
targets,
play
but you can
Draven?
also go in when
Nah.
the Vi, when the Ahri.
I think a
actually
Karma ban is
go
pretty
in
good,
and
but does
pull the
Karma fit
trigger
their
on that
comp?
dive.
Now I think
Maybe
the
Nautilus, a
obvious
bit
ban is to
scarier.
give that Victor. That was the consideration over the Callista here for T1, as it is a pick that Faker's incredibly comfortable.
You're gonna have to
on.
find a
It's so
jungle
high
mid here.
prio
I mean,
for
you're
T1
thinking of
and shores up a lot
Victor,
of
yeah,
damage.
Nocturne, Sylas.
Instead, they take away the
Oh,
Nocturne
insta
first,
Xayah ban.
as the Xayah ban is also pretty obvious here in this draft.
Yeah, the Xayah ban is actually.
I don't know
kind
if
of
I like
interesting.
the theory.
I was expecting a Jhin ban to come through.
Maybe a
just
TF ban. Yeah,
Viper
since
being
I'll.
able to sit back, play that utility role,
I don't know if I
and
like
to
the
allow for
theory.
even more of these single target picks with the Deadly Flourish will really
good into Vi, though.
synergize with this composition that they've already put together. I know I'm advocating for Jhin. Makes me feel weird too.
It's okay.
What do you play?
Atlas.
Maybe Wukong with
You know,
Victor?
sometimes we just get caught off guard by our own our own tendencies.
I
As
was thinking about this. I was actually considering something like this because
Yeah, this is
they
the
need a
theory.
lot of physical damage.
The theory feels like it's a better fit, though.
not only do they need physical damage, but
No,
actually,
the Wukong,
yeah, I was
I
about to
prefer
say,
it
they
as
need
well.
engage because they don't really
Okay,
have
the
great
Wukong.
engage right now. Obviously, you can throw in the Nico, but it is very all in. Wukong to me feels both the niche of being able to provide a reliable source of
The
AD
Wukong
damage,
at least lets
as
you play
well as
Victor. I
the
feel like Victor and a
CC
Fury is
or the
free
AoE
loose.
CC to combine with the Nico, while also having a consistent angle to get on top. Because both the Xin Zhao, with the way Owner plays it, as well as the Nocturne, would have provided the surefire
What do you have here?
way
Lucian
to
Nami,
start
Kaiser
fights.
Nord,
I think
you have
that,
MF, yeah, you have
you're
Karma
looking
lane.
for any sort of strong matchup here.
Rel
The
as
Jhin
well.
would have been a good option. Obviously, you have
MF
such strong,
Leona.
powerful engage to allow the Jhin to follow up.
There's a
This
champ on
fortunate
5
for
here that I
Rel.
think could
Yeah,
do
yeah,
well,
yeah,
and
the
it's
Rel comes
Annie,
through.
but
That'd be a
I
tougher
don't know
lane
if Faker
matchup.
wants to
And now
play
it's
Annie.
Nico. I don't think we really thought it was going to be a flex, but it definitely
Sylas,
won't be.
I don't think the
Faker
Sylas has
will be
much
the
value
final
this
lock-in
game.
Here. Could go for damage because you have a lot of peel with this Wukong,
Ooh.
or instead, in this case,
Chat,
you
I'm
can
gonna run
just
ads.
go
If you want to
for
avoid ads, you can use the
the
tier 1 auto
ultimate
try. You don't have to sub
ability
out when you want to back to the game.
brawl
Starts here.
hard
It's a big
with
kiss.
this triple
Appreciate all the
melee
subbers. If you
composition
sub now, you
that
won't
has
get
the
ads
Nico
during
engaged,
MSI as
that
well.
you
I'll see you in a
basically
sec.
can go on to anyone. The Ahri is not going to
Sylas.
be safe. The Jace is certainly not going to be safe. And this immobile
What
AD
ults does
carry
he have?
in the
Ahri
misfortune
ult.
has a pretty weak front line, frankly. There's a lot of ways to access and get on
Maybe
top
Galio
of Viper
could have
here
worked,
for
but-
T1. I like T1's draft here in this first game.
Both these two drafts, I think, fall apart once you start
T1's
falling
game
behind.
is
There
so
obviously,
heavy through
when
bot.
it comes to these 10 champions,
It's
I think
so
that
heavy
Gwen
through
in
bot.
particular kind of stands alone, and once you get to the free out and beyond point in a side lane, but playing Sylas from behind feels miserable. Playing Vi Ahri from behind feels miserable as well. And if the MF was an essential source of damage, I think I'd be a little bit worried about Hanwha, but this is a 4-carry composition, right? Literally every single member of the team can provide a little bit. It's the same for T1, but it does mean that with how short range basically every character on the map is, once you start falling behind, you can't actually go for the short trades and the full commitment to these skirmishes. It's going to be so hard to take control.
There's no way out if you commit in.
Yeah.
It will just be pop blossomed, cycloned, and then the Sylas is going to be flying through the team fight. So when you commit for that pick, when you see the ult charm attempts here from Zeka, you better hit those. You better blow that target up. Vi gives you insane setup for it. It's going to make it a little bit easier, but they have to be super crisp with how they play this. I think absolutely Hanwha can win with this, but the execution has to be so clean.
It does, but once they get ahead, I mean, single target pick, you make that map dark, it becomes a scary, scary place. Let's jump into the rift for game 1.
The amount of T1 fans in the crowd
goodness,
is
we were
mental.
missing this yesterday.
It
but
is
this
mental.
stadium just erupted with the T1 cheers. Everyone making sure that they're here to see whether T1 can stamp that ticket to MSI. Of course, quite a few HLE fans here in the audience today, but the most popular team in this entire esport, certainly still very loud.
And in the entirety of esports
Yeah.
as well.
Carrier.
Of course, there are
Spellbook Rel with heal.
themselves. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Faker plays on this Sylas, because that is one of the big cruxes of this draft. And you know, individually he has been struggling in
Chaz,
some
the
of these
volume okay?
melee into ranged matchups where he is the melee. And we'll see if he can, you know, deal with Zeka in this early laning phase and how he looks in the first few skirmishes, as it is going to obviously be a high-impact champion in this draft. It's not the Giga Sylas hijack angle draft here for Hanwha Life, but there's still some good ultimates, especially the Ahri ultimate, to get you to close the gap.
Yeah, they both actually have Vi, as it turns out.
Yes, also that.
Zeus going for the phase rush here, which I think, particularly into Gwen, who's
Borat
looking
is
for the short
confident.
aggressive trades, actually works out quite nicely. We have seen Gwen's early game be
Holy
somewhat
moly.
mitigated. I think Grass still goes a long way, as we can see
Being
here.
in level 1.
But this top lane matchup, I think once the couple of levels comes in and Zeus gets access to more skills, he should be able to maintain a decent level of prio.
He's trying to get
Both
the push.
junglers currently in the top half of
It
the
is
map,
Father's Day.
pathing towards bot. Zeus is the level 2 gap, but Doran does find the sidestep still, though. Trade a bit rough.
Does have to dash away. Doesn't
Well,
have
does
to
he
use
miss?
the flash or anything
I think,
like that.
yeah, he misses a good amount of experience there.
Yeah, that's huge. We did see Zeus use his pot. Doran, however, did not commit to his, so still has that potion in the inventory. Azeka is doing what you're supposed to do in the first few levels of this match, which is proc Electrocute on Mass. And so far, that is working well for him. Down here, the Misfortune pick hasn't really gotten its value
Peanuts
just
showing.
yet. It's tough playing into Callista Nico with any champion.
Doran's level 2.
I think probably just waiting for that lane swap opportunity as early
Honestly,
as possible. T1 was doing that all day yesterday as well, but this wave, a big one, going to be crashing towards Doran's turret. Might even be plate territory. It's a huge wave.
It's also a big deal that T1's bot lane actually maintains this pressure because both mid and
He's
top
level
are
3.
not going to have prio, right? So that means there's a lot of freedom for Peanut, and he has
Pally.
lot stronger ability to impact the map, especially pre-level 6. Post-6, it becomes a little different, but even post-6, I feel like Vi, there's a reason why this champion is just permanent.
Doran is
right?
clicking
it
forwards
so
a lot.
easy to set
Oh,
up
he's
any
dead, no?
play,
What's
even
Doran
on
doing? He's
traditionally
crazy.
slippery targets like
What the
Gwen.
fuck?
Oh dear. As to the skies, flash has to be used this
That
time
was
around
way
as
too
Doran
much
was out of
clicking
dashes.
forwards.
I mean, this top lane, watching it though, has just been absolute cinema between Doran blocking there with his Shroud, the Q from Zeus, but it's still obviously going to be a Jace favorite matchup with both players playing perfectly, and Doran will be shoved out of the lane first here.
I think when he WEQs, that's enough.
So it won't be too consequential, but it's a pretty significant advantage that Zeus has already picked up. Stops the back as well.
Oh, Peanut going to be grabbing this scuttle. It is a trade of the two of those between these
Oh, Faker's dead.
junglers. Oh my
He's-
goodness, Jump
Oh
connects to
my
Faker.
god.
He has to flash. Otherwise, that true damage would have killed him.
Jesus, man, these lanes are bleeding.
There he was like, oh, walked close, didn't actually commit the flash. I think the right call. I don't think they knew for certain where Owner was. Could
It's
be backing,
T1 who called the swap.
Or could be right next to you in the lane, and getting the flash is just a big win, because again, there's a Vi on the enemy team.
Yeah, Guma is going to swap up here to the top side now as Doran heads down to the bottom side with his teleport. Tough matchup to play out here. And it's going to be a free back for Zeus in the meanwhile with the push coming through.
Yeah, first straight going to be a Chemtech as well, so Orcs
No
off
potions
the
for
hook
Faker.
immediately in this game, which means that he's probably able to breathe a sigh of relief, get back to his job instead of worrying about what dragon it's going to be. That's fantastic stuff. As Faker back in the lane once again, has augmented his build with a ring and a book. Not necessarily going to be feeling too much better about this matchup just yet.
Really interesting to see who's going to be the one to pull the trigger on Dragon, because right now T1 has vision advantage from their Callista push in the bottom side, but obviously now Doran is going to lose control of this lane, and Faker does not have mid control.
Yeah.
So
Carrier looking for a bit of an angle here, starts it with a Pop Blossom instead of those Tangle Barbs.
it seems like Peanut is going to head over there. Is on vision though, as Doran.
Oh dear, Doran goes into the circle. Shot Blast goes wide though, as now Doran looking to
you're
try
really
and
flipping
put
the game
on
here.
that pressure. Let's see, the snips are coming
Oh,
in.
what? What?
Oh, no.
What?
Yes, he couldn't face it. He couldn't face being
What?
solo killed by Doran or something.
That
has gone
timing is
catastrophic.
horrible.
Zeus still has
That
flash,
timing is
right?
horrible.
So,
Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
No, I felt the melodrama.
no, I do. You know, I appreciate
Yeah.
your
Needed
flat
to
footed.
really, because we might be settling in for quite a pause.
I mean,
you know?
Well, I hope not.
We have seen so many times in this matchup between these two players, like even when Doran was on Genji, we talked about the MVP thing
What
earlier.
the fuck?
That Zeus has been
What
neutralized
the
by
fuck?
Doran. Like it seems like in best of
Who
fives, in our
paused?
shows here at LCK, it doesn't necessarily
I
happen
think it was-
internationally, doesn't necessarily happen in regular season. But there's these moments
I don't know,
where
I
you're
can't
like,
tell.
is Doran gonna do it? Like is he gonna get the outplay?
Is it
Yeah.
Gumayushi?
And these big
I
best
feel like
of fives,
Gumayushi's
this
headset's
feels
off.
like a finals, right? It's obviously not. It's our second seed qualifier match here, but Doran again, man, he's playing aggressively. He's getting the better end of Zeus once more. Now, like you said,
I
there's no
just really,
flash.
I want this pause to actually be like, owner's keyboard feels like it's lagging. That's what I want the pause to be. Peripheral issue, and it's like Faker who's just like, oh no, something's going a little bit wrong here. In the meantime, there is this incredibly intense, it's a Gumayushi audio issue, guys.
It
It's
was Kuma.
actually what I was saying. It's so good. It's perfect.
Yeah, so hopefully audio issues general, like
Yeah,
peripheral
no,
and audio
it's fine,
issues
and
are
these things happen. Yeah.
are the
Oh
ones
my
that,
god,
that
his
we're
top
looking
laner
for.
is about to like decide
it
the
will be
early
interested
game.
to see if they actually do get the flash. Jace
Owner's
is
laughing,
just
bro.
as
He knows it's
susceptible,
fucked.
I'd argue more
Look at
susceptible
them
to
smiling. The
ganks
timing
from
they know is
Wukong.
so
The moment
bad.
the
Look at
flash is
Faker's
down.
face as well. He's grinning a little bit. He's like, Doran, it's going to be okay, buddy.
I mean, what will likely happen is he will just instantly flash out of the pause. I mean, it looks like Doran
the problem
has, like,
is we will
wind-up,
get
like, he's
late to
looking
the
for
game
auto, but
when it resumes on the observer.
I don't know if his E cooldown is already short enough that because if he doesn't have another E, he obviously can't flash.
Yeah, then
and he's
can't.
out of
So we
snips,
might
so
miss it.
We'll see. Zeus either flashes or walks it up, but then it's still a win for Doran, right? I don't know what the lane state was, but I think it was pretty decently far up. Maybe he can set up a freeze because he was behind because of the early plates. Could be an opportunity to kind of equalize that lane.
Yeah, I can imagine that, Doran is
It would be absolute Giga Chad if the game resumes and Doran and Zeus just walks it off.
With grins on their faces during this pause. So we're hoping that Gumyushi's audio issue is going to be sorted out very, very quickly.
And like you said earlier, Max, like it's probably just, it's going to be a flash. You know, maybe if there's a misplay out of this pause, I suppose it could be a kill, but I don't think so. But it's so interesting that if you asked anybody 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, like, would Doran get the better of Zeus?
Cursed rat.
Especially in a matchup like this where he's playing the Gwen into Zeus's Jace. Would he be able to make a play like this? I feel like 9 out of 10 people say no.
Oh,
okay, got his flash.
There it is, yeah.
So the one auto and then the flash does actually come in.
I think that's probably how it would have ended up without the pause.
Finding a really good trade with the Kingslayer. Feeling like he can just shake off the earlier harassment.
Okay, Faker lost 6 minions for that trade.
And
or
unless there is an actual punishment, that flash from Faker being forced doesn't really matter that much, right? So we'll see. Once level 6 is available, there's definitely an opportunity, as we do know Faker loves to go
The good news for this game is I guess Faker has eaten the Silas bullets from Zeka.
Expecting that, ready for it, but it's going to be wave clearing for now.
Not too worried about it. Zeka is considering a back, but Ona comes over to clear out this control ward. Zeka is not going to risk it. Peanut on the
Maybe that's why they picked Silas.
I mentioned earlier, especially with
just
that play
take it
from
away.
Doran there on the flash taken away from Zeus, just feels like a pretty easy setup. Now, I say that Owner is looking for a potential steal here.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they thought he backed because he was on the ward.
Well, he can see Peanut, but he couldn't see the health bar. As
I think
as Peanut, gets
suspicion.
wind of it. And Ona comes in. Let's see who's going to be able
Oh
to
my
take
god,
this.
he
Ona
actually
just
got it.
stealing it away.
What a rat. Yo, Peanut smites this weekend suck.
Not able to coordinate it, unfortunately.
That's massive.
He should have saved his W there a
The burst
bit.
that's available to the Wukong is,
But it would have
I think,
expired.
Just more than the Vi. I think Peanut there was trying to also time it with his first
Well,
hit
T1
of his passive, right?
stealing
The
objectives
W,
already.
That is a good amount of percentage health damage, but doesn't quite get it. And Owner able to get them an early dragon.
Nicely played. It is one Chemtech, not end of the world or anything like that, but if this is a sign of things to come, that could be dangerous, because we saw in the last series, once again, it was Canyon finding all of those smites against Peanut. Peanut hasn't necessarily had the smite hands.
I feel like Doran's in a really good spot. He's
series.
completely even in this matchup.
Throughout this entire year, to be honest.
It's not one of his most
This
famous
matchup would be a lot
traits,
worse.
as a
Not
top jungler
necessarily,
player.
no.
Those aren't the reasons you usually talk about Peanut being a great player.
Yeah. And to be okay, never mind.
Was it Guma's headset's gone again?
His facial expression there.
Oh my god,
he was a
Guma
little
looked
bit like, yes,
insanely
something
tilted.
is still potentially wrong.
Guma
Well,
looked
there's
fucking
no argument
triggered.
happening right now. Looking at the map,
Yeah.
everyone's kind of chilling.
Yeah, Delight and Viper are all in on killing that minion wave.
He took the time when he was resetting to be like, yeah, it's still broken.
Yeah.
Again, this is our assumption. We will, of course, let you guys know for sure once we do have official confirmation.
Yeah, Doran is obviously not going to be quite as flustered this time around, but yeah, it's the same issue. Confirmation there that once again, Gumyushi's audio is struggling just a little bit. So we'll just make sure that we get that sorted out and get back onto the Rift as soon as possible. As yeah, Guma looking like he is feeling like perhaps this is not ideal, and we just want to play some League of Legends.
And both compositions, once they hit 6, have such insane power spikes. We already saw it in mid, right? Both the real Ariel and the fake Ariel already being at the ready. But particularly for the Wukong
HLE win Prage, let's go to Canada.
Fights. We already the Vi as well, yeah. A lot of the fights will, I think, come down to, for Humble Life, can we find a single target and eliminate it in time? Because I think the AoE power of the T1 composition, particularly if they can get a flank off with either their Wukong or their Nico can be tough to deal with if you're fighting in enclosed spaces.
And obviously, with the explosive engage opportunities that both of these teams have, having Prio and having the vision and the ability to select the correct target and set up that fight, knowing where the enemy peel is really important. So continuing to have lane Prio, I think, was really important for Hanwha comp because they have the Jason to the Gwen, right? They have the Ahri range matchup, obviously, into the Sylas, and they've been able to hold that Prio thus
What do you
far,
want to do?
but we
Just
haven't
play
really
on?
had a clash on objectives outside of that steal,
Muted?
but not really a true fight. Perhaps when these grubs do open up in a moment's time here, we'll see that fight break out and start to see those ultimates really make that impact. Because like we've talked about so much with the drafts, you win that first fight, if you win it with like a 3 kills
2024,
clean,
Faker Zeus,
that might
2025,
just be
Faker
like what
Zeus.
propels you to win the game because it snowballs so
Doran.
hard. If you get a single pick, you get the objective, there's still some play there, there's still some wiggle room, but certainly this next big fight is going to be a big one.
Oh no, there was a little bit of trouble in paradise there, as we just saw. We'll see who is going to be the happier member of that particular relationship towards the end.
I do really like the very different styles where you have like the happy tank with it's like an advanced war style. The orange is coming out, and then the Faker one is like, no, we are not here to mess around.
Oh,
we are playing a very serious video game.
Well,
my favorite one's still the Zeka's head is small because his shoulders are so big.
Yeah.
It took me a while to figure out what it meant, and then I realized what it meant.
Yeah. This man carries. As I think we know
Actually,
this
tank.
one.
Oh, Viper too, though.
Oh man.
Okay,
so Viper can carry as well. That's what we're saying.
Ooh,
As, JJ
damn.
back on the broadcast for a few
Oh,
moments.
damn.
And
Oh,
we
damn.
The meta,
meta,
really, it's really getting out of control.
Never stops developing.
It really does not.
Haven't seen this one before. Before you know it, we're gonna get like the actual flippy books where you just have animation.
Yeah.
But that was cool as fuck.
Well, someone's gonna come and they've got like the paper that's extraordinarily long.
Oh,
and
yeah.
One of those old printers, and they just pull it up as if you're like reading the comics.
Oh, like the decree.
Yeah. Ready for that one. That's going to take a lot of paper, a lot of coordination.
Well, we have the time, clearly.
Well, I mean, that's true. And also, I think you need to, like, reach a next level if you want to make sure that you get it on camera as well, because they're, like,
LCK
thousands of
signs are
people,
great.
Here in this stadium today, as we can see here.
Yeah, just a reminder that in Korea, in the LCK, and in Korean esports, obviously massive, a match like this to be a qualifier for an international tournament means so much. The LCK has a history of being dominant at international tournaments. As Ox mentioned earlier, though, not necessarily at MSI recently, despite being the defending champions. That was where the LCK struggled more than they did at the World Championship. But it's so important to all these fans of all these teams, including KT, who was here yesterday, attempting to make their run to MSI, that their team gets a shot to prove that, again, they're one of top 2 teams in Korea. They're the second best in today that Korea has to offer, and perhaps they could be the best. They have an opportunity at MSI to prove that as well.
I really like all of these overarching thoughts, Wolf, but I just saw a Pikachu with opposable thumbs. And that's not real. That's just ruined my immersion
Caedrel
entirely.
start. Why she got her
Pikachu
hand through
cannot
the
make
fucking
the
hole?
Zeus sign. He just actually cannot do it.
Well,
Caedrel start the game.
It has his tail. That is already a lightning bolt.
It's already there.
Run the ads? Nope, the ads are good. You're chilling.
Atlas.
Sorry, that really bothered me.
G2 minute to MSI, second
she
seed.
did a high
BLG minute to
five with the player
MSI,
as they were
second
walking
seed.
out
T1 minute to
today,
MSI.
but now she's never going to wash her hands.
This year or next year.
classic.
Damn, Samira.
Oh, they're back again. Samira and Jace. Very, very cool.
I want to say
Aphelios.
Set,
Is that Poppy?
Set and Poppy.
Yeah, Poppy
Yeah,
for sure,
there
right?
we go.
It's Aphelios, isn't it?
Oh, everyone's a Zeus fan?
I mean, Zeus, he's a top Poppy enjoyer.
He actually, well, I mean, we've got Owner and Peanut in the game. I don't think that's illegal. The Poppy cannot be a reference to Zeus today.
Well, she said it was, Atlas. I don't know.
It's actually a very good point. It's not up.
I think
to us
she gets to decide.
Yeah, we don't
Maybe
get
she
to
was
decide.
also protesting the Pikachu thing. It's
Yeah.
just going back to that.
Are we
I mean,
working?
Like,
Are we
everyone
ready?
Can do this. See?
Are we good? Everyone seems to be
Poppy
like
would've
slowly
been a
locking
better
in.
option, at least she's got
Sleeves
a
are being
book.
rolled
I
up.
think maybe
Desks
if
are
you
being
get two
cleaned.
Pikachus, you can do like the
I think
you
they're
know, kind of the
doing
same,
ready
but instead
checks.
with the tails. Like
Yeah,
the Zeus sign.
yeah,
That
I think
will
they're
work.
doing ready
That would be a way to
checks.
do it. That
So-
being said, the tail is already in that shape.
Well, yeah, but then you could double up. Just double the lightning.
Oh,
On a
everyone's
more
sitting up.
Series-related note, obviously, to reminder everyone, we have a audio issue for Gumushi that
Everyone's
was
sitting up.
thought to be resolved but was not. And of course, during this
Everyone's
time,
locking
okay,
in.
we are resuming soon. We've just been told, but during this time,
I
the
like
players
it when,
can't.
when Wolf gets serious, that's when you know the pause is on.
Yeah. Well,
That's
the
how it
players
works.
can't communicate with each other about the game, so this is quite tense, right? Just to let people know at home who might not have known that rule, you're not allowed to discuss the game during these pauses. So everything that is happening, the next objective fight that's coming up, the lane states, all of that, you're trying
up
to remember
now.
it and keep it in your
Put
mind's
it up
eye as
now.
you calmly wait for the pause to be resolved. So it is a very tense moment for both sides. A very big moment is upcoming in that first big fight. We talked about the level 6s coming online, and we'll be having it shortly as it looks like we're finally back.
Yeah, here we go. Onto the Rift for game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. It has continued for quite some time. But, you know, not a whole lot of notable things
Doran's
have happened.
pressuring his
Some
chase
flashes
matchup pretty
being
well,
won
I would
by
say.
both of these top laners, and it was looking like Zeus was getting the control. That last play showed us that Doran's level up that he showed us yesterday is continuing even in this
I feel like,
matchup. His Gwen has been
I don't know
great
what
all
it is,
year,
but
to be fair.
the way Doran's playing this
still
game
showing that form
feels
was
different
not
to normal.
temporary.
He feels really
Looking at the sums available
fucking
right now,
confident.
Top laner holding on
I have
to
not
their
seen
TP,
Doran
and
versus
it's
Zeus
very
where
likely
Doran's
with
winning trades
6
and
for
having him on the
Owen, we are
tower
going to see a
like
fight around
this.
the grubs. Neither support is even close as
Oh,
there we go.
Yeah, we are flashing in and flashing
Nice
out.
flash.
Here's Ona. So that's a flash for flash trade. I think Delight going to be okay with it. Doesn't have Hex Flash.
Well, the Wukong, though...
And he does have Spell Book.
Yeah, the Wukong, of course, does have... Okay, hold up.
Yep, Doran going aggressive once again.
I was going to say the Warrior Trickster.
Like, Zeus's chase is under tower. Stuck.
And they will be looking for that as they have a great angle here with Carrier on the flank. He doesn't have 6, but just a root would be enough to deny Delight entry. And it looks like Hanwha Esports have just lost interest in the whole thing, and they're just going to give it over to T1.
Yep, not going to be Grubs. Peanut instead just going to head towards this bottom side jungle. Look to steal that one away.
And maybe also worry because Doran does
This
have
must
his
have been a
TP
mistake,
available
isn't it?
now, right?
I guess he's
his
getting
was a
bot
lot
camps at
earlier on
least.
the cooldown. If that play had worked and they had been able to pick off Owner, I think they would have definitely gone for it, but not going to be the case as Doran is going to find each other, but obviously Zeus really wants to get a base in, only sitting on a tier as well, whereas Doran, we could see with those plated steel caps, really getting the better end of those trades.
A lot of value out
Kalista
of that
lane
one.
is a little bit
Rolled
ahead.
Incredibly even as we
The
can
Ari
see
lane is ahead.
now
Oh,
Zeka
Faker's
moving
dead.
forward.
He's dead.
Peanut's
Bye-bye.
here though. He's even got cease and desist. It's going to be used by Faker as he hijacks it away. And there it is, returned in kind. And Zeka will
That was
finally
really
claim
easy.
the first blood.
It's a frustrating matchup to play as the Silas. You know, you get charmed like that, you eat that electrocute, and you feel like you have to go back in, you have to make it an even trade, or eventually just get worn down in the
It's
lane.
like they knew
You
where
don't know
Peanut
is,
was
and
as
you
well.
make that call. Peanut every single time will come in for the punish. I think Faker just hijacking there, looking for something back.
Well, Zeka's pretty strong now.
Commit the flash, knows he was
Zeka
dead.
is pretty strong.
And the crazy thing about that play is it felt like not that they already knew they had the kill. It was just, do I have to use my ultimate?
Well,
is what Peanut was doing.
Also, we just spotted Peanut on bot side. Like, he was spotted by Doran. They knew he was in the bot side, so I think that it's understandable, as you're saying, Wolf, as in a melee matchup, particularly with Silas who has so much sustain, you need to try and go in for that. But again, we knew he was there, and yes, his bot side camps are up, but it's Peanut. This is not the man that is just going to power farm, you know? If it's Canyon, maybe you get away with it.
He knows those pressure points.
Drake
you know,
game
and
looks pretty
Peanut's
good for
very aware
T1
of
though
this,
with
and
Kalista,
I think
Nico,
Faker's case,
Wukong. I
like, if
feel
he
like,
just keeps getting
oh
poked
my
out,
god,
he's
what
gonna
the
look for
fuck?
play here.
Yeah,
Is Faker
Tom is going
mental
to
or what?
connect. That will save Zeka for
Zeka
now.
has
Faker
TP.
actually still with his foot on the gas here in this game.
Just to contextualize further Faker's decision to go in there, I mean, he's 20 CS down, right? He doesn't want to just lose a few minions there because of that trade, because Peanut might be nearby. And
Needs
that's
to
the
push this
problem
wave
when
in
you're
base and
falling
then
this
fight
far
Drake.
behind in this matchup early is you have to make risky decisions, and this time he gets punished.
Well, you can't make it anymore. Malignance is now in for Zeka.
3 points
Yeah,
into
that
Q,
is a
into
really
W
big
max.
spike, and in any situation where you have a mid laner like this, one that wants to dive and you have a Vi, as long as one of the two is fed, you're feeling amazing. Hanwha Life
God, that
are
Gwen is
really
so
gonna get a
tanky.
ton of value out of these double spikes here. We have the Sundered Sky, we have the Malignance, Owner, Faker, neither of them have it ready. So I would hope that T1 chooses not to go and fight this dragon. Seeing everyone path towards bot, I know that's not what actually is going to happen, but I think they are at a pretty big disadvantage when it comes to those items, and we'll see if they're able to navigate
Ari has a
this
big
play
spike,
regardless.
but Kalista is much stronger than
Still
MF.
extraordinarily close. That is only first blood.
Gumayushi's
goals
a level
really,
up.
in it between
Carry
these
is
two
also up in
teams.
XP.
So nothing really to worry about out.
How are they so far
I
ahead in
think
XP? Did
the
they freeze
Cyclone
or
has
what?
to be game-changing if this is going to be a fight they can win down these
Look at that
critical
stick
items.
size.
That
What
was
the
so
hell?
many Wukongs that Peanut just had to watch. The army of monkeys heading towards the Vi. As all right,
Oh,
Cease and
no
Desist
flash.
comes out. Peanut just starting this fight as he flashes away. Pop Blossom to stop any sort of follow-up as now
Peanut's
Peanut
just dead.
is just
That was
alone
such a
in the
strange
enemy
engage.
jungle. Bullet time comes through. It does get a bit of
They don't have
damage
Kalista ult.
down, but it's not going to kill anyone. And now Faker with that Spirit Rush available, looking to try and close in on the rest of
That was a really
HLE.
weird engage. Peanut probably
What was
thought
that,
that
Peanut?
Item spikes
Zeka
be
could follow.
damned. If
No
you
flash
go in
Wukong.
alone, 1v3 into the enemy jungle, having
2 Drakes to
just
T1.
2 spike advantage doesn't really matter.
Well, now Zeus is fighting against Doran. They, I was going to say trade ultimates, which I guess is kind of true, but Jace doesn't really have one. As Doran throws out the needlework, and Zeus is going to be feeling
Did
okay in
Zeka
this
not have ult
matchup.
for like
Oh
a
my
couple
goodness.
seconds or
It
what?
is a
Where was the
Hextech
follow-up?
haul as
Oh,
T1 have 2 Drakes already in this game.
Doran going to get chased away here. He does have teleport, so it's not going to be the end of the world, but pretty annoying for that to be delayed. And yeah, I mean, Peanut's decision there, he thinks, okay, we have such an advantage that we can actually just force this and blow up a
the replay
single
now.
target, and that'll be the end of it. But you're playing into a Nico, and the zoning power here for T1 is just absolutely insane. So watch this again.
So Wukong no
Peanut
flash.
does not have full information of this banana brush at all. Goes in, flashes the wall here, Keria zones the fall.
I mean, Zeka could have ulted and charmed, maybe, but then he gets Nico ulted and I think he dies.
Enough damage on this map at this point in the game, and Peanut
was
is
a bad
just solo
engage.
dead.
And it's the double root. It's also the fact that if the light has flash, I think there's actually a world there where they blow up Owner, and then maybe the fight is playable. But we knew the light didn't have flash, and without him having that summoner available, you can't
Chat, he has
follow up
spellbook,
in
he only
time
did flash.
with where he was. So Peanut just too quick on the trigger. That means that T1 even getting a really big advantage when it comes to the objectives.
Oh,
and
some
there
mega
are
items for T1.
so many champions on the map that use Hextech well.
Big,
It's
big,
Gwen,
big items.
Right? It's Jace on the other. It's kind of disgusting.
Not to mention, Peanut also loses Flash on that play. You know, Flash to try to escape still dies. Can't turn the fight around, so...
Doran's into Ari and he's
also,
winning.
They didn't really need to go that ham. We were already talking about the fact that they had these item spikes. You can play it slow and probably still win. You don't need to like go for the opportunistic play. As Zeus here towards this bottom side, dealing with quite a few bad guys in the area, but does have Delight over there. And Peanut once again back to that dangerous location. It did give him some trouble before, as oh dear, Gumayusi could be in trouble as once again Cease and Desist comes down. He does have flash, so he's going to use
the cleanse
full
was
time
great.
coming on in as the Cyclone there from Ona defending his AD carry. The flash not quite working, but now Doran.
Viper's dead.
Some needlework
Doran
towards
TP'd in.
Peanut,
He's gonna block
who
Peanut.
wants to get
No, he's.
himself
Oh
away
my
and
god,
does
Doran,
Dawnbreaker
Doran,
out.
Doran, Doran,
John
Doran.
will connect as now Doran could be in a bit of
Doran,
trouble.
I'll pretend that didn't
Fighting off
happen.
his
I'll
ex-teammate,
pretend that didn't
but
happen. I
no
will
one going
pretend
to
that
die
didn't
outside
happen.
of
Go die to
Viper,
Krugs and
who
everything's
fell
okay.
unfortunately in the aftermath.
Beautiful collapse there from T1, and Doran tried to cancel the Vi Q from Peanut over the wall with that flash. Doesn't quite find it, but the big story is, even though Guma loses
problem is
his
he shouldn't
thumbs,
press E.
Owner ensures that the trade goes the way of T1.
Yeah, it was a really nice play there from Owner. Still has his flash available, and you know, in this moment for Peanut, you're thinking you're the police. You're like, you can't be that far up. I'm gonna once again catch you.
Guma's quite
I'm going to
tanky actually
punish.
with steel
I'm gonna
caps.
get this Kalista, but at the same time,
Via
there
MF
is
can't
that
really
follow-up
kill him
from
that
T1.
quick.
They are in the area, and you don't have enough damage to actually burst that Kalista down quickly enough. And so Guma kind of baits them in there, and it's 2 plays in a row for Peanut that looked like they could theoretically work. They were a
4
smart idea
TCS up
in the
Guma right
initial
now.
setup, especially when you look at where Delight is here too. Like, you know, okay, the rest of T1 is so far away on the bottom side.
Flashes,
Owner,
insta-cleanse.
And the Magnet Storm did
Owner's flash
absolutely
was
nothing.
also to try and block Vikyu, I
The
think.
follow flash to get the second activation is why Viper is the one
I think
who
Doran
dies,
just shouldn't press
can't
E
do
down
anything
here.
as this
That
MF
E
in
down,
this
I think, makes it
situation.
so he has to flash and then he
In
flashes and it looks
hindsight,
silly.
it might have been better because they would have killed Guma, but I think the play might have been worse. So for Hanwha, the fact that Guma gets out there, they only gave up 1. If they actually spend the extra time with that TP from
MF
Doran,
has
I
Cull.
think they could have been in some real dire straits, but it's still T1 building the lead, getting the objective control.
Guma didn't base still from that mid-fight, so they're losing Heralds. Now he's staying to try and salvage it.
Gumayusi on a ward. They didn't know that he was walking over there as the Make It Rain coming on down once again. Korea taking a bit of damage as the Rift Herald
Faker
is
moving
on the
up.
lines of HLE.
His positioning looks pretty bad for
Gumayusi
T1.
level 11 now as Shock Blast does so much damage.
Owner got the W off.
And look at this, they're just in the blender. This time Delight making
Deep again
something
by
happen
Peanuts,
as Doran
really
gets
deep.
into the backside. Owner is found.
Really deep
Peanut
by
once
Peanut again.
And now the bullet time's going to need to save them. Gwen is immune, ladies and gentlemen. That's allowing Doran to survive. But the Rift Herald's still up, and T1
All these engages from Hammerlife are so scuffed.
It's Peanut again, disconnected on the other side.
I feel like the
It's
Wukong W
Owner
from
who goes
Owner
for the
was clutch.
punish, and Owner has just been shutting him down in these
Super
big
clutch.
fights where there's just a big discrepancy between where Peanut is, the targets he's chosen, and Hanwha Life's ability to follow up at range.
It's the same play, except
It
this
is the
time
exact
Delight is
same
there, but he
play.
doesn't actually hit the CC chain onto Owner.
keep trying to
Owner
dive into
actually
them.
Gets I think he W'd out. Let's take another look here.
This Wukong
I'm gonna
W
say
by
W's
Owner
out,
was
so he
insane.
doesn't actually get hit by the Delight.
Oh, he doesn't even get it
There
off
you
instantly.
go.
He just
They
gets it off in the
burst
CC
charm, or
chain.
the burst the clone, but not the real
I think he has to ult Doran there, Peanut, if they want to fight.
You need to be in sync with at least Zeka. The fact that Carrier zones away Viper and Zeus is rough, but not the end of the fight. But you need to be in tune with your Ahri. That is the crux of this entire combo. And thus far, Hanwha Life are not hitting the execution threshold, which is crazy.
Gwen
It's Vi!
is
It's
immune.
Ahri!
And it's starting to look like maybe
This
Peanut,
Drake
like
is
a lot of our
massive.
other junglers, have probably
Can
given
Hanwha
up
Life fight
practicing
this
this
Drake?
champion more recently, because it is just permanently banned.
And I don't think it's really about his mastery of Vi. I think it's about the team's lack of coordination
Well, I mean,
around it.
the team needs practice playing around it.
I think they're gonna have to
like,
fight
you need
this
to
Drake.
keep that one well oiled.
They need to win this fight. And it's
Well
only a
oiled.
1K
Carrier no
deficit.
flash.
Sums are available for Viper.
Okay.
The Light has smite.
Peanut a little bit distracted there. Doesn't use any big cooldowns on the clone. As, yeah, they're not out of it just yet or anything like that. It's just some
Faker-
worrying signs so far in this game.
If they lose Drake, they are.
Yeah, Faker
They're
is
leading
Hijack's coming
top
back
side.
available. I think that was a small window there for Hanwha Life to maybe look for something and play through that choke, clear up Banana Brush, but they just kind of give it up. And if T1 get this, like you said, Soul Point, and that's a bigger advantage than the small gold lead that T1 has right now. The fact that they can play around that Soul Point and threaten it, because it's basically checkmate in this game, gives Hanwha Life such a large lack of agency.
And Hanwha Life, if Peanut was spotted on that ward, the Drake would have already been gone. Now he will have time to be in position, at least threaten the steal. And there could be an opportunity, but we need to see a more synced up Hanwha Life if they want to win this.
They have Kalista. They have Kalista. Hanwha Life, you gotta go.
Coming through from everyone.
Double smite on
Zeka
Hanwha Life.
going to
This
make
dragon's
his way
important.
over. Let's see whether this soul point can be denied. Hex gates coming on
It's
in,
a
and
fucking
Zeka finding
massacre.
so much damage.
Oh my
There's
god,
the
Zeus
steal
got
of
it.
Zeus that takes it down, and the Pop Blossom doesn't do nearly
It's great for Hanwha Life.
They're in the pit.
T1,
2
they
kills
do
on the
lose
dragon.
2. They have 3 left, still alive. Shattering Strike.
Guma's
not doing too
gliding.
much as Doran and Guma
Rel
are
down.
able to take down the Rel.
Faker.
And now it's even footing. Faker trying to find it. The dash cannon getting him into this fight is now Viper in trouble. The Canes land.
He's fucking
And
mental.
They try and keep him alive,
He's
but
fucking
it does
crazy.
not work. Zeus trying to push them away, and him and Zek, I don't
He's
think
fucking
it's going to
crazy.
be enough. T1 win the fight, but they don't
T1 answer
take
back
the
3
Drake.
for 2, but Hanwha Life get the dragon. The dragon is really where it's at.
Incredible plays they had
The
there
dragon
on
was
the
so
exit.
needed.
It looked
If they
like
lost that
Hanwha
dragon,
Life
Hanwha Life,
was
this
gonna be
game
able to
was
get that fight
fucked.
there around the pit, but T1 outplay them. The moment here where you see finally Delight gets
How do
the
you even
engagement
secure this
we're
dragon?
looking
It's
for.
3,000 health
Okay,
with an
the
MF ult and
follow-up
3
after the
smites and a
bullet times there
Kalista.
and the shock blast.
It's
That's
a
the
complete
wombo
G
combo
just take
you're
the wheel,
looking
and of
for.
course
But look at this,
Zeus
they
is
get
the
a
one
little
that
bit
gets it.
split in the outset, and then T1 are able to punish.
But this is what you think. You can just exit from the play, but they want more Delight. 5 levels down, by the way. The burst from Guma.
Unk
and
plays
Doran
is good.
just catches
Unk
him
plays is pretty
completely
good. Good
off guard,
patience.
Kinda continuing his struggle. And then here, Viper, I don't think needed to flash the initial needles that came through.
Oh!
God.
He's about to solo kill
Chains gonna have to
Zeus.
be
I think
flashed
Owner
by
will finish it
Zeus,
for him. Flash.
As Faker doing so much work, and
Zeus
Owner is
down.
there with the follow-up. Hands the Golden assist, and they're going to look for a top lane out of turret.
It's again the side lane overload. We saw T1 do this so many
Faker's
times.
Owner was smiling a bit there.
Against KT, but also
He
a
clapped
lot in the
Zeus.
last 2 years. And this
Wait,
time
Faker
it's
is
Zeus
so
on the
fucking locked
receiving
in. What
end
the fuck?
Instead of being the one that benefits
Wait, why is
from
T1
it.
so locked in?
It's not
They're so locked in.
necessarily going to be okay.
They're all
Faker,
clicking
if he wants
forwards.
to auto that turret, he might not be getting out alive. But either way, the thing about this side lane pressure too is that those were the big leads that Hanwha had in the top and mid lane. Their solo laners had the big advantage. Now if T1 win one fight, you just get a little bit of power on the map, and now you can't even clear vision safely as Zeus here on this Jace. When the collapse is going to come through, you're not safe. As a Jace, I mean, Wukong top used to be kind of a counter pick to this champion, but you're just not going to get away from
Zeus
this
is
monkey whenever
kinda
wants to kill you.
Weak this game.
Man, this is
It's been a while since I've seen Zeus Jace
T1
been weak.
Going from strength
He's
to
down a
strength
level.
after their victory yesterday, looking like they have not skipped a beat. 3,000 gold, the lead here in game number 1. And game number 1 is normally a pretty happy place for HLE.
That's why they have really excelled.
13 equals
Now, the
13. Chat, look
thing
at the
for
fucking
T1 they need to be
pink bar.
careful of because this is
You're
a
so
comp
annoying. I hate you.
consisting of basically only squishy champions, right? There's a decent amount with the Shroud, the health that
Why is
comes through
Doran
from
not
both
going
the
top?
Wukong as well as the Silas, but you do need to be careful with that Vi in particular.
Why is
the
Thoran
CC
not
chain is
catching
still
waves?
there from Hamba, but we're slowly getting to the
Why
point,
did
as
Thoran just
mentioned,
lose an
where
entire
Hamba,
top wave?
unless they get a crazy execution on the play, they're just going to be outstatted behind in items, and you don't get that much leeway because you also don't have great front line.
Well, the other cool thing about T1's comp when ahead, we talked obviously about what's going to happen when one of these teams gets ahead. They'll probably steamroll, right? Well, T1 has the lead right now, and it gives Keria so much agency in this game too, because you're playing a dive comp with this Ahri Vi, where you want to go on to a single target and blow them up, and then Keria could just wait and re-engage and ruin your whole setup so easily.
Big items again.
T1 those
These are massive spikes. T1 champs on 1 and 2 items, huge.
Great with Kalista, powerful in lane, but so strong when you
huge
can also
items.
then, you know, hang out in the front and deny
There's
those
a big
engages just by
two-course.
being in the area, and then get fates called out as well. When you're ahead, T1 has
I think
so
T1
much
should
power.
brute force this bot tier 1 and
Right
force
now,
out the gun.
Viper is just trying to hold on
100%.
to the sliver of health
Their champs are so
this
strong
outer
right
turret
now.
still has remaining, and Zeka could be in trouble. Spirit Rush picked up here as Keria comes in. Charm is pretty nice.
They don't
here.
really have a
Is
wave,
going to
though.
land.
I'm not sure what they're doing here.
Now taking a huge chunk of damage. This could be important.
Now
With
they
the
need to
Otacon
base.
up and available, HLE looking for an opportunity.
Zeus has TP, can join at a moment's notice. If they wanted to try to say, hey, you know, 2/3 of Keria's health bar is enough to take an Otacon, but I just don't think it's the call here.
I done now for Viper was really waiting, and if he already had that done, I think they might have actually tried to pull the trigger and at least force a fight. I don't think you can, from this position, actually commit to the Otacon.
Especially because Keria can back and get back so quickly with the Hex Gates as well, which is a big factor here.
We do see, yeah, Viper, that IE is good, but like how much does he actually get to use it in the fights? I think that's going to be one of the big issues, because
30
thus
seconds on
far,
Drake.
T1 have
30 seconds on
already
Drake.
been kind of taking him out of the game, and it kind of reminiscent of what T1 did yesterday to Docdom, with so many backline threats that they have on this team. And you're an immobile AD carry, and I'm sorry, but just that blood
Thoran
first
has his
shield is
fucking
not going
Nashor's
to
in
be
base.
enough.
I forgot about it.
And he also only has some brown bags here as well that were free. But it's not quite going to help you as far as maneuverability is concerned, even with the ability to strut your stuff.
The cleanse isn't going to be enough, and the flash isn't going to be enough. You need your team to be there. You need your team, you need the setup, and you need to be the team
Faker
that's
ulted
getting
on
the first
Ahri,
kill.
what?
Well, they're going to look for it here as Delight going to be able to use that blast
What?
cone,
That's
but
a
he's
kill?
down incredibly low
What
and
the
will get
fuck?
taken down. Possible overextension though, as the Orbit Deception does a lot of work as Faker dashing around the battlefield with his hijacked Spirit Rush. Now Pop Blossom is going to find only one, but it's Zeus.
Zeus
That is a
rooted,
great
MF ult's
target
big,
now.
but
They're
Gwen's
going for the
immune.
jump. The bullet time
That's
doing
another kill.
massive damage, but Doran
That's
now
another
looking
kill.
on top of Viper,
And
who
that's
is
another kill.
completely alone. And
T1
will
just
get
ran at them in a straight line.
The wallet's
They just ran
so
at them.
heavy here for
Faker's
T1,
ulting
and
in a
they
dragon
just
pit.
take HLE
And
out
it's
of the
working.
fight.
They're just sprinting at them. You see what I mean by they're clicking forward? They're so confident. They're
It was
just
him. Zeus tries to react.
just attacking
but the
them.
biggest part of this is Delight
I don't think
dies,
Delight
right?
knows what
If
the
you have
fuck's
that
going
Magnet
what the
Storm,
fuck's going
so
on.
many of these things
There's
go
just
better for
5
you.
people
Maybe not
dashing
the
on him.
bullet time, because I think Viper couldn't have gotten any more value than he did in that one. But there wasn't any follow-up. They were
Soul
so
point,
split,
Otacon,
so
look.
just runs at
Now
Viper,
this
the
might be too much,
misfortune,
Faker.
Immobile, and now Zeka
I
crashing
respect the
with
clicking.
Faker.
Yeah,
But-
Chain's not going to connect here as Delight
but-
will come in, but so
but I
will
guess it's gonna get
Keria.
Rel Flash, right?
Magnet Storm
Maybe?
picked up
No.
by Faker here, taking a fair bit of damage, but they've taken
Bro,
the
T1
soul
was
point.
watching
They've
AL
gotten
last night and said,
exactly what
"Lila."
they want.
And they were like,
Faker
yep.
is able to
And then
keep
they just fucking
himself
queued it up.
alive. 5,000 gold now, the lead for T1.
So the
Look
whole
at this
thing here
engage.
is Delight coming forward, gets rooted, buffers it, gets away.
No
but
vision.
You know where he is. Faker's just not going to give
Just
him
fucking
even
go.
a second. No
Kill him.
space here. Comes in with his ultimate. They get the knockups. Owner takes him out. And now for Honda Life Esports, how are you going to re-engage without
All that
that?
happened
And
was
then
Delight got
the trick
rooted
here
for like half a second.
And Zeus tries to
No
move
flash
away,
on
but the
Zeus.
damage is done. And Viper, he gets enough space from that hammer to actually channel his ultimate fully, but then they just run towards
Faker
him and
flash
kill him
chain on
because
Vi.
he's misfortune, and they didn't get any
Wow,
kills.
that was
Didn't have the damage.
that was
A
actually
little
crazy.
bit more CC could have been the difference maker, as you highlight. Had that Rel been alive, that could have been playable. But T1, as they often do, when they get in this position where the game is just messy, there's
You know what I
fights
think this
happening
whole game is
everywhere.
teaching me?
And I gotta say, if you're Ahri
Wukong is
and
so
you're
broken.
playing into double
I
clone
can't believe it.
and a Shroud, that's annoying.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Look at this guy, just sending Merc Wolves into the enemy jungle. Kind of love this from Keria. Very cool stuff. As all right, Doran going to get jumped on here by Zeus,
Doran
but
is
he
a
doesn't
full
look
tank.
too worried about it. They do get into the circle as Doran just blasts his way out of there. No flashes, no flash, sorry, on Doran, but it's
It's only Faker that's missing it outside of and Carrier on T1, but Gumayusi having his, Ona having his, very important here for T1.
I mean, T1, they're going to have Fate's call back in just 10 seconds here, and they have full control over this choke point. They don't necessarily need to start Baron, but they are going to keep Hanwha worried and interested, and that's big potential. Hanwha tried to come in here and face check. Just a lot of pressure around the fact that Hanwha don't have any idea where T1 are. Look how careful and methodical they have to be to come over and clear this out. And I think with the misfortune in this composition, who's also currently backing, there's no way Hanwha can go, oh, well, they're not here. We'll threaten this. It's not in that game
All
state.
right, T1 just have to wait for Drake.
It's making us look back at that draft and think, you know, perhaps something with a little added range. Like the Jhin could have worked.
Yeah, I thought the Jhin was the right call.
I gotta say, though, when I look at how the early skirmishes played out, I don't know if anything that Hanwha could have
Kuma's
picked would have
items
made
are
a difference.
crazy.
Right?
Good point.
Also, the thing is,
I do think
these
that
two
map none of us
champions
a fan
are
of. I don't
Hanwha
think
champions.
that it has been effective for a
T1
long
plays
time,
them, right,
We've
but they
seen
don't like
even
their mains.
Some of the best maps, Rule or Aiming, kind of drop it for that exact reason.
So if they're winning this game and
as
they
an
took
AD
away
carry,
Kalista
the
as
most value
Sylas,
you're gonna get. And
that's
this
quite
scenario is
dangerous,
Viper's
actually.
obvious just getting that one good ult, but the Light has also been struggling, so that's not really happening.
And I don't know if the Jhin would have helped Peanuts overextensions in those first few fights, which is really where the big story is here. It's not like Viper's having a bad game. He's 0-3-2, but that's because he's MF, and that's because his team is behind into this insane engaged composition here from T1.
Stop being so annoying.
With
Kalista
can just rip him to shreds.
Yeah. Speaking of being ripped to shreds, Peanut going to try and get over the wall, but the flash is there for Owner, and he just knocks down the Vi. There is nowhere that Peanut is safe in this game.
And T1 were ready to say, we're going to trade Vi for Kalista.
Kalista was played once this entire split by Guma, and Faker is a Victor main. I know they played it before, but Hanwha Life would snatch these two champs instantly if they could.
Banned champion here in the LCK. Peanut has a 0-5-2 performance on it, and T1, they're very happy with the risk they took.
Peanuts had a really bad game.
There's also no jungler. So let's see whether HLE can try and kill T1 before they take this Baron. It looks like it's going to be impossible. Under 4,000 health as Delight goes in, finds the Magnus Storm.
Oh, carry a miss, but doesn't matter. Faker would have still
do too much. They take down the Gwen, but this is still Baron picked up for T1. They go for the fight, and they're looking to try and turn it. Gumayusi takes
complete
down
stomp.
They've dealt with
complete
this
stomp. It's over.
T1,
base, go to Drake. Take top
everything.
tier 2 base, go to Drake. Whatever it is, do it.
Well,
do it, and you'll win.
Do
it, and you'll win.
Play. They already had such a massive lead. We didn't expect Hanwha was going to be able to win that fight as Carrier potentially punished here. We're getting trolled by the observers.
Was Carrier dancing or what?
Oh dear.
No, don't tell me Peanut did again.
Punished here just a little bit. Slowed down by
Peanut.
the end.
Oh, Peanut.
Going to be coming up pretty soon here, and Faker comes on over. He's just going to escort
Peanut.
in and escort HLE out of this first game.
11k gold lead.
We can talk about the drafts,
can they end?
But for me, it's just the form of
can't.
Hanwha Life. They look desynced. They don't really.
I told you, man. I told you. Everyone's gonna say Hanwha Life 3-0, 3-1, whatever it is.
Been playing towards this
but and the theory in the paper should say that Hanwha Life is way better.
We kind of knew it was.
But for some reason, it just never happens the way you think it will. When it's T1.
Doesn't let him have it. Carrier, his ultimate does practically nothing, but it doesn't matter because the fight is just so split because T1 have full control over this area. Peanut wasn't alive. He wasn't there. And right afterwards, he tries to punish, and he dies, and now he's not alive here for what is going to finally be Hextech Soul here for T1. And this game could not be more over.
It could not. So that
all right,
is going to be the
T1, this game's over. I'm sure Hanwha Life knows it too.
They've already taken
but
the mid lane inhibitor.
Now they have to think about next game.
He's looking for a bit of bounty gold.
Because they'll be back on red side. The draft does get a bit easier for them, though.
We had two
in terms of
T1
contested
predictors,
picks.
and on our global side, we had several 3-0 Hanwha predictors. Hanwha Life came in as the massive favorites, but T1 having the momentum.
They will still have to keep the Yone Italia ban. I think Zeka's going to have to ban or pick Azir next game, no matter what. And Faker Akali might have to happen.
Feeling a little bit silly for some of my opening
because then at least if they take Azir, you take Akali, you trade. You trade OPs kind of for each other.
But momentum is so powerful, and T1 in this stadium, man, just feels like they are unlocked an extra level. And Faker now picking up a Magnus Storm for himself. That is going to be 2 inhibitors. This is, of course, feeling like a little bit of ceremony because this game is all but over. That is going to be a bit of an engage onto Doran, but he does go into the mid.
Doran,
that is fight 4 people. Going golden here. Those big old scissors doing some work. There
Peanut's about to go 0-7.
The bullet time coming in, but the wallets are so big. The pop
Peanut's
are massive as well. And
Peanut had a rough game. Peanut has such a rough game. Peanut needs to bounce back right now.
At the same time, T1 1-0 in the series.
Guma gets up
From the
and leaves,
perspective
doesn't
of
check the
Hanwha
stats.
Life,
Doran the
You
same,
got
my guy.
reverse swept,
Faker
and
stats
you end
checker.
the game
Faker, stop
that
looking
I
at the
think You
stats.
should have been happy with when it comes to draft.
What's Faker doing?
With a
Maybe he's
clean
opening the
ace,
stream to
and
jump in the
really a
chat
lot
and
of
say
fights
1-0.
that just didn't go your
Check the
way
chat,
at
see if
all.
Faker
I
writes
mean,
1-0 in the chat.
terms of momentum in mindset-wise, I don't think you could be any lower as Hanwha Life after, like you said, getting reverse swept. That puts you in such an abysmal position. You had the extra prep day advantage over T1.
There it is.
You were able to watch them play yesterday, and they still tricked you. They left the Vi open, and then the Vi play just was not backed up by good team coordination from Hanwha Life. So you got the Giga pick, and Peanut does 5.3k damage and a 0 and 7, I believe, at the end of the game. And if you're the coaching staff after this one, if you're the players after this one, you're really going to have to get your head, your mindset in
I
the
feel
right
like Hanwha
place
Life
after
is
a
in this
loss
weird
like this.
spot right
The
now.
loss streak for Hanwha continues.
Yeah, that is
Where
you want to see. Thankfully,
T1 will ban Yone
hopefully
Talia,
Dandy there,
and they
maybe
kind
they
of will
can,
keep.
help
I
Peanut
presume
out
they'll
of
keep
this
the Azir
run.
ban, but if they
I think a
drop
lot
the
of it
Azir
came
ban and
down
first
to
pick it, I think
not
Faker should
expecting
be
that
confident enough to play
Vitality
Akali
left,
into it
not having too many
and do the same
plans
thing.
in this game,
Zeka
number
takes
one.
one of Faker's
HLE
champ,
may be
Faker takes one of
scared
Zeka's
another
champs.
reverse sweep because now that's impossible. So I guess they've ticked that off. Maybe that's the code.
That's something at least.
I mean, we need
And when it comes to people saying like Kalista Sylas, I hope you understand that I'll show you statistically what I mean by taking away champs, because a lot of people seem to have this notion of like Guma Yushi and Faker are like the goats of Kalista Sylas, and you are right in past tournaments. But in this split, they are different. Like, let me show you an example, okay? Just so you don't say like weird take. This is Viper's stats this split. 7 games of Kalista, 85% win rate. This is Guma's stats this split. 1 game of Kalista. See what I mean? Like, Hanwha Life is the Kalista team. Guma doesn't play much Kalista this split. That's why I'm saying they're taking away their champs, that they play a lot during the season itself. That's why I'm heading towards it. Kalista is banned against T1 a lot though, yeah. It was good by them to go Nico 1-2. Also, the other good news that you might think is kind of funny. Is Rel is out. Which is kind of good. Because carry as Rel is probably, even though he's played it this year, is his worst champ. So he doesn't have to play Rel now, which is good. He played it yesterday, it was good. But overall, carry as Rel is the one champ you look at and you're like, wait, why is it out of a team that was like winning a lot? Why is Rel like a little negative? So that's good at least. So I think after game 1, champions-wise, T1's pretty happy. Zeus' Jace is out. A lot of champs are gone. Wait, who said Sue? You know what I was watching yesterday, chat? And I'm not here. This is the only good thing I'll say about it. I was watching Valorant yesterday. Now, you might say, Caedrel, why are you watching Valorant? Why are you watching Valorant? Okay, the reason I was watching Valorant was because Boaster was playing. And the only time I'll ever watch Valorant is if Boaster plays. And Boaster was playing. I watched for like 2 rounds, and then there was a pause for an hour, so I just fucking went to sleep. But, what I will say that Valorant did well, I sat in that pause for fucking 45 minutes and I said, fuck this, I'm going to sleep. What I will say is Valorant's break music is good. The music that they are playing during that 1 hour break, I was jamming to that music. I just had that on the background. I was enjoying it. That's the best thing I think about Valorant. Their music in their breaks is fucking great. They got gapped by Gen.G. Yeah, I didn't see much. I couldn't see much. I only watched game 2, and then Gen.G was winning, and then there was a pause. So. CS major thoughts? I haven't been following it. All I know is I watched One Pixie last night, and he said that it's simple versus Na'Vi in a big stage. But I didn't know when that was. Was that today or is that next week? Next week. This is kind of what the Valorant music sounded like in the break. So you like drum bass? Yeah. How the fuck is T1 up 1-0? What happened? Am I fucking crazy? Well, everyone's predictions are cooked now. Jonah Strong predicted 3-0 Hammerlife. T1 game 1 win. Jonah Strong cooked.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sajik Indoor Stadium where T1 felt the home team buff and are up 1-0 against Hanwha Life Esports. The red side dominance continues yet again. Digon here alongside Wadid and Ox to break down that game number 1.
New magic trick. Open Vi. And they're completely lost. They don't know how to deal with Vi, right? Like, what's happening?
And the thing is, you know, normally in this situation, red side is kind of banning Vi for the whole series.
Yeah.
And now it's just off the table. You know, you've dealt with it. And you kind of wonder, okay, maybe there was like a thought process, because they obviously went into this planning to leave the Vi open. And, you know, Vi, not the best against like Gwen, Wukong, and Nico also. It's kind of hard to pin them down because they have the clones.
Actually, T1 is really annoying to draft against. What a rat team.
But it really felt like the
I ban Pantheon. You ban Yone, okay. I ban Rumble. You ban Poppy.
I mean, I feel like
so now you're forcing me to play like Vi Kalista. So I have to ban Azir now, otherwise you're getting Azir if I first pick Vi. Then you ban Talia. And now there's Kalista Nico.
I mean, clearly they wanted the
Vi.
It was just so far away.
And you know what's worse? It's gonna happen again. The exact same thing.
And then you first pick Vi away.
And flash out.
And there's Gwen.
what is
You first
happening?
pick Vi away and they
Like,
go
I
Gwen
really don't
Nico.
know what's
Now
their
I can't go
idea
Kalista, because if I go
behind,
Kalista Renata
and
into
also, I
into
feel
Nico
like,
1-2, I got
Delight,
Draven Nico or
skill
something, I
usage
get
of Rel
blasted.
was kind of off as well. I really don't know why
You have to
he's
deal
just
with Azir,
demounted
you have to
every
deal with
single time before
Kalista.
the team fight.
And the thing is,
The
you
mid
know,
pool's pinched.
I just
And
feel like
they
when
get
you
Gwen.
go on first pick Vi on this pick that has so much weight on it, you know,
It's
you end up
so
giving
annoying.
Over, like, the Gwen to Doran
Like
as well,
what
which he had a
what
great
can you
game on.
realistically
he was
last
playing
Ben
into a
there to
matchup
fix it?
where we've seen
Like
Zeus play
think about it.
the Jace and the Gwen and run away with the matchup. Doran did
I'll
really
make
well.
you
He
I'll make it
traded
visual
flashes,
so you
he
can
lost
we can
his
get it better.
to Zeus and managed to answer back and had a great game from there on out. And if you're first picking this Vi to do that, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I mean, both those picks that T1 got back.
What can you
were the
less
ones
ban
that
here
were
to make the
zoning
draft
up
worth it?
follow-up after Peanut went on in. The
If I
Gwen
ban,
having
let's say I
zone
ban
control
nothing.
over Zeka,
You know, I
on the
ban like
opposite side, the
fucking
Nico
God
preventing
knows what.
Delight and the rest of the team getting on in, and then T1 take control.
Then
of
there's
the
Vi,
rest of the game here,
Azir,
and it
Gwen,
is an
Kalista.
exclamation point for what is to
Then
come
what?
in the
You
rest
first
of the
pick Vi.
series.
Yeah, again, the setup is off. You are not
Then they
allowed
get
to
Gwen
walk
Azir.
in there if you
Then
do
you could
not
get
have the
Kalista Nico,
mid-priority,
but then they can still
and I
pick
think
whatever
they should
AD they
know
want.
that, but
And they have
it's
Gwen
not
Azir solo
happening.
lanes, I guess.
The T1 comp is all about just jump over the wall, chase
AD
them
jungler
down.
on
They
4.
have Silas, Wukong,
No
which is
count
really
picks,
great
really.
to just chase them down. And
Or you just pick your
also,
best jungler into
they're
Vi.
not dropping this Drake
That
as
seems
well.
kind of
They're just
annoying.
still
I feel like
desperate
topside
to
gets
fight
pinched a
for
bit.
this
They
vision
lose
control
Jace.
when Jace has no flash.
You lose
and
Jace, you lose Jax
cannot
into Gwen,
win
or you
this
lose
fight
Akali Sylas
clearly.
into Azir.
Yeah, they end up getting the ult. It's a good flash from Viper.
If you
but
ban a-
Zeus doesn't have his,
if
he
you
gets
ban
caught.
Nico,
And then here Viper,
they get
like
Gwen
the ult,
Azir.
this is one of the few ults that actually gets decent value.
You
but
could
it's not
ban
enough
Vi.
to really finish targets off, and as soon as Doran's in his face,
And they
the
ban
MF just
Talia.
can't really do anything. And it
Then you
just feels
first
like they
pick
kind of fall
Kalista, but
apart.
then they
And
get Gwen
considering,
Nico.
You know, they had a strong start with the Vi.
So you
Vi
could
Ahri
first pick
typically
Nico,
a
but then they
really
get
powerful
Gwen.
combo. The first 3 picks
I guess you'd have to
for
ban
HLE
Vi
in this
and
draft,
first pick
I
Nico.
feel like there was a lot of power for them. They must have been
Or
feeling
Gwen.
confident, and it fell apart so quickly.
First
I mean,
pick
again,
Nico, I guess.
They are underperforming, clearly, because
Or
I
you
feel like Zeus should win
ban
this matchup
Kalista on
harder.
blue.
Because I feel like I just saw
But then they get Azir.
Doran being just completely okay after the first laning phase, because he was just literally same CS, and he was getting the priority against
Because you
Jace,
don't give Owner
which
Vi. Owner
cannot
Vi this
make
year is
sense.
fucking
I mean,
crazy.
I feel like just every single thing that HLE had in this game was all about the misplay, and I think you have to just. All right, just
That was a
forget
pretty bit
about,
tricky
what they
situation
did
to
in
deal
game
with.
one and just reset
you
your
weren't ready
mindset,
for it.
just going into the next.
Obviously, they have
Go back
30
into
seconds
that,
to think
right
about it.
Before we had that first pause, it was Zeus flashing away from Doran in that 1v1. So surprising to see the come up here by Doran. For many people, maybe not the T1 fans, but for many people,
Faker
because
high fives
of
to
how
fans, W.
dominant Zeus has been throughout his whole career, and specifically this LCK season, leads the league in CS, leads the league
So
in
now
experience
HLE's
within
blue.
the laning phase.
And I mean, obviously HLE, this is poor showing from them. You know, they just got reverse swept by Gen G, maybe still reeling from that. But
I think the Yone ban will
T1,
stick.
this game was cleaner
I think
than
the Pantheon
honestly
ban will
any of the
stick.
games they had against KT.
I think the
It feels like
Poppy
they-
ban will
They
change.
just go in from strength to strength on the back of this and had a really strong
I think the
performance
Talia
there.
ban
And
will probably
if
stick.
this form continues, it's not just a question
Now
of them
Hammerlife
being
have to decide if they
but
first pick Azir or
looking
not.
towards MSI, they'll have a great run there if they
Rumble
continue
ban will probably
playing
stick
like
as
this.
well.
Yeah, 4 game losses in a row here for Hanwha Life Esports, but don't fret. The team that has won game 1 every time here in Busan has lost the series. That said, they're going to have to do it against T1. Let's find out. Game number 2 starts right now.
Oh, Digon, that is my kind of sample size. Oh, baby. Because we've only had 2 other
Would
series,
T1
but
want
still,
to Varus?
he is
I feel
absolutely
like they probably
correct.
would.
The reverse sweep that does seem to have
They probably would.
stayed with Hanwha Life Esports still in their minds. The best thing is, Digon did say 4 game losses in a row. They can go to 5.
I feel like first pick Varus is
and
kind of
still
useless.
be in with a shot.
Yeah, I think one of the things I want to make sure expectation-wise everyone watching kind of realizes is that despite the fact that that game was incredibly stompy, based on drafts, it was always going to be when one team pulled ahead. We could have had the exact opposite scenario if Peanut played a bit measured, wasn't going in like that, or Tully hits a few more abilities, and Hanwha get a massive lead, and they snowball the win. I don't think Hanwha fans should be worried necessarily, unless we see another one of these in game 2. I think it's the type of game that makes T1 look incredibly strong. Well, they played really well, but once you got to the latter half of that game, it was almost a foregone conclusion. So let's see.
All right, let's
the
see.
Second draft,
Hanwha Life blue.
here is in game 2.
Yeah, it's going to be
Why
the
is Hanwha Life choosing
resilience
blue? Isn't
tested
red side winning
here
every
for
game?
Hanwha Life Esports, and we've seen they don't
I'm
really
guessing
seem to care
that
too
bans
much
will
about
stick.
losing.
I guess
Let's see
Pantheon
whether
ban
that
will stick.
continues here on this particular stage.
Peanut and the Light
Unless
in
they've changed.
particular,
Okay, they
I
ban
think
us here
need to step
instantly.
it up after that game. Viper definitely
Yone ban should stick. No way you're gonna give Zeka Yone, right? Unless you're gonna play some crazy Aurora into it, but I just don't see it.
Super excited about. But Peanut needs to step it up. This player is very important for how this team functions, because we have highlighted the contrast between
Talia ban on
both
red
of
is
these
also
two
good.
teams like
Ornn ban is
GNG
Rumble
is
first
that
pick.
Their junglers are often enabling. Now, after that Wukong performance, I'm not sure if I can still say that about Owner, because he did kind of go haywire. Was 10-1
Nice, Talia ban
near
6.
the end.
They
But more
don't
often
touch
than
the
not,
Rumble.
Their job is to facilitate early action and try and make sure that these skirmishes go the right way, as this is a clear Rumble B1 setup here for Hanwha.
Unless the Trundle is banned, in which case it's a clear Scion B1 pickup.
That's the big branching path. As I was on the same page as you, Max, I was thinking that we were going to see a Trundle ban to come through here in this final spot, and that would have, of course, likely just ban T1, or force T1 to ban Scion in that third slot. As
there it is.
said. And so that's what we're going to see. So
Scion Rumble
Scion
trade.
here,
If you
Doran
ban
has
Rumble, they
something
take Scion
prepared
first
into
pick.
it,
You ban
but the
Scion,
Gwen
they
is
take
already
Rumble
gone.
first pick.
Doran not known to play
How do you
Nidalee,
solve this puzzle?
in the top lane, so I imagine they'll just take it away.
But
Depends what you have into them.
Yeah, if you ban Scion, you do play into the Rumble, right?
Yeah.
Which, that is
Can you play
definitely
Galio into
something
Rumble?
that's
Do you ban
quite
Rumble? Do
scary,
you play
especially with
fucking
Gwen already
Cho'Gath
taken
into
up the
Scion?
board.
Yorick into
See what they do
Scion?
decide to take away here. It might just
I
be
think
the
Rumble ban
because
is good.
It is the
Let's see
more
what they-
frightening
I don't know.
of the two options. Let's see,
Yeah,
it is
I
going to be
think
the
much
Rumble.
better
So
to
there
play
we
into
go.
Scion than
Scion
Rumble.
up and available.
Rumble sounds
Can
disgusting.
just be locked in here for
Zeus
Zeus.
is not necessarily a Scion type player. He doesn't like to play tanks as much, but I feel like Scion, the mastery we've seen
If you
in the
don't
LCK
take
this
Scion
year
here,
on this pick,
Doran
you
will
can
want
Zeus
to it,
Scion,
but then
like, you can
Aatrox
be
will come out
aggressive,
from
can
Zeus.
trade
Is that
aggressively,
scary?
you can
They
win
could
lane
3
on
pick
Scion
Scion
for
if they
sure.
want.
We've also seen him carry team fights just with the way he's able to get into the back line, be a giant
Oh,
behemoth.
Zeus is first
This
picking
does
Scion.
open the
Is
possibility
this where
of
we are
Doran
already in
Camille,
game
which
2?
I'm kind of down for.
You think
What if they just
the Camille TF?
Could you, I'd love to see it again. They won't be able to get the Trundle alongside it, which is also phenomenal in that. I mean,
was
that
so
draft
fun.
was the quintessential perfect 1-3-1. Was so beautiful
So
to
there's
see
Varus
it, but we're not
Jhin,
going to see an
there's
exact
top match.
replica of that.
There
are
is
still other big opportunities.
Other picks
Pantheon
like the
open.
Rise, the Victor were ones I think T1 were considering here going into this first part of their red side draft, just because their champs that
Phantom
can
Xin
side
Zhao.
lane really well. I mean, you already know that Sion is
Rise
gonna be on
won
the
too. I
whip,
see
so his
this-
side laning isn't
I saw this
very strong
yesterday, I feel
necessarily
like.
against the later parts of the game, and Guma
was it
will
the
get
day
his
before
hands on
yesterday?
the Varus, which does give a roar through the crowd as it's one of his most famed picks.
Yeah, particularly right here. I think that makes a lot of sense. A little smile there.
I do think that it's going to be a different flavor. I think he has to be the on-hit version if he's ever going to get through this round.
For sure. Also, the Xin Zhao is open for Peanut.
Come on in, Xin Zhao.
Victor
Come on
to
in,
me makes a
Zeka.
lot of
Pick
sense.
the fucking Victor.
Theoretically should have a really good matchup into the Rise, be able to bully it out, outrange it with a pretty substantial margin.
Ooh, are we there already?
You can also do this, and it is
Are we
Zeka,
there already?
So I am completely okay with this.
And I also imagine Zeka is probably a bit mad after the last game because he did play decently well. Instead, he just plays Victor, which is a little bit of a shame, but I think makes so much more sense in the context of this series.
I agree.
Because taking the Victor away from Faker is
It's
a
the
huge
fearless
deal.
angle.
Yeah,
exactly. It's a fearless angle, and it's very powerful here. Now let's see what that counter pick is going to be for Doran,
There's a
or
Pantheon.
perhaps just to lock in the
I think
Pantheon
Doran's
and
probably
prio
got
that,
champions
so you can
into
have double
Sion.
global with Rise Pantheon here, and that still allows you to play, you know, picks like the Camille incredibly well. It's a similar story. You just side lane pressure, you have that global to back it up, and you just blow up the carry in the back line when you.
I find it
engage in
funny
the
how
team
these
fights.
teams are like drafting
Still the
like
off
they're
chance
each
that
other.
this is Pantheon support carrier has played it before.
Because
I
they're
don't
just
think
trying to deny
cycling
champs.
often, the
Also,
Like,
performance of-
if
No,
I
it was
do
bad.
this,
It was bad. I just feel like we should mention it because it did happen before. But
and I told you to guess which side was
The
T1.
Xayah ban furthers like the
This is
same sort of
T1's
identity
champs.
where you're like, okay, I'm going on the back line.
Sion, Xin Zhao,
We've got
Victor.
a Victor here that's fairly vulnerable. I don't want them to have the Xayah, that extra safety. So it does make a ton of sense. You
Why the
could
fuck is
also ban
Hamlet playing
Ezreal here,
Sion,
I
Xin
suppose,
Zhao,
in the same
Victor?
vein as T1.
I don't know about Vayne. Haven't seen her.
No matter who
Xayah,
I'm casting with,
Ezreal.
honestly,
I have.
it does it to me every
Did you
They
catch that
don't
cool
ban
cinematic?
Jhin.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Vayne.
Oh,
She was in it.
I mean, she's in the cinematic, and we all watched the Uzi video.
I know.
Yeah.
The Renata ban is interesting here. As far as
What have you got
Renata's
for me,
really
Doran?
powerful in lane,
Go on,
but-
drop a
I like
Mordekaiser
it
or
with
something.
the Nico band already.
Go crazy.
Well, the Renata isn't that high value against Hanwha's comp in team
Checks.
fights yet. So that's the part that was a little bit puzzling to me. But I do think it's a strong laning support. But Keria, we know he has a few range supports he does like to play.
Let's see what he's thinking about now as Gumayushi's pick is
Poppy
to come
flex.
through. The Poppy
Yeah, this is
Could be that
almost a
support gang
triple
angle.
flat.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can put Poppy top, which I don't think you really want to do that into Sign, but you could, right? And then the Pantheon and Poppy both could go in multiple positions, so we don't really quite know yet where everything's going. And I like this from T1. This is one of the things that you can do on red side, as this is a no-brainer.
Is this Poppy going to have any value?
And then maybe Nautilus is one that you could look towards if you want to have a guaranteed way of
It does
locking
block
down
engage
that backline.
support blinds.
Leona is still open as well.
Leona feels a little bit safer here, especially because you have if you
like
have Leona
Alistar.
in this,
I
you
feel
have
like
such a
Nautilus
great
is
front
pretty
line. You have
chill.
Xin Zhao, Leona, and the Scion.
But they could put Poppy top and pick Brown, but does it win them the
Jin
game?
Can follow up. But the Nautilus, I think, does work here.
Rakan is pretty safe.
Rakan?
Yeah, Rakan is difficult.
Rakan
But then that walks into Nautilus on 5.
Yeah.
I think Nautilus is the best.
Okay,
Is
well,
Brown
yeah.
going to win them the game?
And this is purely because the Poppy was on the other side, looking like it was possibly heading into the support position.
I'm best at top. Chat, I'm going to run ads. If you know what ads, you can see on Twitch Prime. I'm going to have sub channel for the one to back for the game. So here's a big kiss.
Has been so incredibly good.
I think when you're playing a comp like this with the Rise, you want to have the Pantheon in the
I'm
jungle.
best
because
at
he's gonna be
Pantheon
more
Poppy.
omnipresent. He's going to be able to follow up on the side lanes a little bit better. We'll be able to get into the backline. We'll
T1
just
needs
have
to play
more
quite
farm
quick this
to,
game.
to access the Jhin and the Victor. Just more powerful as a champion there. The Poppy, much more utility based, is going to still be able to make that impact with their ultimate.
Harmonized
in
comps
the
just
jungle.
look scary.
Be decent into
They
the
have
Nautilus, obviously,
strong
is
jungler,
great for anti-dive.
tank top
So
that's fucking
the
strong,
Poppy quite strong when you
and
have a
good
strong
team
pushing
fighting
lane
mid
like
bot.
Varus, and I like
T1
this
have
setup
like
with
double
Carry on Poppy
global,
more than it had it been
Poppy ult
Owner's
to make it
Poppy.
4v5.
T1 is playing a very similar style.
Engage
right?
is
We have
kinda
Carry in the top
okay.
lane. We have a very brawly kind of
T1 just need to
looking
fist
for the
fight a bit.
skirmishes style
They need a bit of
composition
Lila.
with the double globals. Homo Life kind of pulled back. They're like, okay, we tried a more skirmishing style. It just didn't work at all. Part of that was the play, but I think part of it is Homo just saying, we are going to play it safe. We're going to play a lot more around Viper. We're going to get a
They need
consistent
a little
team
bit of
fight
Lila.
comp, and we are just going to match in the 5v5, which last game they weren't able to.
Yep, and I think you say around Viper, but I think a lot around Zeka as well. I think this composition does kind of scream, Zeka played really well in the last game. Let's all facilitate that and see whether he can take us over the line, because the Victor is going to be doing so much of the damage in the later stages of the game. We'll see how well the Jhin is going to perform, but we know sometimes struggles on those numbers later on. And T1, once again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they've got carries coming from just about everywhere and ways to really mess up these fights. Let's get into game number 2 and see whether T1 can get to an early match point.
T1 하나 둘 셋.
Oh man,
T1
you really
is
get an
fighting.
idea of how many people there are in the Sajik Indoor Stadium here when they do the T1 fan chant. You absolutely do. This place was shaking.
I'm pretty sure that's also the same skin, and he's on the same position as he was in the quarterfinal
Spellbook
against
carrier.
LNG when he found the outplay, Guma.
Oh my
the 1v2, you know, when our mutual...
Wait, and he has gone lethality.
Yeah, when our mutual friend, Mr. Draco, said that he's just better. That was right here.
I was also in the arena when that
I was here as well. And I think I had hearing issues after that.
That was a good play. Taking a look at the rune setups here, I don't think we see anything too surprising. Zeka going for Airy for maximum attempt at
Now, does
keeping
Zeus
the
not
pressure
play
in that lane.
Sion?
And Keria,
Is he going to proxy? He's
perhaps
already got the wrong
biggest
skin.
enjoyer of Spellbook. This man, I feel like on every single champion where you don't strictly need something else, has been going it.
Yeah, and is going to give you a lot of power, especially because how well Poppy can just straight up
God, that
TP
sound
to
of
an
the sound
objective
shield
and,
pop is
ult two
satisfying.
people away or just ult the jungler away. I want to be able to be anywhere at any time with that teleport. And the double smite, obviously quite powerful when you also have a Varus, as Guma has proven in the past. Did go for Comet in this game. Not go for lethal tempo despite the Scion that is on the other side. Just knowing there's a ton of damage with this Rise, I suppose. Feels like he wants to hit those backline targets and blow up the Victor, follow up on the Pantheon. I suppose that's the idea.
They do have a lot of damage, and Doran should be able to have a
Barrier
decent
pop.
chance getting through the tank.
Carrier
Oh
tanking.
my goodness, it's a lot of damage onto Carrier. Viper with that fourth bullet available takes him down below 300.
I still get caught off guard how often these level 2 spikes
I don't want to be that guy, but man,
I know all of you know. We know.
this could age like milk, but I feel like
nicely
Hamlife's
done
going
there
to
is
stomp them this good.
Okay, Guma in a lot of trouble here as he's lit on fire. Delight catching him off guard there just a little bit. We don't have a lot of context as to what was happening here as Zeka Pushing Faker underneath
I'm just
the
seeing
turret.
a poke
Victor actually
Varus
doing a
rise,
decent
and I'm
job here
seeing
in
like
the
a
lane thus
Sion
far. That
Xin
death
Zhao
rate's
Nautilus,
starting
and
to
I'm thinking,
Yeah, Guma just trying to get that last wave, but unfortunately will not get
Does
it as a
Hammerlife's
result
champs
of that
die?
ignite. Can't stay for it anymore, so a lot of minions lost. I mean, he's sitting on 6 CS.
That's a really big deal. I want you to look at the experience bar as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's a whole level behind, a full level.
Okay, that's insanity. Still, the wave is stacking up, and at least Carrier will be able to get a level or two, but still, I like that we're checking out the Zen lane. As I say Zen, my god, Doran is so close to dead.
Like I said, you can Zeus this now.
Yeah.
Sion is very strong.
He is going to eat a potion. That should help him, at least momentarily.
Hit the roar.
Yeah, the roar of the Slayer, cutting that
God,
armor
cookies
down
are so
really
OP.
does mean that that Q hurts a lot.
He still has Cookie as well. Zeus is really, I think, feeling confident. Peanut, this is even, like, with Zinzo, you can't dive this. He does get pinged, so I think that they do have a suspicion. Peanut not going to run the risk. I don't know if they know where Owner is. Owner, of course, now currently on that bot side, Krabby.
Yeah.
Scary
Krabby
moment
Patty.
there for Doran, though, for sure.
Yeah, so things going okay as far as the laning phase is concerned, but that is not what HLE had. Like, that wasn't the problem that they had. It was coordination in teamfights and skirmishes where the issues started to crop up, and that was where T1 started to excel. Speaking of which, Owner comes towards this mid lane as Zeka
just
kind of
walks
amount of
away.
on the gravity field. Doesn't
Look
have
at
to use the
Zeka's
flash, but
items.
has just teleported
Disgusting.
back to this lane. That is a big deal.
It doesn't feel great when you come back to lane and lose most of your health, and now struggling to get the trades you were looking for. It's too high risk. As question mark ping's going down here on T1 on the location of Peanut, tracking where he is well here as the lane swap does come through. Carrier is going to have to babysit this wave here, but again, so much farm lost. Once again here for Guma, finds himself now nearly 20 CS down.
20
He's not going to get this whole wave either.
At 5 minutes into the game, that is a very large number.
Yeah, Guma's getting a bit
Still
blasted.
might be able to get some value from this lane swap, and there is a cannon up here
Will he
towards
get it?
the top side, and he does get it. There's the piercing arrow to lock that one down. So Gumisha coming on over, and Zeus might park
Zeus is
himself
pretty
in
healthy.
this brush, but of course T1 did that little strategy yesterday, so I don't think he's going to get caught off
T1
guard.
swapped, but I don't think Hammerlife care. They have Sion top.
Was kind of waiting for Zeus to walk out. Not going to fall for it. As we have both teams, I think, looking towards that dragon.
There's just such a huge hole in the top and bottom lane in terms of farm right now, in terms of experience. There's a significant lead, obviously, still there in that top lane, but Dragon is going to go the way of T1 here. Timings of these resets.
Drake stacking is
Later
going to be
back
very
for Zeus.
important.
And this is Carrier coming over with Owner, and obviously with the, Ambessa in the bottom lane who hits level 6, there's just no real opportunity for contest. You see Zeus is going to ult back
Guma
to the
recovered a
bottom
lot of
wave here to
experience
catch
by going
on
top
what
by
he
himself.
can, but the Dragon still goes over. So once again, T1, full Dragon control in this series.
Still, I feel like HLE have been really good at picking up every minion wave, so getting maximal experience in this game thus far. As Doran looking to go a little bit aggressive here towards the bottom side. Farming Cinder now done for Zeus. He can continue pushing things pretty comfortably.
It's interesting, though, that T1 basically had 2 losing lanes and was still able to get Prio on the objective, right?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
It's with the timing of the resets, like Zeus reset so late and didn't have TP and then just ulted down.
value.
They were like, all right, because Doran went first. Doran had TP bottom, and I think that's a big part of why
Cannon dead.
were not able to contest there. And I feel if you look at the experience, you can see Guma's actually completely caught up to Viper with the time he spent alone there in the top side. So still a significant CS difference that you could see reflected in the gold lead for Viper, but things looking a little bit better than they were moments before.
We also have Peanut, who was just pathing towards top side. And as you say, really not looking to contest. And the first Dragon, I don't think is really going to be too worrying, but it's more in the context of the series thus far, where objective control really has been T1's strong suit. But Half-Life this time around can be very happy to just kind of sit around until they've hit like an item and a half at least, with the amount of scaling that they have. T1 obviously still have elements that scale well. I think the Rise is a no-brainer. Poppy really never loses value, and Ambessa becomes a much bigger problem in side lane. But as a cohesive unit, I do think you can struggle as you get towards the later stage. And if you have to fight 5v5s against Honwa, you can't get on top of Viper, things can become very tough.
Well, speaking of things that are tough, Zeus here underneath his outer turret in the bottom lane. Ooh, Roar of the Slayer going to get blocked here by the Sion. By the Ambessa. That's going to deny a bit of that farm. Zeka dealing with Faker here in the mid lane, who did creep towards that bottom side.
Zeus can get
That's why we were
Dovin.
saying that Zeus could be in trouble, and still he might be.
But they will
as
lose
Owner is in
grubs.
position.
Faker as well.
He's not gonna commit, but they're just going to get plates out of this, and it's going to deny Zeus a lot of farm. So this is still a big win, even if they don't get a kill. And Doran is even looking to deny a back here. We'll proxy this wave. And obviously on the top side, this means grub control does go to Peanut, but with a Scion and a Victor, do you really care that much as T1 if this does go over? I think the answer is probably no.
Yeah, a lot of damage from that dancing
Dive
grenade,
the
but
Scion
like you were
now.
saying, Grub's going to be the trade for a decent amount here towards the bottom side. Zeus is just trying to play that weak side Scion. And here is the Realm Warp in as Faker off to the side, doesn't get hit by that Q, and in comes Owner to finish him off. First blood.
Why didn't Zeus ult out? Oh, Faker's gonna die. He's
Does
dead.
come through. Actually, Zeka just walking down towards
Execute.
his bottom side. His Faker
Oh, what?
just executes himself.
Flashes the
Denies
Victor
money
E and
to
executes.
HLE.
That's huge. And you know, if that Q
But it
hits on
actually
the
is
Realm Warp,
massive.
it's a little bit different, I think, for how the story does eventuate, but Faker's able to avoid it. And that's a big win.
They have Pentanals
no
here.
real loss here
But
for
that is a
Hanwha
level
Life.
6
Or sorry, no
Nautilus.
trade back for Hanwha Life.
I feel like the only cross map we're getting is Peanut
red buff.
Getting red buff.
Yeah.
That's not really what you're looking towards. Zeka got close, but not actually getting it, and still committing his flash, right? So that is a even trade in summoners, and obviously a big trade down here with, I think, so close as well, Zeka to trying to get on top of Faker.
Faker's dead.
Uh-oh.
There's
Nautilus
Depth
stayed and
Charge,
flash ulted him.
and there's
dead.
Pain CC. I think he's dead.
Farewell, my lord.
Yeah.
They got him this time.
Yeah,
Got a
they
couple
did get him
creeps.
this time, so there we go. 1 versus 1 as far
Wait,
as those
Doran's
kills are
staying
concerned.
bot.
Here on the bottom side of the map, Doran in a little bit of trouble as well, but is able to dash out of the way of the gravity field.
Oh, is he out
And
in
he
time?
will be, at
Yeah,
least
he is.
for now, okay. And that is just going to be the Gromp stolen away by Peanut. Viper here in this mid lane, actually getting some plates himself. So that gold lead's still going to be there for HLE.
Yeah,
All plates actually going over here. Zeka collects another on the bottom side.
Needs a bit
Peanut's
more gold
here.
or what?
Viper has his ultimate, so there's just no way you could try to collapse there and punish that. So that was a really good judgment by Hanwha Life in that situation. Zeka gets the plate.
I
They
guess
get
he
the kill
just TP's
onto
top.
Faker. That goes over to Viper as well. And we'll see how this did all break out. Yeah, it's just Peanut and Delight on the other edge. Delight flashes for the ult, and it's really easy to just chain this CC together.
Pretty easy.
Nothing Faker can do.
Very straightforward play there. Nicely done. Good roam by Delight and
Runs top.
Viper. And what we're seeing now, I think the pivot from Hanwha that they made in draft is warranted, because the game that KT did win yesterday was when T1 wasn't able to completely break open the game in laning phase, right? We've seen this team really excel.
Doran
and
has
they
his
can
first
just keep
item.
accelerating the pace, keep catching people off guard. This comp obviously still does that insanely well with the double global, with the Poppy. So if you ever have a moment of weakness, if you're not ready to contest an objective, you can definitely get in trouble. But this time around for Hanwha Life, the engage is amazing. The front to back is really threatening. And now, at this point in the game, they can go for that Scion dive.
Yeah.
That's not going to remain the case.
I think for T1, speaking of the objectives, Hanwha might not be ready for with this Poppy and double global. They're not set up for this one, and Peanut's just gone.
Case in
and,
point.
They're just gonna try and finish
we
it quick.
just knew like exactly what was going to happen here in Hanwha Life. We're only really half contesting.
should get it.
anyways.
It's a bit
Like,
early.
hanging around.
Yeah, this dragon
Oh, that Doran
is
TP's
going
gonna
to
get
be
cancelled, isn't
secured.
it?
Deadly Flourish not going to be enough
Didn't
to
get
stop
cancelled.
that one, as it is going to be an Ocean Soul, not the most
bit of a panic
pivotal,
TP, but he's probably
still
been watching
something worth
Lost
going for
Ratones
here as
TP in
T1
and
are
base. It's a
set up.
classic.
Only one away from Soul Point here
Classic
in this
play.
game. There's still so much pressure.
They got Doran's TP, and he's still going back to the top lane. They're not going to send Faker there, so Scion going to get some alone time here, and that's a small win that Hanwha get back, but still T1 once again stacking these dragons.
Well, Zeka here on this bottom side catches the wave. Faker lying in wait. We'll see whether any sort of jump scare will occur. Looks like it's probably not going to be too much of an issue as Carrier moving into the enemy jungle. I don't think he's going to be able to stop Peanut from taking away his own blue buff, but still getting so much information and vision on this Poppy.
The Carrier is saving a smite for more important matters, such as stealing
Faker has
dragons.
200% of the deaths. Really?
Still,
Barons.
Barons, Otacons, really anything that actually tilts the game in favor. Viper, definitely the most ahead member here for Hanwha Life. My question is, how much are they actually going to be able to use that? Because the Jhin, obviously the ult is going to always get a crazy amount of value with
jungle
the
lead.
amount of frontline
Very
and
big
CC
jungle
that you
lead.
have in your team. But actually walking up to so many of these characters on T1 is a really, really big task. And Doran, thanks to the attention that's been paid by the rest of his team, has actually been looking good.
Oh, this
And
game will just come down to Drakes, I
I think
guess,
a lot
then.
of this does go again back to the fact that we haven't really seen Peanut still in this series.
Yeah,
and he's
no.
normally the guy that gets stuff going. and it'd be fine if Zeus is sacrificed and Viper is really put ahead, but this lead is fairly negligible.
I am more interested in Zeka being ahead. The problem with Zeka being ahead is going for a very safe build here with a Rod of Ages. Not going full damage.
Trying to connect here is, okay, they're going to go for the chain CC.
Nice pick.
Carrion tries to move
Carrion
himself
couldn't get
out of the
W
way,
off on
but
Xin
Peanut
Zhao.
locks down that kill and just caught napping here a little bit. The Poppy.
Now
So
Faker's gonna get
Carrion
Dovin.
now lying down might be a big
goes to
in
bot
here
tier
for
one.
HLE to try and get this snowball rolling.
Yeah, they might just look to try to somehow get this full turret as they look for Owner.
Yeah, another hook does come through. There's the audacious charges. Faker is off to the side to make this
Oh, he's just
actual
dead.
2 versus 2. But Zeka comes over to make it 3. Gumi usually
Oh!
later. The Arcane Storm,
Kyra
not
sold.
quite enough as a Chains of Corruption
Oh my god, the
comes in,
damage.
and Peanut taxis his way
Carrier's
out with
ghosting.
the
Look at him
glove.
run. Look at him.
Knocks it up there
Little
as well.
red.
Roll-off is coming in. Peanut does have to flash.
Faker
Another
gets
hook
hooked.
is going to come through as Viper
TP in from
has
Zeus.
to cleanse his
No
peak.
TP on
Carry
Doran.
is back once
Knocks away
again.
Victor.
Okay, Keeper's Verdict does get
Yeah,
him out
Faker's
of there.
cooked.
Now Faker is the one left alone.
It's
Zeus
cooked.
turns
Doran
up.
has no TP.
Enough of that
It's
funny
cooked.
business, says HLE. It's Viper that gets the kill.
And
What
this
just
time,
happened?
yeah, this time T1 is
Zeka
the
has
one
flash.
trying to heavily overcommit to a play, and they get punished massively.
Yeah, I mean, Peanut initially looks like maybe he has.
Pantheon
We're
ult.
not done yet.
All right, there's
W.
underneath the turret here.
Carrier
onto
taking
a
tower.
gravity field.
Owner still
As
clicking
Owner,
forwards.
He can't
And he
take the
dies.
turret
Oh
anymore.
my
and
god.
Peanut in a
T1
good
is
position
chain
this
inting now.
time.
Oh my god.
Not really sure.
That was my analysis at the end. I put the analysis.
I'm on this. I'm right there with you.
Huh?
Not really sure about that one. I mean, it's only 4 stacks of Rod of Ages for Zeka, but it's not about the build. I think just about
I think
the
the
fact
champs
that
as well. The
great
game's
follow-up
kind of
there, and
slipping.
you're going
If he doesn't do the damage, don't worry, the turret will.
I do think that this right here, this is
Why, he buried you?
just how it works with T1 as Guma.
What?
Does he have Nimbus Cloak? I feel like that's why you would bury her there to get out.
I mean, maybe he thought Delight had his ult back up because
does
his
not
ult
have Nimbus
just
Cloak.
came up
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
so
so
Flash
he's-
ulti could have still caught it.
Well, yeah, so you bury her so you get the movement speed from Nimbus
Right.
Cloak, and then you
Yeah.
you walk it off.
He has a Ghost Blade as well.
No, I think with T1, they always go for these plays. And in game
Just a
1, we
misclick.
see it work out. In the series against KT, it does, and it looks amazing. And now here, we're just left scratching our head and go, you could have chilled out a little bit.
There's been a bit of, you could have chilled out a little bit on both sides throughout this series.
Yeah,
thus
Peanut's
far.
the same.
Yeah.
Because this isn't really the kind of Jin snowball we were talking about. This isn't really quite the same sort of like, I wonder how they'll use that. Like, oh, the Rod of Ages on Zeka, you know, it's not a lot of damage, but we'll see how it works out. And then T1, I think there's gifted opportunities to
Maybe they
Life
should just
with
pick Ilaoi on 5.
misjudgment on how much damage they have
Double global
in these
Ilaoi.
situations. Faker down flash as well now. Feels pretty bad.
All right,
And
30
for
seconds on break.
Life, you know, a few minutes ago you were starting to feel like, okay, this is going to be a tough one to play out.
Tyler
but now
Ilaoi
you're so
might
much
just
more
carry the game here.
comfortable.
This could be a little bit dangerous though, as Doran looking for an opportunity, but the Xin Zhao is here. The knock-up comes through. Wind becomes lightning. There's the knock-up from Zeka. Zeus at the same time, as Doran might be able to flash his way out of here, but Zeus
my
is
God,
right
Zeus.
over the top, looking to try and chase him down. But remember, it's
Okay,
an Ambessa.
flash
so
trade.
he has
Ambessa has TP.
better running away.
But I want everyone to look at the vision on the top side river right now, where Doran
Now
was
they're all
pushed up
sprinting
past
to
where
Drake.
the turret's husk is, where it's
I
just
think
tons of
T1's
vision
gonna
for
have
Life,
to fight
none
this.
for T1. A very aggressive call there that nearly
HLE is a
backfired.
bit
He loses
low,
his
actually.
flash. And I mean, I guess they could call that a backfire. As now we're looking
Uh-oh.
for the Carrier.
Go on river.
Drake
But
is
Guma's
currently
far.
being taken here by Faker. Zeka moving on in. Peanut with that win becomes lightning. Carrier
They have a bit of a
looking for that
sandwich here,
flank angle,
T1.
wants to hit the keeper's verdict to make this a man advantage for T1. As he
What
finds
the
it!
fuck?
It is just
What the
about
fuck?
perfect as now they just single out Zeka. That is going to be kill on the other side though, as both
Is it
mid
enough?
laners are now lying in the dust. The curtains have been called, and T1 has
No.
split the flash forward from Delight as now Zeus turns up.
Delight will
to be
die.
that monster in the front line. The
Peanut.
Carrier is still being a
Peanut's
menace.
kinda
Zeus
cooking.
is looking to lock him down.
He's
As
dead, though.
Kamishi over the wall is
It's
getting the
2v2.
shots in. Viper now singled out by Doran, who
It's
still has
2v3,
a lot
sorry.
of damage. And
What the
Zeus
fuck?
will be
I'm like
cut down where he
stunned. What just
stands.
happened?
HLE once again losing a team fight.
And it's just way better coordination here from T1. In
Did
these
Carrier just
moments.
carry the whole
Flash
game?
Keeper's verdict from Carrier on
Poppy
the flank
ult.
was absolutely insane. It gives him just
Flash
enough
knocks
space.
2 of
And then
them?
You see the flash from Guma over the wall. So
And then they
starts
kill
off with
Zeka,
Carrier
no
here,
flash?
Over the wall channels, flashes,
What the
gets double
fuck?
knockaway, and that's the Scion gone here.
Carrier.
And then look at the follow-up here when they look to collapse onto Guma. He's able to get over the wall.
And
which
then
is so
Doran is the
critical
one
for the
frying
rest
here.
of the
Guma gets
damage.
hooked. He has flash. He's going to flash the wall.
And I think
But
Viper,
Doran is doing
those
so much
shots,
damage.
It's a Pantheon. You're just never gonna get him if the E
He's
is up.
destroying
You're
Peanut.
trying to take him down. And
Owner's
then
zoning away
obviously
Viper.
Once you get to this point, you're just a
Doran's
Jhin
just
trying to run
eating
away.
them
Even
up.
without the ult, Doran has no
How much
tough
damage did
time
Doran
getting
do
on
in that
top
fight?
Of this Jhin, and they knew that Caedrel
There's
was
the Poppy
there.
value.
They were just caught
I will
off
never
guard
say Poppy
by
never
that
has value
ultimate
ever again. That is
single-handedly
nuts.
secured them soul point, and I don't think
Doran
they were
was
out of
frying.
the game, but they were definitely falling further behind.
Okay,
The
they're
5v5
not-
looked good
they're not
for
winning
Hanwha,
yet, but
and now,
that
all
helps.
Of a sudden, Gold lead is negligible, and there is that soul point. And Ocean Soul and Bessa, Ocean Soul Rise, it's a little worrying.
It's just these same T1 best of 5 stories we tell. It's the same objective.
Draft never
control
matters.
they've
Clicking
been
is better.
famed for
I've decided.
Across this roster again with a different top laner now, but the rest
Soul
of the core
point at
is
18
exactly
minutes.
the same. And that's something that takes years to build. You can't just build a roster and put Zeus into your roster as Hanwha Life and then have that same coordination. I think they're very close, and their team fighting's been insane. But in this series, it's just not on T1's level, and it feels like T1's
That was crazy,
peak
actually, by
coordination
Carrier. What the
comes
fuck?
in these really important pivotal series. And in this first 2 set of games, it has been around Dragon specifically where you're seeing it really shine.
And you're also seeing our POM from yesterday really shine. On your screen right here, Doran, most damage in the game, although cheating a little bit because
What
he's
has
been
happened
fighting
to
a
Doran?
Sion the
What
entirety
has
of the
happened to
time.
Doran?
But still, getting so much work done, and I felt like he was the difference maker, right? He was that extra threat. As HLE thought that they'd
Why
been
do you
able
think Poppy
to
had no
knock
value?
a couple down, right? Zekra
Because
and
what
Faker
does
were
Poppy
traded,
W
but
stop
then you
against
still have
Hanwha Life?
so much more
Since
damage
our E.
available on T1's side.
That's it.
And from this point
Nautilus
on,
Q, I guess,
the
if you
matchup
count
only
that.
gets better. You have the armor penetration on your passive.
But I guess
or
it doesn't
your
matter.
ultimate
Just rock up
rather.
and ult
You
someone.
have Black
Boom.
Cleaver and Eclipse, and you're a full level up.
Yeah.
So, yes, Zeus is going to still be tough to get through for some of the other members. Obviously, Guma is a big one. And I do think that once Zeka hits the second, and particularly the third item, there are still plenty of opportunities for Hanwha. They still have a decent setup in gold, but they need to find an answer. This Poppy specifically, I think, is what really brings this T1 comp into, we're T1. We can really get away with any situation that we like. Territory, as long as they don't let multiple members get immediately taken out of the fight.
It's so hard to punish that play from Keria as well. Even though they knew he's there, you don't want to give the Dragon up.
2
It's
minutes
the
on
way
Drake.
that T1 did it, where they started the Dragon early.
Rise
threatening
should
to
have
secure the
Seraphs.
Dragon to
His
force
Roa
Hanwha in
might
while he's on that
not
cross angle.
proc.
You know, it's not as simple as just he got lucky, he flash ulted. They
Doran
didn't
is really
know.
strong.
It just puts Hanwha into so many different uncomfortable positions where they have to make the exact right call, and the exact right call is not easy to make, and you have to make it in
Edge
such
of
a
Night
short
for
period
Guma
of
Susi.
time. That was a great play from Delight to almost get Guma, you know, but at the end of the day, T1 pulling ahead in this one objective-wise, still down in gold, but it feels less.
Oh, he
significant
ults
as
it!
Doran.
Public execution goes
What
in,
the
and Viper
fuck?
is just gonna get
Give him
executed.
MVP!
Blow him up.
Give him MVP!
Now the chains of corruption to hold
What?
Zeus in position. The rest of HLE trying to get here, but two
What?
are already on the floor, and T1 are just happy that they've showed up for the slaughter. The knockup
Okay, he
comes
died.
in though, and Doran is going to be taken down, but Delight will also be returned as another one.
Saves
And
the
there
ult,
is the
Poppy.
game's
1
verdict.
minute on
Carrier
Drake.
knocking off Dindo,
That
but they
fight
still
doesn't
won
get
the
them the
fight.
Drake.
Salvage there from Peanut
Holy
and Zeka
fuck,
to
Doran
turn
is locked
this
in.
into not a complete disaster, but I still think
Don't go
that
for those
T1
Raptors,
are
Peanut.
so happy with it. Is it? Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
A little
so
bit
it was, figured out that Keria was there.
Wait, they
But that's
Rise ulted.
probably
They're
still
gonna
be
rush
Atakan. Peanut
Atakan.
does have smite, but doesn't have flash.
They're
Keria
gonna
has
rush
smite as
Atakan.
well.
There's no shot. Like, there's Ultra Keria, there's 2 smites.
Yeah, they're not doing Atakan.
I don't think they can do this. I
think they
guess they're
don't have
respecting
time.
the TP from Zeus
Yeah,
and the fact that Jhin exists, and they're
Yeah.
not going to run the risk. And also Soul Point
Silent TP stop the push out.
is already there. Soul's coming up in 40.
Yeah, 40 seconds, and I think they know
Holy
that
fuck.
if they do go for the Otacon, they need to go for a reset, and they won't be able to get there for the soul, so they won't go for that
What a
instead.
buffer.
The reason why this happens is because Viper's trying to follow
That was
up on
insane
Zeus'
by
fully
Doran.
channeled Q to
Landed
touch
in
the
and
TP,
instantly knocked him
but
up.
Doran just instantly ults him and doesn't care because he's Ambessa. And it was just a big mistake there. I think the idea on the punish is definitely, with a lot of other champions, correct, but sure, they get the shutdown, but it's just a big miss. And like you said, there's a salvage by Peanut here, but it still means T1 have full control. They take the safe call on the Otacon. I don't think they necessarily had to, but why throw this game away? Now you're even in gold. Dragon in 5.
2 item spikes done for Zeka. And this is the point where I think Hanwha Life, they're going to get this 5v5 win. Keria again. Can they find him?
It's Carey.
Oh!
They
They need to go now.
It's
not enough. It's not enough. They're cooked. I think they're all cooked. I think they're all cooked.
As we saw last time, Viper fighting against Doran though. Deadly Flourish comes in.
Unless Doran can save this somehow.
And now Doran finds himself inside the blender, and he will be taken out. Now the curtains have been called. Carrier slowed down. He is out of range.
That's what it looks like when they 5v5 without the magic.
1v1ing against the Poppy and kind of losing. That was scary. And Carrier is able to walk his way out. Still this time, HLE find a fight.
I mean, Guma hits that arrow, it's a kill, he does miss it, but Hanwha Life will win their first Dragon of the game. And yes, it's the same play from Carrier. They only hit the jungler this time, and the follow-up isn't as clean.
And there's the 5v5 we were looking for Hanwha. They deny the soul. They also deny, as Delight is on the ward, do take note.
All right.
There's no rest here.
Death charge going to come through here, but Faker just decides he wants to kill Zeus, and he might be able to
Zeus
do so.
will die.
In a fair bit of trouble.
Guma will live.
Distracted by the
Faker
Poppy
has
once
flash.
again. Viper now looking for an angle. Deadly Flourish, will it be in range?
Oh, he got
and
chain
doesn't
CC'd.
quite find it, but he doesn't need
Oh, they
to.
got
It's
CC'd
a
by
double
Nautilus,
for
sorry.
Zeka, and
Yeah,
HLE
now the game is
running away
cooked.
with it
Now the game is fried.
T1, they try to run the play back, but this time Hanwha says, come on, you can't do that to us 2 times in a row. And now the game firmly in their hands.
So I see what Carrier is going for again. Ult, flash ult, but the knock is not that far. Look where Peanut is. He's right next to Viper. So he can already get back in the fight straight away. Already straight back into the fight. And then in the raw 5v5, I feel like Hanwha Life champs are just better. Especially if Viper can hit. Faker can't really join. Well played by Hanwha Life to just keep composure. And then I think the cancel on the Raptors was that the light on the flash hook on Faker? Who was it on?
This obviously, there's a TP coming in, so they're happy to take this fight. Nicely done by Delight, also get the cancel. What I want to highlight is the positioning of that fight. Last time we saw that play, 2 people got knocked away, but it also was in the wide open space of the river.
What? That hook hit?
There was they tried to follow up.
What?
There was a free-man queue from
What?
Zeus there, because what are they going to do? Not try the backup there, Ambessa.
That hook
Not try to
interrupted
back up
him?
their Pantheon, but as a result, the fight firmly favor, and that is the gold grab I love to see.
Yeah, that was certainly a little bit of a
Up and
flat
down,
line.
up and down, and up and down.
Indeed, bit of a heart monitor, and you can imagine that this entire stadium full of some pretty high BPM at this point in time.
That was a sussy
Zeka
one.
moving towards his top lane, going to extend that gold lead just a little bit further forward. As HLE looking to
No,
try
I
to
think
take some
HLE just
control
runs away
of
with the
this
game. I think their champs are
After
just
game
better
one,
at this
I was
point.
a little bit worried. HLE looking a little out of sorts. Even in moments in this game, same thing could be said. That it might be that there is game forming on our
1-1
hands.
is fun,
Might
though.
need a hand check, but
I
we
guess
can do that a
T1 will
little
choose
bit
blue.
later. Yeah, there could be some series. We did jazz hands there just to let you guys know what we were up to.
Always do it.
Yes, just like this. Yeah, like this one, guys. No game just yet, as you can see, but we'll see what crops up later on in the series.
So, I mean, Baron is the objective that's up right now, but, you know, neither of these teams in a position to take it. Even with a 2-item victor, you know, it's not something you can do fast enough. You don't have enough control. So the next fight is likely going to be on this Dragon, unless something happens, right? A proactive play from Peanut, he gets a pick, or they're able to threaten a turn. That could be how Hanwha Life
Do you know what T1 do have?
They are, again,
Even though it's a bit slow, they do have tools to rush Baron. They have Rise Ult and Poppy Ult.
Yeah, they're just looking for Zeka, and he is a deep TP. He is a long way away from everyone as he flashes towards Owner. The rest of his team is coming up, though, and his health bar is pretty high.
Miss Poppy Ult.
He's still alive for now. The depth charge comes into public execution.
Yeah, I think T1's throwing everything they can at them because they know the game's getting out of their hands. Oh, Doran got him actually. What the fuck?
Singled out, it's Zeka's turn to close in. Faker's still looking for that damage, but now the fight is ensuing on the other side.
Wait, this fight they went 2 for 2 so far? What? What the fuck? Doran is going crazy.
Here by Doran, he goes golden.
Oh my god, Doran's going crazy.
The arrow is going to be there from
Yo,
Gumiyushi.
respect to Doran.
3 for 3 is the trade. But it is only really the tanky members alive from HLE, and Gumiyushi is still terrifying on his signature.
They kinda won that
And
fight,
also
kinda.
domestic Doran is
They got Zeka
unreal.
sums and Viper sums before the Drake Soul.
I mean, this guy is popping off in the fight.
It
and
is
looks
Father's
domestic.
Day.
You can see the TP here from Doran and the owner ult means you think you've
What
collapsed
the
on the
fuck?
Zeka. Realm Warp comes through, but Zeka gets over the wall, and there's so much peel, there's so much follow-up here. Carry is
Oh, if they hit Poppy Ult on...
completely whiffs, hits
Actually, the
nobody
Poppy Ult
here.
hitting Jin would
And
mean
now
that the
you're
Ambessa
in
ult
the
wouldn't hit
blender
Jin.
of this victor,
Carrier played
doing
it
so
well.
much damage,
Faker's just
really.
trying to buy time.
Crucially, the re-engage there from Doran,
Shut
when
down
they
to
actually
Doran.
decide,
How does
okay,
Zeka get
Faker's
back
unsalvageable
over the
here, we're
wall?
not going to be able to save him.
He just
We're gonna
runs
take
around.
Up the light here, and then Guma has so much power. If Zeka tries to duel Guma, he could just get sniped because because he's so low. Doran goes in on him here. Doran playing super well. Then Zeka with the huge outplayer. Q comes in for Zeus, and also the Zonius means he does go down. Without his calls in that fight and how he split Hanwha Life up and how
Drake in 30
to
seconds. It's time to send it again for T1.
This fight was a wash, and Hanwha Life would have crushed them.
I was not ready for the flanking Varus. That rim really got me.
Yeah, and that kind of worked as well.
And yes,
yeah, weird.
So, a lot of sums are down for Hanwha. I do also want to highlight the restraint
40 seconds
of
on
Zeka
T1
his
flashes.
Stopwatch. That was actually insane. He waited until the arrows were in the air, but even before, I think a lot of players would stopwatch as soon as
40
the play
seconds.
starts. But he really went for maxing the damage as another fight for the soul here, at least for T1, if they can get back space. But I think this is where Hanwha
Zeka is
Life's
so
should really
OP.
shine. When they can get that front to back.
One good poppy ult could change everything, though.
Ult, that's the most important part of a lot of these fights.
Oh, the Ocean Rift.
You really don't get to front to back when a Poppy is
I guess
in the
Varus
game,
poke is kind of
especially
useless
when
right
it's
now.
Carrier.
He's got the heal set for a bit
Faker's
of a
just
gap close
pushing.
as well.
Well, Faker's
Forcing them
actually
to do
just
it.
gonna try and take down the start in the mid lane. He will be successful, and remember, T1, they don't necessarily need to go for this.
He wants
but
Peanut.
they can, as here's the keeper's verdict.
He got Sion.
Get rid of the Sion.
Not
The
bad.
front line is now gone. The gravity
Doran
was
landed onto
so
Viper.
much work
Zeka's
here.
being
As
fought by
Zeka
Faker.
just walks away
Viper's
and
dead.
lets
Owner's
Zeka
dead.
score.
There's no way.
But
There's
it's
no
usually
way
just
they're making this work.
so much damage, and they'll get the soul off the back end.
They're gonna get Baron as well, maybe. They could just 4-man it. There is just no way they're making this work. It's mental.
Which is basically team fight winning in itself.
And the damage numbers
Doran
might
is
belong to
completely
Doran and Kuma, but
frying.
again, it's that Poppy.
Yeah, man.
If Zeus flashes the Poppy ult, they win. If
Doran
Doran doesn't land this Ambessa ult onto Viper, look at this Ambessa ult. Look at the distance he covers.
And there is no
Oh,
one to stop him.
through everything.
No one to keep Zeka and Viper safe. And even though, Honor goes
Doran
up,
gets
who
Viper.
cares?
Faker's on
The
top of
champion
Zeka,
dying,
just
this point in the
rise
fight
ulting on his
doesn't
head.
matter
And
whatsoever.
the
back
front
line
line's
is
knocked
safe.
away by Carrier.
That's the soul.
I
And
feel like
that's
everything
Baron as
lined up
well.
perfectly for the
I
fight.
think the only thing
Again,
that hit Community
again.
there actually just ate his Edge of Night Shield to give him that little bit of extra value. He was otherwise completely untouched in that fight. 15 to 15 is the kill score, but it is the amount of objectives, it is the amount of control that T1 has in this game, now with Baron and the Soul.
I mean, practically speaking, T1 have lost one fight on objectives throughout this series thus far. It's just been their objective fighting that is so much better than Hanwha's, whether it's defensive or whether it's these, tricky plays from Carrier. And
This is mental, by the way. This is actually mental.
Realm Warp not ready for Faker.
This is
I think
mental.
they're just going to push Hanwha away.
Yeah, and look at the damage dealt numbers. This is absolutely insane. Both Gumushi and Doran running away with it.
Carrier is the lowest in the game, by like a large margin as well.
But he has hit some of the best buttons.
Well, I mean, he's got them to soul.
Oh, yeah.
Like both fights were...
I wish I could tell you how
insane.
one-sided Hanwha Life
It's ridiculous.
had this
In the
whole
mid lane, we've
season
got the,
next to
top
Genji.
laners trying
Like, the
to face
difference
off,
was crazy.
but Chains of Corruption comes down towards his
What-
bottom lane.
where'd they go?
Delight probably
Mid?
lucky that anchor didn't land. And T1, the war of attrition is just being won on their side of the rift.
They left
Here's the
Kuma.
flanking teleport, though, as Gumushi could be in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have his shield, and he doesn't have a whole lot of hope,
Good
but
flash.
he does flash. And the train is not even going to get
Since
the
our
stun.
W
The
missed,
wind becomes lightning, misses.
Varus no ult.
Here's the knockup going to
Owner's
be there.
trying to
The rest of
stop
T1 are
Peanut.
turning up.
Guma's still running.
trying to kite this
Guma
one
dies,
out.
1k
He
gold.
finally dies. The knockup is
Doran's
huge
fighting
there
both
from
of their
Doran
carries.
At the same time, as HLE are trying to fight
He's
up
1v2ing
Doran
them,
on the
both.
other side of the fight, and things are going completely wrong for HLE on the top side. Delight trying to get out the flash in front from Carrier.
Doran is 1v2ing their carries!
And Doran can do no wrong here in Busan.
And why Hanwha Life is firing skill shots into the nothingness of the rift. Doran is 1v2.
Bro, the
Yeah,
Doran
Lovic showing
turnaround
Aslan, man.
needs
That
to be
guy's
studied.
getting hit by
It
everything
needs to
there
be
in
studied.
Narnia.
Oh man, Doran
What
is
on
just
earth?
having the series again, just like he did yesterday, that you couldn't have predicted coming into Road to MSI. Not to say that the guy was weak, he was still one of our best top laners, but to see him do it this well and to really be on peak form. Yesterday we thought, okay, maybe it's because he's perfect, or it's because he's against perfect, because perfect is a much weaker top laner than Zeus. But I mean, he just had so much agency in this on an Ambessa that we've seen very little success in the LCK with.
Wait, I want you to look. Guma should have died.
Yeah, this is
so much
insane.
faster. This can't happen.
He missed.
This can't happen.
A double
Miss
miss.
that. The Q gets fast. But you need that ult. He needs to get knocked up, and then Peanut also doesn't
I mean,
follow
this is a
through on the
3v4 on
W.
the right.
And because Guma lives so
It's
long,
Doran
if they
killing
kill
both
him
their carries
earlier,
that makes it so it's winning.
I think that they have an opportunity to peel off
Zeka got knocked
way
away by
faster
Poppy,
to
and then
shift
Doran
the
just fights
damage,
both of them to
get
the death.
cooldowns out, and then On the other end, as mentioned, this Ambassa with Ocean Soul, it is disgusting. The flash from Carrier to ensure that his top laner doesn't get CC'd. The sustain
What the fuck?
from the passive from Doran as well as that Soul is...
that was blind
Yeah,
as well.
blind
Kinda. On the ultimate. I mean, it's a good predict. He knew the trajectory.
Death's Dance, baby.
It's a risky call, and he goes for it. A few things miss here, but ultimately I don't think it matters. You know, hitting that flourish would have changed things. Carrier, the bodyguard, and Doran cleans up house. Man, T1 looking better than they have, I feel, all year long. In the microcosm
What
of
is
the
going on?
series.
Carrier with a big smile on his face here, and you can understand exactly why. They're looking at match point here in Busan.
Guys,
After
T1 played Hammerlife
destroying
like a few
KT
weeks ago in the regular
yesterday,
season,
the
and they got
onslaught of
fucking
T1
bodied.
is looking
And
to
Hammerlife was 2-0 up
continue.
against Gen G.
There's
in the finals.
coordination
Well,
that this roster has
kind of
built
finals.
over years. And there's also the strategy element of these drafts that we're seeing. The Poppy
T1 hasn't
coming
won a
through.
best of series against Hammerlife since last year.
His health bar is looking a little bit large.
Let alone with
Let's
the
see how
Zeus.
long it lasts.
What the hell?
There's another public
Hey, he's
execution
just
door
fucking
getting
in there.
5 people underneath the turret. They haven't gone down just yet, but there's the Grand Starfall. Here is T1, and it's a double already for that man in the top lane. Zeka gonna go golden.
Just
and
give Doran Pog.
watches
Just give him
T1
Pog, Pom, fucking
like this
everything.
wave that
Everything.
is just attacking them in their base.
Give him everything. Give him everything. He's 6k up on Zeus. He's 6.5k up on Zeus.
Here and make it possibly a pretty
What?
short one here in Busan.
And that bot side play, the power of friendship, T1
Is
have
this-
done that
am I-
exact
is this
same
real life?
so many times. Oh no, someone's out of position.
Is
and
this
before
real life?
You know it, reinforcements come in, the stall comes through, and the team fighting from T1 today, it's just outmatching Hanwha.
T1 completely on form as well. And even though in these first 2 games, Faker's felt a little quiet, he's doing his job well. And on the rise, your Realm Warp has so much utility. So sure, if you're maybe down on lane, the Victor's doing more damage than you, he's bigger than you, it doesn't necessarily matter. If you can make those rotational plays, if you can play the map better, if you can play the objectives better with this Poppy, and it feels like you couldn't get more.
Hey,
T1
Hammerlife, no
than how
refunds.
They may earn their spot at MSI. Their Game 3 draft yesterday, this draft here, they still got picks like the TF Faker's Galio in the pocket, and T1 is just 1 win away from a massive upset here.
God!
And Doran, man, he's
What
winning against
the
the guy who
fuck?
replaced him. And I think
What
right
the
now, he's
fuck?
definitely sitting on top.
Yeah, domestic Doran is an absolute thing to behold, and we might have an opportunity to see a new
T1's regular season was kind of disgusting towards the beginning and the middle. Towards the end, it was like, okay. But, bro,
Wasn't Zay, it's still Krugs.
what? They lost to Nongshim. They lost to Hammerlife. They lost to... Bro, they were losing to, like... They were almost losing to... Bro. Eh? Now they're 2-0 up against HLE in a best of 5.
Hammerlife Esports can put some game on these damn hands.
Chat, let me read you out some things. T1 towards the end of the season, they lost 2-1 to Bro. They lost 2-0 to Gen G. Then they beat Fearx and Freaks. Then they lost 2-0 to Hammerlife. Then they lost 2-0 to Nongshim. And then they came to the game to Busan. That was their last 2 weeks. Like what? I will say this tier list from Forest has aged beautifully. Forest's tier list has aged well. Doran, professional Chovy Inter and Zeus' father. Zeus, really good when his opponent isn't Doran. This was from 2023 September. Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy.
이번에 공 한번 굴리자. 오케이.
아 괜찮아요.
안 패도 돼.
빨리 봐도 되는데.
넣었어. 저만 있어. 저만 바를게.
빨리요. 너무.
진진진진진. 좋아. 나 아래 공 아래. 다 타봐. 해봐.
안돼. 야 빅토르 맞아.
빅토르.
나탱이야.
푸시해. 가운데.
나탱.
바텀. 얘들아 바텀.
야 맞아줘 고.
나도 맞아.
내가 맞아줄게. 나 카인이야.
내가 맞을게. 바텀 가.
너가 맞아 그러면.
아니, 도란.
대박난 말안 되네. 나이스.
I love it how all of them have jackets on except for Doran, because he's fucking unchained. Yo, what up, Red Bull?
但喧嚣亦是动力。强者从不止步游移，只会以力量回敬。
Bum. Ooh, Z. Chat, quick thing. Quick thing. I just want to take a second to give a massive shout out to Displate. If you don't know Displate, they are metal posters that they have magnetic mounting system that are super easy to stick on your wall with a protective leaf that just sticks on and then it attaches with the magnet. There is a limited edition, really special Displate that just dropped. It is the Spirit Blossom Ari one. It's got loads of awesome features like glow-in-the-dark backlight and insane quality. There is only 1,500 of these available. So if you want to check it out, you can go to display.com/@Caedrel. There's 940 left of 1,500. Like I said, glow-in-the-dark backlighting, 3D printed details, and a shimmering glitter finish. There it is. If you want to check it out on the website, display.com/@Caedrel. Big shout out to Display. They've been sponsoring the stream for many years now. They've been an awesome partner to work with, and they make some really good, high-quality stuff if you want to get it on the site. There's also loads of other stuff if you want to use code Caedrel on checkout. But for now, there is the limited edition Spirit Blossom Ari with 940 left out of 1,500 available. Get yours now. Bum. Alright, get me back into the games. Now. Get me back into the games now. What do you do as Hammerlife? Do you just choose
T1
red
are
side?
up 2-0 on Hanwha Life Esports, and the wonderful city of Busan has been holding the road to MSI. But and it is the greatest place where you can encounter incredible fun. Hanwha Life Esports have had no fun. They've encountered zero fun here, especially today, as they are down 2-0. 5-game losing streak for Hanwha Life Esports.
They actually did have some fun. Those first 2 games against Gen G, I think they enjoyed those. And then it all went downhill after.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially, I think I really like to see Doran popping off.
I did
feel
say I
like
would
the
go bold
whole
if T1 won
draft
Worlds,
plan
yeah.
is about Doran
This is not a good
play
start.
as well, because I think he picked Gwen first, and then Zeus tried to pick Zace to win the lane, but he was completely okay in the lane. And the second game, we all know that he's gonna blind pick Sion on the blue side, but he just picked Ambessa into it. And I think he had incredible performance in the game too as well. So I feel like it's just top gap is just that huge in this series.
I mean, I feel like, you know, it would always feel good to play against, you know, HLE as Doran and beat your old team, beat the player who was signed over you, but to also just completely be gapping Zeus right now, like, it must be a great feeling. They must be on cloud 9, and honestly, T1 have just been playing so well. I think Carrier also, this Poppy pick that came through, the amount of value they got off the ults, and we often see teams, as Poppy's been more sort of enshrined in the meta, playing around the ults quite well to kind of deny it. But the amount of times he was finding these great angles and using like the flash ult combo to minimize like reaction time against it. They kind of knew he was here, but they found this angle around this control ward, and the flash ult just gives no reaction time, immediately removes 2 members, and now Zeka, this Victor,
Someone said
and get shut down.
the faker meme where it's like the
T1,
fit is for you.
They were just behind
The sick
game
is
because
for,
they were overcommitting a lot
The
in the
sick
early
is
game.
for
So
crumbs.
Rise was like 0-3 or something, but
0-4.
Yeah, I mean, I think Poppy was the main part of the T1 in the team fight, especially him ulting away the Sion, which is the main front line for HLE. I mean, that was the huge part of the T1.
And I love this because so much of the narrative around
T1's at
Korean
EWC. I think
esports
if
for the longest time, Korean
I
League
think
Legends
Hammerlife's
for
at
the longest time
EWC
sit
no matter
back,
what, right?
Scale, then play perfectly.
I think
T1
there's
were
T1, Genji,
constantly
Hammerlife
making
at
plays where
EWC,
you're
but
kinda
at
wondering,
MSI
slow
it's
down
only
just a little
T1
bit,
and
T1. However,
Genji
they
if they
didn't
win
get
this.
punished enough where they fell too far behind, and they didn't stop taking their shots, because even after that, they went after Zeka a little bit too far.
You
and
said
then
Poppy was
Hanwha
useless?
Life punish, and then
I
we were
said
in the back
Poppy
saying,
didn't
okay,
have much
Zeka
value.
scaled, it's over. They
But
can
I guess
set up for a
Poppy
big
ult
fight.
value
But
is
just look at Sion and
never
Poppy
ending.
here.
I mean, I feel like I love T1 as a sort of team who'll approach a team fight in a way where everyone's going at different angles. I mean, you see the Realm Orb coming
EWC
in,
bigger
you see
prize pool than
Doran
MSI.
in the pit, you see the Poppy ult starting to come
EWC's
through.
prize pool is
It's
almost
so
the same
hard
as
to
Worlds,
respond
isn't it?
to because they're approaching for so many sides, and it really puts HLE in an uncomfortable position. Doran goes straight onto Viper, while Zek is also being attacked, and it means HLE are scrambling to deal with all these threats at the same time.
Yeah, they're unsynced, and on top of that, I feel like that mind game winning play on Sion was just that huge. I mean, I think Zeus was like, I will try to soak the Poppy ulti with my ulti, but Carrier just pre-cast the ultimate before he gets hit by Sion ulti, and I think that was the game changer right there. And I feel like the old objective control from T1 this series is just amazing, especially for game 1. We're gonna see it for now. They got the early Drake into the second Drake, and they dropped the third Drake to get the turret. That means they're just controlling the game like all over the place.
Yeah, it feels like the pace of the game really has been in their favor, even when, you know, maybe gold has gone in favor
You
of
said
HLE.
3-0? No, I didn't.
In this
What about
game, we
that?
saw maybe the gold going a bit towards with some early plays not being in their favor. It felt like the objectives were still on their side. The fact they were able to get this Ocean Soul, which was such an issue because you have that Ambessa, they were struggling.
I didn't even make a
already.
prediction for this
Once
series.
The Ocean Soul was secured, it just felt like
I didn't even make a prediction
to cut through that frontliner.
I mean, just look at the graph. You know, they
I
already
said
got the 3 Drakes.
everyone
so
will predict 3-0 or 3-1 Hammerlife because Hammerlife should win. But T1 always has fucking random magic when they should lose. So I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen.
So that's why Drake is
That was my take.
damn important, you know.
I was on the fence. I was a fence sitter. What are you gonna do about it, huh? I sat on the fence. What are you gonna do about it? I sat on the fence because every single time I see this scenario, it doesn't happen the way it should. So I said, fuck this. I'm not saying shit.
It's T1 who are making them uncomfortable, forcing them into these rough decisions where they know they have to contest this objective. They're being pincered by T1 using these like 5-point approaches, and they're panicking and starting to crumble on this stage. And it's just
I have a feeling that the series isn't over yet, though. Is my prediction. I don't think this is a 3-0. Surely not. There's no way Hammerlife get 3-0'd.
Which means it's time for something different. Hanwha Life Esports select red side.
I think that's correct.
Right.
I think that's correct. The series is not done yet.
Buff and sneak away some of the wins that we've seen so far throughout the road to MSI. Will that be enough, or will it be the clean sweep that we did almost predicted but picked the wrong team? Let's find out with game number 3. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Let's get it.
And I think that this is a fantastic idea. Not necessarily because red side is inherently stronger or anything like that. HLE just need a change, and we are jumping right into the draft.
Remember,
Ronaldo
just
said
2
he's
days
excited to
ago,
meet you.
It looked like Hanwha Life was going to blow Gen G out and be our first seed.
Yeah.
They have now lost
This is exactly where they were.
I mean, they lost. They got reverse swept 3 games down there. Have lost 2 here, so 5 games in a row. They have lost, and now may not go to MSI at all after being defending LCK champions, defending first stand champions. A crazy position to be in mentally right now for these 5 players.
Yone Ben, Yorick Ben, okay.
And we are going to see Zeus counter. That's why we're picking red side. That's why we're banning champions.
Talia ban as well on blue.
I think that's...
Azir out makes
we
sense.
have seen Doran be miles ahead of Zeus in that series, and in this series. It's happened in series in the past, but let's not forget, in 2024,
much love, Ronaldo,
it didn't really happen. And I think that the fact that Doran, with all the doubts that were surrounding him, showed up the way that he did today is huge. But we did see a turnaround from Canyon.
Next ban.
And just 2 days ago again, went from being, I think, by far the weakest point, which right now I would argue is Zeus, missing skill shots. Even going back, I was talking to Atlas. He tried to hold the
Rumble ban, and then what?
Where he got knocked away.
And then what?
And he was just a second too early, so you're not unstoppable. You do get knocked away. As the Ornn also taken off the board, I'm looking at the Rumble that is still open. Not going to give Doran that, which does make sense. A lot of the other top-tier blind picks already taken off the board. The Jax is one that you would go towards as a B1. Annie?
Okay, T1.
Well, it certainly, you know, suits the same story we've been telling, is Faker being a setup guy, a facilitator, and
did his first pick a fucking Annie?
To just drop Tibbers on people and mess up a team fight is very flexible. You can run several different types of drafts with this, so it doesn't really show anything here. And
not a
like
Trundle
given
first
the
pick.
pools and the bans on the Talia and the Azir, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, the Nidalee is going to be instantly locked in. That could be Peanut, that could be Zeus. We'll have to have a bit of a wait and see.
Oh, Hammerlife's going to have a good draft.
Going to be going as the Lucian. The consideration right now feels like a pick away alongside a
what do you pick as T1 here? You pick... Are they going to do like Jax plus...
If Owner wants to get his hands on something, although
some jungler
can still be in jungle.
I do like
Nocturne,
I think that
any Nocturne Jax or some shit.
Really prioritizes the Nocturne. Nocturne
Annie is a Xayah Rakan, of course.
Oh, the Xayah Rakan.
Of course. Oh my god, it's T1 Xayah Rakan.
So easy to follow up on a Tibbers stun.
Alright, put the Nami in the bag.
Whether it's a Feather pullback or
put the Nami in the bag.
And Charm coming from Rakan, so you have insane engage here. It's a very low range composition, but you're playing into right now this Lucian.
I guess Nidalee can go top.
We knew the Braum was going to come through here. Seemed pretty obvious.
What the hell?
We just see a Renekton ban here from T1.
Hey!
Wait, Xayah Rakan is there.
Wait, so
get on stage! Get on stage!
You guys have got to get ready. You got to run over.
Hey!
It says Guma, please play Xayah, please play Rakan.
Yeah, but they need to be leaving because they need to be in Runeterra.
Well, there's not that much time left.
Exactly. It's sticking down. I guess we'll wait for the next round of bans. It'll be fine.
I think that
We are lingering.
The Renekton
We're
here
lingering.
still works in
Okay,
this draft
Nocturne
here
ban,
for
nice.
Life
Nocturne ban.
Esports, but it makes it relatively all in on mid-game.
Okay, what is there?
power, 'cause the
Nefiri,
owner target there
Jarvan,
on the Nocturne you were talking
Viego.
about is a very strong ban, Chronicler.
Yep. The Renekton probably a consideration here, even though the Nidalee
Skarner
can be
is
going
dog
towards the top
shit.
side because of Zeus, and we have to
What am I
remember that.
missing?
Twisted Fate actually going to be what is
Oh
taken
my
away.
God.
Twisted Fate Nidalee has been a tale as old as time
It is setting up
in the LCK and around
for
the world.
Owner
Yeah,
Lee Sin.
so
Owner Lee
2020
Sin is
Dom on
setting
chairs,
up right here.
obviously. Also
Be
into
careful,
Xayah,
Humble
I
Life.
think the champion is just kind of crazy. It's so easy.
If they
when
ban
they
like
are-
Nefiri
we saw
and
that
4-pick like an
literally
Akali, I
done.
think the Lee Sin is going to
Absolutely
carry the
done.
whole
So
game.
they are like, we are not falling for that same trap.
Braum's annoying, though.
I think that when you consider that Zeka's not a strong Twisted Fate player and they
Zed
still
ban?
ban it,
Also a good ban,
I think
actually.
it just shows that they know this pick so
Oh,
well.
they watched the
Mods,
LPL
15-second
finals
slow mode is
yesterday,
too long.
and they're like, no, no, no,
15-second slow mode is too long.
I'm not even
They send a
joking.
message and then
He
they have a
still has
birthday and then they
talent.
send
We
another
saw him
message.
pull it out
Can you put it to like
recently.
8?
I think he is going to be looking towards an aggressive AD jungler. Lee is another consideration. The follow-up that you have with
Much
the
love. Thank
Lee
you,
on
Mods.
the
Much love.
Annie is obviously kind of crazy. And they're
That
going to
would-
pick a jungler here, right? Unless they want to keep hidden where the Nidalee's going.
Yeah, that might be the question mark here. And of
So
course,
pick
a
Could pick
blind
mid
top
here,
lane
but
pick
something about
is
Humble
not
Life's
what
draft
we're
looks
expecting.
fucking
We're
freaky, and
expecting
I don't know
Zeus
if
to make
Champ
that
solves
final
it.
call after Doran has
Galio
locked
does
something
solve
in.
it, yes. Good
There
pick.
is the Galio picked up. Oh god, Camille is left.
Is it
up
just
and
time for fucking
available.
Owner Kinderegg
That
or
could
what?
be something that Zeus could go towards, but
No,
Doran
it's
is
bad.
also just coming
What have you got
off
for me,
a
Owner?
phenomenal game on the Camille.
I like Lee Sin,
I can
but I don't
imagine
know
they
if I
could
like
just
him
walk
to
it in.
Galio.
Yeah, it's really tough to try to, and if you're in this situation as
I like
T1,
Jax.
expecting the Camille, what you want to play, like the
Cassante.
last tank left, the Orange ban.
Okay, we need a bit of damage now. We need a bit of damage.
This is probably your angle
Viego,
here.
thoughts?
And you do have, you know, again, relatively low damage. Like your low range with the Xayah, she's going to do a ton later on, but the Annie depends on your team fight scenario whether she's going to do a lot of damage or not. The Cassante could definitely help with that.
Nefiri?
But it does feel like
Thoughts?
we know where the end of this story ends. The biggest question now is what's that jungle carry pick for Owner going to be?
There are a couple of options.
I don't
Jarvan
like
would be
Jarvan.
interesting.
They all
Lucian
have
isn't
dashes.
necessarily
I don't
the
like
type of
it.
champion that
I
you
don't
think
like
about.
it.
I do think it synergizes well
I
with Annie,
don't
'cause
like
Annie can go for the
Jarvan.
stun, giving you a guaranteed flag and drag. There's obviously also the Calico.
Oh,
but-
there it is.
There it is.
That's what I was hoping for. There is the lead to pair with that Annie and to give the outplay potential.
There it is.
What is Hanwha going to lock
Owner
in
Lee
here?
Sin.
This is Camille. It has to be Camille.
It's
right?
Camille or Renekton, right?
That's a horse.
Peanut Hecarim.
I mean, Camille is hard to play into Lee Sin.
This is not a game 5.
Oh, it's Peanut Nidalee jungle on match
Fearless.
point.
There's a lot more available. Instead of going for the Camille, he looks towards some of his favorites, the Aatrox, and then ultimately the Gnar.
Chat, I'm gonna run ads.
The
If you're not
old
about ads, you
Gnar
can use the T1
pick
to subscribe. You don't have to
this
sub the channel if you don't want to. You
Cassante.
back for the game
Not a
plus
lot
because
set for
I have to
the
run the ads so you
Nidalee
don't get the ads
in
during the
this
game. If you
draft,
sub now, you won't get ads for
and
MSI
in terms of
either.
lane
So
pile, you're
much
winning
love to all
out
the
on the
subbers.
top
I'll
side
see you in
with
a
this one
sec.
for sure. Mid lane, got a little bit back and forth. I think Faker should be able to have the edge. If he could continue to apply
Peanut
that pressure.
Nidalee on match
But
point.
this is, the first pick Nidalee feels like it kind of ended
Doran's
up
gone to Gnar for comfort.
And it's one of Zeus's most iconic. It's a
I don't know,
champion
man.
that he played so much and that he really started to make a
T1's
name for
comp just
himself
looks
during
like
his
T1, you know?
debut.
They have
But it's
Zyra
also
Khan
the
and they
champion
have
that
Owner
he
Lee Sin
played
and Doran
not
on
2 days
Cassante.
ago against
Faker
Gen.G.
Annie is what it is,
That
but like.
wasn't enough. Gen.G played around that Gnar bar.
But Zeus
expertly.
Gnar.
He was never really able to generate the leads
Zeus
that he
Gnar
needed
match
to.
point.
And the champion
Peanut
has
Nidalee.
fallen out of favor, I think for good reason. The Peanut Nidalee though, I do think Peanut from game 1 to game 2 had a giant glow up, but he's
Peanut
got to be
Nidalee's
more
good,
active
but
in
I
the
don't know if
early
I would
game.
put it on a
He's
match
gotta
point.
control more objective if Hanwha Life want to give us
He
an
has
opportunity
3
to
games of
at least
Nidalee this
get
split,
to a
Peanut.
game
3
number
games.
4.
And he's up against
He's 1 and
Owner's
2.
Lee Sin, his most iconic champion. This guy's got a skin on this pick, for heaven's sake. This is going to be a very difficult game. Giving T1 blue side is such a crazy thing to do. HLE have
All right,
made
lock in.
themselves a pretty cohesive draft off the back of it. But is it going to be enough to keep their hopes alive, to keep them in with a chance of getting this ticket to Vancouver, to MSI? I don't know whether it's going to be enough because that Gnar, it represented the finish line for Gen.G and may represent the finish line for T1 as well as we jump onto the Rift here for game number 3.
T1 Lee Sin. T1 Lee Sin. Damn.
Hanwha fans trying to be as loud as possible, but the T1 fans obviously drowning them out still.
here at the Sujic Indoor Gymnasium.
And what we thought could have been a new era of a new dominant LCK team in Hanwha. You know, sure, they didn't win the World Championship, but won their last domestic title, won LCK Cup, won first stand. Might be cut short right here. After being one game away from going to MSI, Hanwha Life Esports may just simply not go there, and no road for this squad.
It'll just be Gen G T1 again.
Oh, yeah.
And
Casters
we have
are
to
ulting.
address it as well. I think that BLG's regular season, not that great. G2's regular season, not that great. They're both already locked in for MSI, guys. I just want to put it out there. I know it's
T1's
something
regular
that
season,
we often
not that
talk
great.
about, and it's just the glow up. This T1 is just not the same one we saw in the regular season. And in hindsight, it kind of feels obvious. We always put up the possibility, but the fact that it actually happens and through the back of Doran is not something I necessarily expect.
I mean, I'm very personally, you know, close to thinking T1 might have been able to do it. Remember, I predicted them in regular season at the end. I was very correct. They did not beat Hanwha in that final match. I thought maybe T1 had passed them. Perhaps they needed BO5 domestic crowd, you know, live event Doran to get it done. But T1 are just looking super clean. They have such a good read on the meta right now. And
I think Doran is just clutching.
You know,
like, Doran has been the best player on T1 for both series now.
You can stop that momentum.
And it goes both ways, because as much as T1 have leveled up, I'm also not used to seeing Hanwha just straight up miss skill shots. The light missing lances. There's a lot of fighting here.
Both heals, same time.
Going to be thrown out here on both sides. Both of these AD carries taking the brunt of the damage here. Zeka and Faker fighting it out here in the mid lane. The Galio versus Annie matchup is not one I'm super familiar with, but should be something that should be fine for both of these players.
Viper fairly
She was laughing at me.
Yeah, Gumayusi actually getting so much from the Gleaming Quill. Getting all of that health back. Did drink his potion, of course, but Viper is really struggling here in this lane right now.
This Gnar is so important in this draft. I want to talk about it for a second because we had, remember, the consideration of Peanut playing something completely different. You know, it might not have been Hecarim, might have just been a funky hover, but playing the Nidalee top into the Cassante would have given you a lot of lane pressure, but this comp doesn't have that much damage, right? I mean, it's a Galio. If you play the Nidalee top, your team fighting gets a little bit weaker. And so now Peanut is so important in this draft on this Nidalee to be able to hit spears later on for controlling objectives. That range advantage is really only him. And if you're
Maddie's
losing
here and she writes,
in lane,
good job, Maddie.
things could be really disastrous. Doran aggressive.
Yeah,
Doran.
the hop does come on through as Doran down below 100 health. The hyperproc comes in, but says, oh no!
The evolve.
Transformation happens at exactly the wrong time. Still, Peanut is going to be here as Doran underneath the turret, not hit by the spear. And the wave crashes. They don't know where anyone is on the map, and they do not go any further.
And with the shield, I don't know if
Doran
it would have
gives
enough,
the
but
last
it
hits
definitely
to
would have
Guma.
been extremely close. Could have been the opportunity, but as you highlight, he just transformed at just the wrong moment.
Just one more auto.
Just one more, as we do see the Cole
Big
picked up for
jungle
Zeus. The early lane playing out the way that has, but that has not been a problem for Doran. I feel like a lot of the early laning phases have been Zeus' favorite.
Raptors were one shot, no
he's able
invade.
to effortlessly bounce back. Part of that is also as we keep going back to Owner. This man does so much lifting for the team, both in the fights as well as in the lane
Peanut's
setup,
red
the
buffs off.
dive that they continuously fight.
Yeah,
Knock
great
up
pounce
jumps
there from Peanut to get himself out of the way, just harassing Carrier and Owner out of the jungle. And trying to set up something here as the 2v2 has ensued on the other side. That is going to continue here. You can see Viper still pretty far behind, as this early laning phase has been all about Gumayusi and Carrier. This is obviously one of their most successful combinations of champions. They've used this to great effect many, many times. We'll see whether it is going to continue like this. So far, so good here for the T1 bottom lane.
We do have Peanut in the area, but remember, he is Nidalee, so with no CC, I don't think he'll be able to offer anything here,
Rakan is scary as fuck to play into.
This lane. Would have been nice if there was a dive coming for him to be there, but Owner does not carry his clearing.
Well, there's the grand entrance as the door is going to get put up. Viper taking so much damage here, as he's still trying to fight back. A dangerous
that Conqueror being stacked is painful
as we
too.
Can see,
they're zoning them off the tower.
Slow down Carrier, and they are just zoning them away from their turret here just in a 2v2.
It's getting straight up gapped in this 2v2, not even remotely close, as I think Viper really was trying to get the passive proc there
Solo
together
Drake.
with the light, but they don't get it, and then he was also hit by just a few stray feathers that I think he wasn't expecting, leading to be so low
Faker
that in a
solid
single
mid
combo
push.
they would just die.
Doran
And I mean, if he gets like one
a
more
bit down in
off, he plays
creeps,
his
but it's
fastest
okay,
for the kill
Doran. You've
there.
done a lot of
I mean,
heavy
that's
lifting.
such a
You can
huge health
int the game. It's
advantage
okay.
that
We'll forgive you.
Viper just has to walk away. He was already significantly behind in CS, and now is even further so. And now just going to send Xayah back to the bottom lane here. And this is going to be Peanut clearing vision on this dragon, but they have no idea beyond the pit where anyone is. And so starting this is certainly not going to happen now for Hanwha.
Yep, the heroic entrance is now online as Zeka does hit that level 6, so he can augment some of these
Chat, 12
side
seconds
lanes.
is fair.
They
There's
might need to overload
too
if
many-
we're going to get
too many
something
reds,
done.
too much
As
degeneracy.
there is the Justice Punch to come in. Faker going to get taunted up as the spear will connect as well. Tibbers goes down, but here the cavalry
misses.
has arrived. Sonic Wave goes wide. Zeka just a slight sidestep there. The listing
Keep dead.
lazily to the left once again, working out beautifully here on the LCK stage. But T1 still happy to play defense in this moment.
Might be what they need though. I like this continued trading from Owner because with the burst that Annie has, it's hard to get the trade back on her even though her health is low. And this means that Faker still gets to stay in lane even though his health bar is so low, and they get prio on the dragon, whereas Delight just decides to peace out. Does it the TP, but I think with the slow TP, I don't know if they can contest. Peanut's on the other end of the map, so they're clearly deciding to let this go, and that's another dragon.
Braum TP back to
goes
lane.
T1.
See, Delight uses his TP to come down here with
Their
Viper,
bot lane just running the
but
map.
They can't do anything to this dragon, and like you said, it's just insane how much control over dragon T1 has had this entire 3 sets of games, or set of 3 games, I should say.
Oh, Doran, nice sidestep there, as we can see, as the Mega Gnar just uses the R button because he may as well in this matchup. I don't think Doran's going to be dying just yet. It's a decent wall up there as Zeus is continuing to
good
throw
damage.
skills at the Cassante, but he's got the steel caps. He's looking like he's feeling okay. As
Well, pushing
Zeka
bot, I
moving
guess
down
he has to
towards the
base
bottom
and
side,
swap with
and
Cassante
Viper
here.
will be parked in mid, at least for now. 700 gold is the lead here for Gumayusi. So much of this has been him on the
Viper's
receiving
gonna
end
have
of
to make
all of the
so
positives
much
from this
happen in
early
this game.
And that's no jungle intervention. There were no ganks, there were no dives being threatened. It was just straight up 2v2 domination. And feels like even with the increase in form that we saw of Guma in particular, but even Keria to a certain extent, I think he was a lot more inconsistent during the regular season, even though he's still at the highs.
Peanut on grubs.
Them just gapping like this, I think, is unexpected.
Peanut smited and didn't get it.
That is not what
Smite
they were looking
and not
for
get.
here, as HLE still with an opportunity to fight for this
Oh,
one, as we've got
Peanut.
top laners battling before this all starts.
He's had a tough weekend.
Gumayusi and Ona in position on these grubs as Keria
No
able
smite
to
for
grab
Owner
an
yet.
exit from this one.
Up
Xayah's
now,
back towards
Mega
his
Gnar out.
teammates. He's going to have to crash his way out of this, and it looks like that is what's going to happen.
3
And
grubs
there
to
is the
T1
objective,
and
just
first
going over
straight.
to T1 for free. Yet another
Oi,
one,
oi,
take
oi.
it off.
The timing on this, where they are able to get the second grub without using smite,
Oi,
and
oi,
then just
oi.
be able to secure the third one for free. Faker on that flank angle, they knew he was in the brush. They just could not collapse because he's got flash Tibbers.
Oh, it's so yeah, and Ona now going to move over, deny any sort of Raptor steal. T1 have every answer in this early game.
And it's not even like Hanwha Life already getting anything on the rest of the map, because we saw in that whole sequence, Zeka was on bot, then roamed mid because they wanted to be ready for a possible fight, and the call was to not make the fight because they didn't have Mega Gnar. Then he
Maybe
walked
the
into
series
the
is
jungle
just
to try
over.
and maybe contest.
Xayah Rakan
and
is
ends up
fucking
not really
25
getting it. If you
CS
get, like,
up. They have
a plate or
both
two out of that,
objectives.
I think you're going to be feeling a lot better.
Owner's
but the
ahead of
cross match
Nidalee.
just isn't there.
Yeah, look at this defensive play here from HLE. They know Gumayusi is just so much stronger. He's got a lot more weapons.
Maybe it's just
in his
Dunzo.
inventory. You can see there's one small
What do you do as
hammer
Hanwha Life?
and a dagger here for Viper.
Delight
Round
level
Nidalee
4.
Lucian.
I just now ticked over, but he's basically a full level behind. Same for Viper.
Keria about to hit that quickness as well. Just needs, there it is.
I mean, they're just going to
At
zone
one
him
more
off
level.
another wave. Like, otherwise,
God.
I mean, good luck defending this dive.
They have TPs.
Well, there is that quickness that goes in, gets the charm onto Delight, who's kicked
have
away.
Galley ult as
but
well.
Here's the heroic entrance. Gumayusi with the feather storm though,
Oh,
and he holds
Delight
Zeka in
actually
place. The winds of war come down.
Peanut's
and
coming.
The sonic wave
Spear.
is going to miss.
Misses.
That would have been a dead Zeka
W,
there, a dead
knock up.
gargoyle underneath the turret.
Owner
and it might
tanking.
still
Guma
be,
tanking. Everyone's
as
1 HP.
Keria not quite with
Oh,
the
what?
damage,
And
the feathers
Faker
get
Diva!
rid. Here comes Faker. He finds
Oh
the
my
angle.
God,
There's
it's
another
completely
pyro
over.
block. It could be a triple.
It's
But
completely
there it is.
over.
Tibbers looks
What
to
the
clean
fuck?
up, and it's in
T1's
fact
gonna
the
trio
blind
Hanwha Life.
that gets it in the end.
They're gonna
4
trio
for nothing here for
they're
T1
gonna-
in this early
they're
game.
gonna
and
trio
Zeus
Hanwha Life.
is also taking damage from
What?
Doran.
That's got to be a backbreaker. Like, there is just
What?
no way.
There's no way. Because right before this, I was going to say, I mean, at least you got a gold lead for the counter matchup. You gave Zeus. At least you got the Snar. And if Peanut can stabilize in this game, you can have some poke. You can
How do they always do it?
But, I mean, this is just a bottom 2v2
How do they always do it?
Again, Guma pushes it in, and they have so much
Dorat,
agency. Zeus looking
you're
for
allowed
something
to
back
die.
here on
You
the
carry
bottom
2
lane.
games.
Has to.
Yeah, let's see
Has
if
to
we can
try.
find it.
DP though.
Teleport is going to come in. Doran
That's
goes
carry at
all
TP,
out
isn't
and
it?
doesn't get CC'd from the Gnar. Zeus looking to try and get himself out of here. There is the wallop. It's Carrier that comes in, and there's the Q charged up. Doran
Oh, he
a
missed
little
it.
bit more. The flash does come through. Zeus
Oh,
gets the transformation. The turret's getting aggressive. Zeus
Oh, he got him.
trying to get out of here, but it does not work. And Doran picks up the kill. Once again, T1 are schooling Hanwha Life Esports all over the
How?
It feels like
How
at
is
point,
this
the sweep
happening?
Is imminent. We were hopeful that maybe something could happen, as we're going to see a replay of that topside play. It's just a disaster across the board. It looks like initially maybe
The
there's a
Guma
chance to
ult
turn it
pullback
around
damage
with
was mental.
Zeka, or, with
The light
Zeka
should have
coming
insta-died.
in. That's the first
And then
Feather
Peanut
recall.
rocks up.
Viper's
He's a
ult
bit
goes
too
into
far for a
Narnia,
spear.
Just like some of the spears you're about to be seeing. And even though
Then they
members
get
of
2
Hanwha,
feathers at the
they're
top right
only
there. You
so
see those
far
2
behind.
feathers?
And
Boom.
here comes Tiani. Finds the 2-man
Here comes
stun.
Faker.
That spear from Peanut, even if it hits Faker, it doesn't matter, but it just adds insult to injury.
And it's just, it's the pressure, you know, that's there in the top side that allows all of this to happen, because if you know, the Galio doesn't come up, they lose that, right? But when the Galio comes up, it means Faker can come up for free.
Regular season is so
CC on the
useless.
Nidalee,
Oh
there's
my
just no
god.
saving it, and Doran
Regular
has
season
backup
Hanwha Life
because once
Gen G
again,
were
unsealed
levels above.
Spellbook Rakan
You
is
rock up
gonna
to
be
this
how
series,
Carrier
boom,
helps Doran
insta stomp.
hard force this kill
The
on Zeus.
worst part
But
of
at
all of
point,
this
it almost feels
is that there's
personal,
no
as
tomorrow
Doran is making
finals
this road
T1
to
Gen G.
MSI
That's
all
it.
about
T1
him.
just win and
Well,
that's it.
T1 are gonna
They go to
continue
MSI.
making it
Imagine
about
we had
them
a
as they look
T1
for
Gen
this
G
engagement on
finals.
Peanut. He tries to get himself out of there, but Delight is in such an awkward position.
With this form.
Zeus is coming on over. The door has been set up as Viper in a decent spot. The culling this time.
Carrier's gonna die.
He's gonna actually hit some
Oh,
T1
Carrier
players, but the block
spacing
from
both of
Faker
them?
is so
What?
good.
Carrier spaced both of them!
What?
What?
Oh man, this is T1.
He
This
was
is
in
the
between
whole
both their
Brothers.
attack
They are
ranges.
Just dominating.
This is disgusting! I mean, it's
This
the
is
most
disgusting!
one-sided game we've seen in a while, probably arguably across the whole tournament.
They're gonna perfect game them!
3-0s, but this is something else.
They're en
entirely.
route for a
Doran gets the
perfect
whole
game.
turret, the
Did you
first
see
turret
Carrier
in piece of
spacing?
string. I don't know if this could
Did you
be
see
any
it?
more one-sided. And I want to see the Hanwha fans.
Doran
How
looks
are they
so locked
feeling
in.
right now?
Oh, I don't want to. Let's not do that. Let's
I'd
not
rather
do
not.
that.
I'd rather not know. I think it's okay. It's a 6K gold deficit, and again here,
Carrier
it's
just
T1,
got his
the
Q
power
off.
French. Someone goes in, we all commit, and obviously so far behind is Hanwha already in items. But I thought with that 2-man knock-up, maybe that could be something. Maybe they can follow up. But they just don't have the stats. Ona gets Peanut in, which means
Look
that
at Carrier
Peanut
here.
just goes down
Gnar
after
and
that
Lucian.
kick. And then Zeus desperately tries to take that Carrier.
Oh
Look,
my
he's
god.
breathing. The shield keeps him alive. Owner obviously doesn't care about the turret. And that's the only appropriate response.
Yeah, Carrier just having a little bit of a giggle at this one. I think he kind of knows that that ticket is already theirs. Looking for another bit of an engagement here, as soon as we're
They're
out of replays,
en
we seem
route
to be
for
into
a
another
perfect
thing.
game.
T1
Not even a
success is
grub.
also
Normally there's
Hanwha's
one grub.
tragedy. Again, so close, but coming into today, massive favorites. Massive favorites. I mean, there were so many 3-0s on our side. Very few T1 believers, and they were 3-2 believers at that, hoping that it's going to go to the 5th and
T1
final
plot armor
game.
needs to be studied
And it must be insane
now.
whiplash to come into today feeling like, well, it was tough against Genji, but surely today we'll get it done. And T1 are just a different beast than they were in regular season, a different beast than they were
Now.
even yesterday.
KT
And this
were
is the
better
kind
than
of
this.
glow up you want to see from a team that's going to represent the LCK at MSI.
It's just hard to imagine a way back for Hanwha in this game, right? Like, not even talking about the mental, not talking about the fact that they are on the verge of losing their 6th game in a row, basically getting just fully swept.
Oh dear, that door went the wrong direction there, as Delight does absorb a few of these auto attacks. Stand beside is going to get Delight out of there, but still.
Oh man, I'm sad for Hanwha. They all look so depressed.
Like, how are you
They were
ever
so
going
good for
to
so long,
retake
and then
any
boom,
control? You
one
need to
series,
get
T1
down and
owns
dirty
them.
to get anything done, and the items just aren't there.
And who sets up the Galio ults? You know, how do you find your way in? It's
like that.
Yeah, here's the
But that's
flash
not an
forward.
engage.
That's what Delight is looking for, as they do get the Feather Storm out from Gumayushi. That's exactly what HLE want. Now there's a clock. Now they need to figure out how to get on top of Guma and make something happen.
But I mean, I feel like they are so far behind, and yeah, there's Cleanse, there's Flash, thanks for showing me there, Chronicler. There is still answers here, and he's got a 2,000 gold lead. The wallet advantage also going to be helpful.
All you got to do is just ult that there, and you're fine. As even this is desperation.
Yeah, I mean, this is Zeka being able to push Faker away. He's, of course, got the Molten Shield and now has a bear. Going to make this one a little bit unfair.
Is Zeka going for a solo kill or what?
Winds of War come down. But I don't know whether Zeka can even win this.
Oh my god.
Discovers that as well as he
Spaced.
Terminates it! It's too much! Where's the mercy rule?
Yeah, oh god.
And I wanted a good series today. And for me, that meant T1 showing up. I didn't quite mean it like this.
Wow.
I didn't expect to get the bad series because T1 showed up a little too
wow,
much.
I feel like you opened the door for T1 to show up, and Humble Life Esports just left.
We may have monkey pawed this one a little bit.
I think that is the important thing to note. Hanwha were the favorites today, but if you had combinated those guys, T1 clutched it. It was a 3-2. Hanwha got close, but it wasn't enough. It was the T1 magic. I don't think that would have really surprised any of us.
That's why that's why Digon predicted that.
Yeah,
no?
and I think it was Coco as well, right? That makes sense. T1 just out of nowhere, and it is out of nowhere, let's be very real. They lost 2-0 to this team. Not, what, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
It is just insane, and it needs to be the credit, because we always talk about T1. We know that 4 out of these 5 players are reigning world champions, 2-time. There's also the reigning LCK champion, Kruglord Doran, which I feel like we need to give him credit. He is the defending champion, and it was on this team that he's facing right now.
Yep. And the defending world
is that his new name,
Kruglord? Isn't quite getting it done as Carrier goes in. Owner there as well, finds the kick to get the double knock up. As they're now just looking to take down Peanut. They'll take that one very comfortably.
It's a perfect game. It's a perfect game. It's a perfect game. It's a perfect game. It's not a perfect game. Doran decided, nope, Doran, he's just fucking flying.
Kruglord sends his regards.
The Kruglord.
Look for a mega cone for a disengage.
The God of Thunder is nothing for the Kruglord.
Perfect gameable. All grubs, all herald, all turrets.
You are right.
For Hanwha. They could perfect game Hanwha to knock them out of MSI.
Oh, that is absurd. Okay, Zeus is
Faker.
just going to get taken down under this turret.
Bro.
Unceremoniously.
If no one dies on T1.
About the perfect game still on
Look at this game. This is Hanwha Life versus T1.
Kill score.
This is
They're going to take an inner turret here at 18 minutes. Oh man, now we're just talking about actually can they get a kill ever in this game?
Owner's
That's
dead.
going to be
Owner's
the question.
Dead. He
Is
ruined the
maybe
perfect game.
Oh,
he flash queued the Grump.
He's got the smooth moves to taxi alongside the Grump. The Blade Caller there as well to hold him in place.
Yeah, Q1 on the Grump.
If they want to keep that alive as
Defend the Dragon, perfect game.
Guma! Zeka going in. Guma is going forward into 3 people. The feathers are just doing so much damage. As all right. Carrier going to join him. There is
Bit
the
of a
knock-up
miss.
attempt onto Zeka, who doesn't get the taunt. Onto Gumayushi.
Oh, Guma ulted the spear. Oh, the perfect game is alive. The perfect game is alive.
It's the
Carrier! No, the perfect game. Carrier, no.
Might be able to get one. Carrier is going to fall. There goes the perfect game, but it doesn't mean anything because they are stamping their ticket to MSI in this play
16 to 1 in kills, 18 minutes in.
Speechless is how I'm feeling right now. T1.
Doran, the Kruglord, top lane for Thieves 1, stealing every objective, showing up when it matters.
The recipient of many a DK fell
Absolutely
for it again
mental,
award,
bro.
But we collectively fell for it again when it comes to T1. Of course they're going to be our MSI representative. Of course they just turn it on when it matters most. They were just sandbagging. We thought it was Hanwha.
Wow,
yeah.
bro.
This was apparently what Hanwha were doing. They've admitted this. They've said they were built for international competition. Well, it's a bit awkward when you don't even get to go there. As this was
hey,
just
T1, hey, Hanwha Life, no refunds.
As Zeus went in to try and take him down, and he just said no.
No refunds, buddy, no refunds.
Down, but he's Rakan. He's
no
set up
refunds.
The place for the rest of his teammates. Oh, goodness me. T1 just have every answer today.
It's funny how, like,
no
everything works. In the last 6 months, it's always, the whole narrative of the last 6 months is like, how did T1 fumble Zeus? But then, when the time when it matters, 6 months later, Doran just fucking owns
as
him.
mentioned, just that one kill stops the perfect here for T1, but How can you even say composed on the stage here as Hanwha, considering all the circumstances around this almost qualification for them? As bye-bye.
Is just going to run towards Faker. The all-out from Doran just says, nope, no Mega Cone for you, sir. As in goes Carrier, finds them all in that back line. As the
Owner
comes down, but he just gets booted out of the rift.
Wow, this is
entirely.
insane. This is shaping up for an insane finals between T1 and Gen G. Oh, wait.
As the Sonic Wave goes wide. But I still think he's just being escorted to the death chamber, ladies and gentlemen. Doran tanking up this turret momentarily. The grand entrance holds him in place.
20 kills to 1. Guma is soloing Tatakan. T1 had so many problems this split. Subbing in and out ADs. Doran wasn't performing. They were losing every game. Well, every game. Owner was like 1v9ing half the time.
He doesn't win this. I don't.
Another 3.
Guma? I'm pretty invested in this one
Guma.
right now.
Guma. Guma. Oh! He wins those.
That was soloing an Otacon, everyone. That's what that was. It was. He did manage to get that one done. Didn't necessarily
completely smoked it.
But he did.
Everyone's
completely
had a role
smoked
to
it
play in this series, and I think Faker, who was the most quiet of the 5, has 0 deaths in this game and has been such a strong facilitator.
Nah, this
I've
is
seen
mental.
Guma steal objectives before, but I feel like this is a new level. Okay, this is too much.
Oh my goodness.
Drugs have the same amount of kills as Hanwha Life.
Oh no, I was worried.
Bro, shut up.
I mean, that was the only we're not really sure whether they'll get it moment that we've had so far in this game.
Oh yeah, that was the first moment of uncertainty.
Yeah, as we get the replay, of course. We need some preview here. As you saw that Ona was coming on over trying to grab it, and he said, "Yeah, I won," and he did.
And if he didn't, would it really matter?
No, not really. But it's getting some revenge for his teammates. As Doran, remember, he lost that same battle on the bottom side of the map against a different camp.
Do it.
But still.
A clearly stronger one.
It's some revenge. As Delight, oh god, the Braum just getting...
Do it.
Taking so much damage here as Doran throws Zekka into the wall. He's not quite as tanky as he really wants to be right now. Still cannot tank 4 members of HLE. But it does not matter. He's just zoning.
We thought
Turret goes down.
We thought the era of Gen G T1 might have been over. We finally had a new champion. We finally had a new challenger in summer, but T1 still won the world championship and weren't able to make it to first stand.
It's a
They're putting their
13K
stamp
gold lead.
on the MSI ticket, saying we are still able to hang with the best. We are still up there with Gen G. We are a top 2 team in the LCK, and they're going to earn it here.
Yeah, that was actually very cute by Ona. Peanut
Ona
wanted
just
to
wants
hop
to
over there, and he was like, let me
kick
help
Peanut.
you, as he kicks him back towards his base. And all right, HLE are at least on the map for the moment.
Are they?
They are absolutely reeling. In goes Zekka,
This
looking
is
to try
so
and get
desperate.
one against Faker here as Carrier says absolutely not. He finds a whole lot of charms
But it's so
here
lost.
in this mid lane. The heroic entrance is going to get a knock up onto the Rakan. Yeah, they'll be able to kill him again, but do they have any chance in the rest of this fight? And the answer is maybe they can get Faker, but otherwise it is all T1 as Gumayushi will be able to take down his former teammate. Peanut trying to get himself out of here as Ona going to join him as they blast their way out. Another Sonic Wave is going to go wide.
Looking like my Lee
As the
Sin.
play caller coming on through. Peanut trying to do what he can, but Ona just needs one more.
Is it?
One more something.
Oh, the
as
tipper.
The cat will survive.
He gets out, but I don't know if he feels happy right now about it, Atlas. And
yeah, we can cue the yakety sax, I think, a little bit here.
I'm pretty confident he doesn't. I'm willing to take that bat. Zekka, they know.
What am I
like
watching?
They probably knew after the topside play.
What am I
The emotes
watching?
are flying, but Hanwha Life.
Yeah,
LCK finals, ladies and gentlemen.
No, not the
Finals weekend.
Sappy.
As the teleport is going to look to put the end to this funny business.
Hola.
As Delight came in, so that's going to try and help out here. As he
Carrier
does
has
have
Ghost.
a taunt. He manages to buff the Justice Punch quite nicely here, but he's still on a sliver of health. Zeus decent knob position right now, but there is the insect from Ona. He's going to be able to take down Viper. Now
14K.
Peanut once again finding himself in a precarious spot, but not as precarious as what Zeus is dealing with right here. It's a cute little gnaw, and he might be able to keep himself alive for a little bit longer, but T1 are still just messing with him.
I hit it.
As finally the Sonic Wave is going to connect, and Ona collects another kill. Delight puts up the door. He's got a flash,
KDA
but he
farming,
doesn't have a
stat
chance
farming,
to
easy
use it.
clap.
And now T1 with
26
so many members
to
of
3.
HLE out of this game
26
right now.
to 3.
They're going to look to take down an inhibitor. and get this first Nexus turret taken down as well.
26-3, 8 turrets to 0, no objectives for Hanwha in this final game.
And I had a line prepared about denying golden roads and things like that. I just don't think it's relevant. T1 were just so damn good today.
They were so much better.
Like
they were so much better, T1.
They'll take down the Nexus, and T1 will stamp a deserved spot at MSI.
What the fuck?
On one side of the arena,
what the fuck?
For T1 returning to form, a T1
they don't even look like their face.
LCK Cup was defeated by this very same team early on in
just
our
annihilated
playoffs.
them. Hanwha Life's not going to MSI. It's T1 and Gen.G.
But they did not give up. Their resolve was insanely strong in this road to MSI. And they will once again be our representatives. Faker grabs
now you can steal it.
Amongst roaring fans. And they're our second seed here for the LCK.
And once again,
the stereo mode is great with that.
And T1 heading to MSI. We might be able to get that rematch once more. It's the only one.
I need the screenshot of Faker like this with the tickets.
We might have been saving
I need the screenshot.
And for Hanwha Life, it is a harrowing end to what still was, I think, a great season. Clear second in their region for most of this year. Looked like they were the only one, together with Gen.G, that were going to be the clear favorites. Obviously, one LCK Cup, one first stand, rather effortlessly, but here today, it was a collapse. And it feels like ever since Gen.G got that reverse sweep, Hanwha Life just wasn't able to come back.
Wait, what did he do?
What is most poignant to me is Owner having a stellar performance. That isn't a surprise. Keria and Guma gapping, the way they did was insane. But you can see that if you're told in advance. But come on, man, Doran.
I mean, we've seen it before. This is not a surprise.
But it's been a year.
This is domestic roadshow Doran.
Why are they showing his keyboard?
And he is the worst enemy of Zeus and always has.
And of himself. Please, Doran, just keep this level up.
We literally mentioned this during the top lane walkouts that sometimes Doran gets the better of him, but I still didn't think it was going to happen today. I thought it was time to maybe we were going to see a change of the guard there in terms of these big roadshow BO5s, but Doran, man, you never know what he's going to do, and right now he is going up and up and up, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got for us at MSI.
Yep, and I'm not necessarily looking forward to these highlights because honestly, T1 just made HLE look silly in this series, but especially here in this game.
Was just an everything gap.
It was.
Like, I don't feel like any matchup was particularly close. There was a little bit of action in the mid lane, but that matchup was mostly just neutralizing. But the way that Viper and Delight got absolutely demolished by Guma and Keria on the Xayah Rakan, just a sight to behold here today.
And, you know, some of the issues we always talked about with Hanwha where they played to the strength of their opponents and sometimes fooled around, this wasn't that kind of series where it felt like those issues got exposed. They were just the weaker team today. They were not playing at their best. And it wasn't because
Are you doing LTA finals? Yes, doing LTA finals, yes.
Team fights. They just never had any control, really, outside of game one on some objective
100%,
fights.
I promise.
They just got completely demolished.
And it's Delight missing skill shots. It's Peanut not having an early impact. This is very clearly just the Hanwha Life that was rattled, and my god, the T1 made good use of it.
They really did.
This third game was, that one is going to be very fun for any T1 fan. Any Hanwha fan, gotta go outside. We gotta take a break. Try and forget this one as soon as possible.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things for Hanwha Life Esports as well is the fact that they're known as the team that can clutch it out. That's why I think so many of us had so much confidence in this squad, is because none of those, oh, but they have the momentum now. Oh, they have this, they have that. They're a known quantity. HLE, they get it done, and we know that when they're asked that they have to win, they can.
MSI is going to bang.
It just got to be so shocking for the
What
Hanwha
form
fans,
is
you know?
T1 going to have at the International?
Because it felt like this was not an outcome that was possible today. Not one you could ever even
I
worry
wonder.
about is getting 3-0 stomped by T1.
Now T1 has
I'm sure
MSI,
Keria's
EWC back-to-back.
giggles will keep resonating in the nightmares of Hanwha fans, because if that man is giggling, life is not good.
GG.
As there it is, some relief, I guess, on T1, but mainly just happy to be going to MSI.
What did Keria
after
say?
That one. Gumayusi doing massive amounts of damage. And these damage graphs really are looking like the shadows of the former HLE. Just kind of crumbled down.
Did he say loser?
Against the T1 that headed towards the Rift here today.
It really, and I think that is for Hanwha Life perhaps the thing that stings
Oh, he said
most. We've been
Vancouver.
crediting
There he
the
is.
team as- Come
Doran
on, guys,
deserved.
We knew it was going to be him. Look at that face. Okay, I'm putting it in right now. Doran, please, Doran, just keep playing like this. Please,
Doran, do the
I want
dance.
you to do this at
Do the dance.
internationals.
Do the
This player
dance.
domestically has made me go through more emotional roller coasters than perhaps anyone else, and all I want, please show this at MSI, please.
The
Doran,
Krug
please.
Lord himself. He has been forged in the fires of the Krug pit.
I feel like
and he will now
I've been a
demolish the
Doran
rest of the
defender.
world.
I can't go for another Aatrox splash.
I feel like you might have a fell forward again award on your shoulder soon, but I'm hoping you don't. I'm hoping you don't. I want to see domestic Doran at internationals as well.
Yeah, we'll have to try and we'll keep a whole bunch of his favorite stuff from here in Korea so he can take it with him to Vancouver and then try and replicate some of that environment. It is now
I think they should give the mic to Doran and he does a karaoke.
So here is Tia for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the post-match interview translation. Joined by T1, who just secured the second seed with a 3-0 victory on the final round of Road to MSI. Please welcome Doran, owner, Baker, Gumayusi, Keria, and Coach Goma. Doran, that was a 3-0 clean victory. How do you feel? You know, in the final round today, yeah, I was actually quite nervous. And I was actually trembling in Game 1, but after that Game 1 warm-up and getting that POM, I'm just feeling so great. After that round 4 unanimous POM, you got a POM yet again in peak form. So which play do you think got you the POM today? I think the impact from Ambessa in Game 2 was so strong that I think that's what I got the POM from. But I really did have all my teammates set me up for that victory. So,
Oh, Doran.
honestly, you seemed to grow even stronger
Doran,
in
the Krug
Busan.
Lord.
So how did you overcome the pressure to maintain the winner's mentality? You know, my mindset was that to not get stressed over trivial things. I really just wanted to enjoy the game. Did you have fun playing? Honestly, yeah. It was quite entertaining. Now you will head over to Canada, and your journey towards the MSI title will begin. So what mindset will you have? Personally, I've always wanted to attend the MSI. I've been meaning to go all this time, and it just feels so rewarding to be able to get my dream come true. And I hope to show you an
Wait, has
even
Doran never been at
stronger
MSI?
performance in MSI. Let's move on to Owner. How does it feel to head over to Vancouver, Canada? I said that I wanted to get a 3-0 victory today in yesterday's interview, and I'm just really glad that I was able to keep my words, and I hope to have a great showing in Canada. In Game 1, it was such a bold decision to leave Bai open, so what was your strategy? I think there were lots of champions that we considered as an OP pick, so we knew that it would be adequate to actually leave Vi open out of all those picks. And
I think that Vi leaving open really broke
Game
Hanwha Life a
3,
bit.
the last match point, T1's last pick was your Lee Sin. So what made you pick Lee against the enemy comp? Personally, I wasn't really planning on playing Lee Sin, but because as a team it looked like Lee Sin would be a really good fit. I think it was just out of everyone's input. So I think that was really what allowed us to win Game 3. So it makes me pretty happy about that. And this will be your 4th MSI. So what mindset do you have? Every time we go to MSI, we have always had those a bit of a disappointing result. So I hope that we're able to carry this momentum and hopefully lift the trophy with Doran.
Aww.
Next up, let's talk to Faker. You know, T1's record, as well as Faker's amazing career. You just qualified for your 8th MSI. How do you feel? You know, this is only the start. After the victory, I think we just have to really think about how we can prepare for MSI. And we don't really have a lot of titles and championships at MSI, so my mindset is to prepare well, and we have the eyes set on the trophy. Many expected an intense series between Hanwha and T1, but it ended in a complete stomp by T1, so did you expect the 3-0? Honestly, no, I didn't expect the 3-0, but I did expect to win today. And
Faker.
during the regular season, our defeats against Hanwha Life Esports, there were always a little bit of that one step. We always were one step behind, a little bit of lacking. And any word about Hanwha Life Esports picking red side? You know, red side is always an option when you want to counterpick. So we were actually quite aware that they might actually make that move. And what kind of memories do you want to make in Canada? You know, I've been to Canada many times. I really want to make great memories in Canada. And any word for the fans who rooted for you with all their heart. Thank you so much. We heard your cheering, all your support. We're just so grateful for your support. And Gumayushi, you have ended the chain of 7 losses against Hanwha. What do you think was key to today's victory? You know, our POM, Doran, he did so well in Game 2, and I think we had an overall really good atmosphere and team spirit throughout our practice process. So
Bro,
it's all
spirit and
thanks to
atmosphere
our
is
team.
so important.
And you left such a strong impression with so much confidence yesterday. And you've shown such consistency when the stakes are high. So how are you able to grow stronger on the big stage? You know, because we were able to win to get to this point. And you know, Hanwha Life Esports, they're coming in with a recent loss, so I think carrying that momentum was pretty big. And on match point, you won a 1v1 against Arakan. So was this just a simply perfect calculated play? You know, yeah, honestly, I thought this was the right play. I thought this was the right move to solo Arakan, but he was actually stronger than I expected. So what are you most excited about for MSI, which will be in
I just woke up. Why do I see T1 standing there?
You know, this will be our first time
this is the losers
going
interview.
to Vancouver with Doran, so I really hope that we're able to become the champions there. And please send a message to all the bot laners you'll meet at MSI. You know, since a while back, I believe that the best bot duo in the world is Gumayushi Keria, and I want to prove it to everyone.
W Guma.
Next up, we have Keria. How does it feel to represent MSI or LCK at MSI 4 years in a row? You know, while playing with T1, I haven't been able to win or lift the trophy at MSI, but I want to make it happen this time around. Your performance today was just so on point, from great peel with Nico
Keria could have won
to
MVP.
nailing your poppy
Easily.
ults. Was there any moment you felt particularly proud of? I think a lot of the highlights I was really proud of, but in the end, Jordan was the one who stole my POM, so I was quite surprised. Every time we saw your cam, you were just giggling all the time, so what made you so happy? You know, having a great game of League, and because of all the fans, so many fans here just cheering for us just enabled me to have a great game today. Perhaps it's because your hometown is Busan. You must have been having a great time today. Would you like to use your Busan dialect to say anything to your fans?
와주셔서 감사합니다.
Thank you for coming.
만족한 답변이셨을 것 같습니다. 그러면 캐리어 선수의
I'm sure your fans are very delighted to hear that. And please share your goals for MSI. Like I said earlier, personally and as a team,
Did an arrow just flick on
we
the
haven't
background
been
on
able to
Tyria?
lift a lot of MSA trophies. And since we were able to go to MSI consecutively, I really want to eliminate BLG this time.
Ooh.
And let's have a word with Coach Goma. T1 has just qualified for their 8th MSI. It must be quite special for you too, Coach. How do you feel? You know, with this victory, we're able to
How does
qualify
Koba
for
not
MSI.
have grey hair? How has he
And,
not gone
yeah,
crazy
I've
after
been
these
hearing
fucking
that
12
we
years of
haven't
just grinding?
had a championship
Why
at
does he look
MSI in
so
a while,
good
so we hope
after
to
12
achieve
years
that
of
this
fucking
time.
grinding?
And in the end, it looks like you are able to secure another MSI. So, any word about that? No, I think I was really focusing on trying to make sure that Doran's not too nervous, but today he was actually just on point. He was so solid.
I'm 6
so
months
I was
into
quite
Los
impressed.
Ratunis and I think I'm gonna go
Would you like
bald.
to say anything to the players? You know, I really wanted them to relax and have a laid-back game. And the coaching staff and the players put in so much effort into really making that happen. And I'm just really happy and I'm so proud of my players for being able to pull this off. And any word to your fans, you know, whether we'd be happy or sad, I know that our fans are always cheering for us unconditionally, and I hope that we can repay your support with a good result. Thank you so much. Please give it up for T1. And we will look forward to
Good interview.
your success in MSI.
Wow,
That
T1
concludes
actually
the
made it.
interview with the T1 crew.
T1
Passing
actually
back
made
to
it.
the analyst desk. Thank
T1
you.
made it. There's no way. T1 made it.
Thank you very much.
T1 made it. Alright, chat, I'm gonna piece it. I got Los Ratuni scrims in a couple of hours. And then I'll be back for LTA tonight. If you don't know when LTA starts, it starts in about 12 hours, I think. 11 or 12 hours. So in 11 hours, I'll be back. So tonight, I'll be back tonight. I'll be back tonight. I'm gonna go get some food, get a coffee, do Los Ratones off-stream scrims, prepare for tomorrow because tomorrow's our game. Watch LTA tonight, and then tomorrow Los Ratunis play, yeah? Shout out to all the lurkers, bidders, gifted, shout out subbers, donors, resubbers. Thank you all for coming out. I hope you enjoyed. The LCK was amazing once again. Spring Split was great. Summer is back after EWC ends, a couple of weeks after. So I'll see you guys later tonight. Bye-bye. See you later tonight.